to go live at once on both of them. Okay.
Oh,
Well, I hit live on the vertical. Typically, you can go live on one or the other. You don't have to go live at the same time. Apparently, with this setup, you do have to go live simultaneously for it to register. So we know that now. Okay. We should be good to go. All right. Although, I don't know if TikTok is getting my audio. Let me make sure I'm sending mine over to TikTok. All right. TikTok should have my audio now.
all
Let's
right.
do
I'm
before we
joining on
get going,
TikTok.
friends. First of all, we got a guest with us
Surprised. I don't
today.
even see TikTok.
Oh, I didn't go
I
live on
don't see the
TikTok yet,
TikTok live. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
but we are live on
You were
both our
saying?
YouTube channels, so we're good to go there. We got a TikTok guest with us, a friend in the community, goes by Monkeyboy Logic. Welcome in, bud.
Hey, what's going on?
Also, Jamar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Jamar, wait. We are also live on TikTok, so I'm gonna hop in.
yeah, let me hop in on TikTok too. And Jamar, you do a lot of philosophy in your channel, correct?
Yeah, I'm usually the philosophy guy, I guess. I do like philosophy, religion, debates. So, more like what people like Ian and Danny do.
Okay.
Which is exactly why you're here.
Do you
Okay.
have a favorite argument in the like against God or against a particular religion?
Um, yeah, I usually run the low priors argument. So,
Oh, okay.
Cringe.
uh,
Cringe and easy
s-
pilled.
yeah,
I
that's right.
It's a solid one though. It's hard to like
Oh,
when you're just working on priors. It's pretty hard to lose, right?
well, yeah,
You
that's the
can never
point,
fail
right?
priors.
It's just tricky. So hopefully we'll have a good show today. Hopefully, oh, why is my head so big? Hold on, I need to fix my head.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can adjust your resolution.
No, 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 it's fine. I usually do this. I usually there. Now our heads are matching sizes, roughly.
Nice. All right. And the guest boxes are open, so we're good there. There we go. And I'm gonna put our guest box way over yonder. There we go. And we should be ready to rock and roll. So, on the low priors argument, and mine is usually something like mine are like basic child's play type arguments. I don't do philosophy. Um, like if we're going on priors, it seems like most of our priors are that things occur naturally, and that say like supernatural things don't have we don't have priors. We have no prior for a god. Different things like that. What kind of priors would you include in your argument, and how would you run it?
I usually just talk about how theism's a very complex proposition. It's like a very big conjunction of facts. Well, atheism is saying that that conjunction is false. So due to the modesty, I mean, we can go over each of those propositions, and we have surveys from philosophers like about physicalism or views like the mind is a different substance in the body, um, or types of causal machinery used in theism, and each one of those propositions are fairly seen as implausible. Um, but even if that weren't true, just because how many propositions constitutes theism, it's not really hard to compute the overall probability of theism is way less than atheism antecedently.
Yeah.
Now, when you say compute the probability, I know that there was I was tagged in something this morning where somebody was making fun of somebody else for saying, ah, how do you compute the probability with sample size one? So what exactly is actually happening in the process where you're doing this computation? What are you actually doing?
Yeah, I'm basically just treating. Well, they are basically the propositions that make up theism. I understand to be independent events, so I just
Okay,
multiply the probabilities. Yeah,
so you just
because I'm
kind of
an objective agent.
you pick any probability distribution on each event, something like this, and then you see that well, if you have a bunch of them, or on each property, and then if you have a bunch of them, then of course the probability will be lower than any one of them being true, something like
Right,
that.
right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, now,
Well,
so yeah, go ahead, Justin.
I said we got a couple of super chats, but also if you're watching right now and you want to prove or give an argument for why you think your God is real, there's a link on the screen. You don't have to have TikTok. You can use tiny.cc UA guest, and you'll be plugged into the queue, and we can get you up on screen. If you're on TikTok, you already know the method. Just hit the guest request button, and we'll get you up there. And before you get started, do you want a green screen background? I can put one in for you, I
Justin
think.
could probably put one in for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine to take a background. You can put one.
Yeah, okay, I got you. What are you going to say there, Blitz?
I don't remember.
I distracted you. That's my bad.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
What background you put in though?
You know what? I'll pray about it and let you know, okay?
All right, word. No, that always works. So
Famously so, yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite way of saying, like, if you come from a religious background like mine is when people don't want to do something or they want to politely say no, they'll say something like "I'll pray on it," which definitely just means kick rocks.
Jamar, do you
All
come
right.
from a religious background?
yeah, I do. Yeah,
Like, what kind?
I was actually an apologist. I actually started my YouTube as an apologist. There's no more.
No way.
Actually,
videos.
delete them. Yeah, they don't even exist anymore.
Amazing, I love that.
Yeah, I kind of wish I didn't to keep record, but I'd run Kalam and contingency. I think I was actually a precept too. Actually,
Oh,
started as
no.
a follower of Darth.
And then,
I
wait,
became an
hold on, there's a story here.
apologist because of Darth. Yeah.
There's got to be a story here, how you became a Darth apostate.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah, I
need
was
to hear
basically-
this story.
Yeah, I was just into debate because I was like in middle school at the time, and
Oh, okay.
I would watch like anime and stuff, and I just liked like power scaling and stuff like that. So I would watch YouTube
Okay.
videos about that, and then videos because I was really religious at the time would like I guess integrate both religion and debate, and then Darth came up. Then I thought like, oh, Darth is slamming these people. Yeah, and then
Little did you know.
yeah,
Little
yeah,
did you
yeah.
know he's not.
He's not the
Well,
hero I thought he was.
how much experience did you have in philosophy when you got caught up into the Darth whirlwind? Is somebody
Nah,
saying?
and
I see one person putting a speaker in the comments. I assume they're saying that the audio is too loud. Justin is much louder than the others. Okay, that's what I need to know. Not a
Oh,
problem.
yeah.
I'll turn mine down.
That's a you issue.
That's easy to fix. That's not a problem, and I can turn them up too. Don't worry about that. Okay. Thank you for the heads up, but just putting speakers in the comment is not as helpful. Y'all have to you have to tell me what I need to do. But thank you for the warning. Let's see if this is better. Blitz and Logic are too quiet. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
How's now? Is that better?
It's like a 10-second delay, so we should hear it in a second.
I think that generally TikTok's pretty quick.
Yeah, actually. Where's Ian? Well, see, Ian is out today, so we got.
I think with sickness.
Yeah, yes, he's infirm. So.
He actually canceled his last live stream too.
Oh no, is he okay?
I think it's like a sinus infection or something. I think that's what it said in
Okay.
the Discord.
Okay. I got y'all's audio turned up, so it should be better.
Good.
I do have one feature that I've got plugged into my studio, not into VDO yet, that I haven't tested, that should equalize all of the audio to the same level. We'll see this week if it works. I'm testing that on Monday.
Okay.
So it'll
good.
automatically adjust everybody's volume. All right, so we've got 2 guests and a couple of super chats. So let me do this. I'm going to grab, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 super chats, and then we're going to get No Good Nolan, and then Mr. Biscuit Speaks, fabulous name. C-Bar, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the $5 super sticker. Big W. And also from Mr. Payco for $20. Thank you so much, Monkey Boy on Unapologetic. Let's fucking go. I mean, it was inevitable. You knew it was going to happen.
It was
We
inevitable.
have to have fill-ins.
Necessary even.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fill-in
For
is funny,
when-
by the way.
we have to have replacements for when one of us is
Fill-in is
missing.
okay. It's just a good bit for when we're filling in a Philbro.
Fair
They're
enough. Fair enough.
interchangeable, don't you know?
That's true. That's true. Chase Teaches Physics says, "Hey, Monkey Boy, good to see you out here." It is actually. Thanks, Chase.
What's
And last
poppin',
one,
Chase?
last one from our friend Genji. Thank you so much, Genji, for the $100 super chat. Let's get 100 W's in the comments for Genji.
That's
That's
enormous.
huge support.
That's
Thank
very
you so
early.
much.
It might be too early for that actually.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm still like half asleep.
No,
I
we're
got,
just
like,
getting
5
ramped
hours of
up.
sleep. Yeah.
Just getting ramped up.
You know, we'll get somebody on who's like we'll get a screaming match going and then save that for later. I mean, don't actually send them now too, but save it for later.
But
me
saying
take a
hello
look at the
from
guest
outside
list.
the U.S., given all the crazy shit, relocated my mixed race family to a different continent. Oh shit! I hope the relocation went well. That's not an easy task. But yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. It's kind of a clusterfuck here in the States right now. So be safe, and thank you so much for supporting, friend. A huge W to Genji. I
we
wouldn't
do
mind
appreciate it.
getting to a better location, but to be fair, I don't know.
And what's better than Central Midwest place? I
We-
actually don't know if people know where you live. Of course, actually, maybe of course they know they know where you live.
Well, listen, the thing of it is that
roughly.
Ohio is the heart of it all. And so,
Is it though?
I'm keeping it real.
Monkey Boy, what part of the country are you in? You don't have to dox yourself if you don't want to, but like approximately.
I'm from Jersey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jersey.
shit.
Yeah.
That explains
No,
it.
actually, I've heard good things about Jersey. Like
Jersey's not bad.
yeah, like good things in the sense that like you'll always have stuff to do. You'll never miss out on like food opportunities. Like there's nature where you want it, but there's also lots of people. You know, I've actually heard like good things about Jersey.
To be fair, I go to New York for all the fun, so
Well, yeah, but it's right there. That's the point.
yeah.
You don't need to it's like saying, you're just driving down to it's like, well, I don't know. I guess you don't drive. You probably take the train, right?
No, I draw there.
You drive to New
It's
York?
not. Yeah, I mean,
Like in the
it
city?
depends what part. Well, it depends on what part.
Okay, I was gonna say because
Not
I
not
thought that
everywhere is
nobody drives.
accessible via
I
drive.
thought that nobody drives in the city because there's too many cars.
Well, anyways, we've got two guests waiting to get in, and we'll grab No Good Nolan first, and we'll get the first conversation started. We keep starting out these, like our first caller the last couple of weeks have been a philosophy caller, so I'm curious if that trend will continue. No Good Nolan, how you doing?
Christian colonizer. How are you?
Oh, he is
Doing well.
he is extraordinarily quiet for me.
I can't.
There's
hear
a dead nigger baby on your screen. There's a dead nigger baby on your screen.
What a
Like I can
winner.
hear him, but it's like Jiminy Cricket whispering in my ear.
Yeah, I'll take
like-
care of that.
Trust your conscience.
let your conscience be your guide. Yeah, no worry about that.
Can we talk
so,
about how Jiminy Cricket didn't look like a cricket at all?
um,
He was just like a green guy.
now I'm trying to remember what he looked like.
He's literally just a green dude. He has two arms, 2 legs. He's shaped like a person. Like he's just a green guy wearing a top hat.
Yeah, you're right. Well, you didn't need to hear what that guy had to add to the conversation. It was disgusting, and their account probably got canceled. So let's go on to Mr. Biscuit, and we'll see if this is any better. Real, representatives
what was he
for God
saying?
out here.
Did he just come on and start slurring?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
just immediate slurs. Yeah,
That's so
how
funny
you doing,
because I
this-
couldn't hear anything he said.
it was better that way. How you doing, Biscuit?
Hey, good. How's it going?
Good. You guys can hear Biscuit, right?
Damn, that's loud. Yeah,
I
no,
can
it's
turn
not
it-
too loud.
Oh,
It's just
super
like
loud?
it's
No,
just
I
good.
was
It's good.
probably yelling.
It is
Yeah,
super
I
loud,
think you were
but
just excited.
I can turn them down.
So, Mr. Biscuit, do you believe in a God, Mr. Biscuit?
How's it going?
It's going all
I
right.
do, and I was actually excited about you guys' prompt because you're actually bold enough to make a claim. A lot of atheists
Yep.
avoid that.
Yeah.
So if God's not real is a claim, can you give us any reason to believe that claim?
Yeah, before
Yeah.
we get started though, I just want to know, just so then we can lay out the ground rules, like what kind of evidence are you looking for? Are you looking for like deductive arguments? Are you looking for like empirical justification? Are you looking for like historical? Like what kind of thing would you find most compelling? Just that way then we know kind of how to approach it.
It's difficult to. That's a good question, but it's difficult to answer. Like, I don't know what would compel me to believe a proposition that I don't believe in already. But I guess anything that you think would give gravity to the claim, I'd be interested in hearing.
Well, Monkeyboy, do you want to start out?
Sure. I mean, should I just try giving low priors or?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Whatever you feel like. It's all you, man.
You gotta pull
Yeah,
over though,
so-
Mr. Biscuit. You can't drive in live, my friend.
Oh, I'm hands free.
That doesn't help.
Is your phone
It's
in a
a-
holster?
Oh. Yes, my
It's a
phone is
TikTok
on my
TOS thing.
dashboard.
It is a TikTok 2S thing though. There is a rule
Oh,
against it. Yeah.
I can pull over. I was heading to the
Yeah,
YMCA. I can pull over right here.
Just pull over.
Okay, cool.
It won't be a big deal. Yeah.
We're not trying to be like
Yeah,
dicks
no
about it,
worries.
but like we just don't want to get in trouble with
like
TikTok.
my only real
No, that's
exception is like
that's a good rule. So
once like everyone has a self-driving car 20 years from now, it probably isn't a problem, but for now it kind of is. Yeah.
gotcha. Yep, I'm pulling over right now.
Cool.
All right, I'm stationary.
All right.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, we do have various forms of inductive evidence, though, the strength of which is probably controversial, but we know that all agents are embodied, as far as we know. That might even be a case that it's epistemically necessary, but at the very least, that provides you some degree of reason to believe that God is unlikely. We can at least agree to that, right?
Yeah, but if I were to remove the agential property from God and just say God is an aware being with the omni properties, would that no longer be God?
You're saying, when you say he's not an agent, that means he's not receptive to reasons? Or what is... what does that mean?
Agents typically have desires, and I see God as a perfectly fulfilled being. So if God had desires, there could be a greater conceivable being than God.
Wait, are you a Christian? Did we ask that yet?
Yes.
You don't think God has desires?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead, Monkey Boy.
I am.
I'll address this later. Go ahead.
Well, you don't need desires to be
Yeah,
an
no, I don't
agent.
believe God has desires.
Sure, but to be an
Now,
agent
that's
needs
a
to
fair
be
point.
reasons
Agent
receptive.
is it's a bit of an accordion term. Receptive to reasons. I
would,
don't know,
like,
because I
a
think that
being-
some of those
would,
some
like,
of
a
the
being with a
agential
mind
properties would like.
Help clarify here.
Yeah, no, I think when I think of minds, I think of cognition, and so I don't believe that God has a mind.
But to
you
not
think-
have a mind,
Because
to
when I
not
think of a
know
when
stuff, believe stuff.
I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I think knowledge depends on awareness. Awareness is the capacity for knowledge, and I believe that God is an aware being. But minds come after awareness. Minds are something we have,
So,
and minds develop. So a mind changes, but God doesn't change.
but the issue is commonly doxastic attitudes are taken to be mental states. So, types of attitudes about propositions are types of mental states. Do you deny that, or?
Yeah, I think that propositional knowledge would require like mental states. Sure, mind states.
So, what does God know? Does God know any? Like, what kind of knowledge does God have if not propositional?
Yeah, I think that God is the prerequisite for knowledge, which is like subjectivity, self-referential awareness. And then from that self-referential awareness comes the capacity for experience, for minds, for knowledge. So God is the ground of all of that knowledge, whether the knowledge is propositional, procedural, participatory, or perspectival.
I mean, look, you can just change the low priors argument. You can just like reframe it, because you could just say like, look, things that have awareness tend to be embodied. At least all of them in our experience tend to have that property. So the same argument runs through. Just change the agential property to the aware property.
It's to say that things that have awareness tend to be embodied. I don't know of any being that has awareness. Awareness is the being. not the having. So what you have is a body, and what you are is awareness.
Okay, so things that are
So
aware
that's
things that are aware tend to have bodies. Does that help?
they tend to have. Well, I mean, yeah. They beings that are aware tend to have bodies, sure. But how does that show that they're, that's just you're saying this is a tendency that I'm noticing. Beings that I, assume are aware, are beings that give me some evidence or some external, you know. But I mean, somebody who is asleep can appear dead, and they're aware. So,
Well, the point is that, given our background information, we have some degree of confirmation that there isn't a being without a body being there, meaning whatever it was that you said. That's awareness. An aware thing has a body.
well, I think that cognition kind of gives us a body, but I think that awareness is precognitive. So by cognition, what I mean, because cognition is really, that's complex, and I
We're not
kind of
talking
want
about
to
cognition
remain
anymore,
keep this
though.
kind of simple. But
We're not
we're
talking
talking
about
about
cognition
minds,
anymore.
and
No, we're not talking about
we're
minds
talking
anymore. We're
about
talking about awareness.
Okay, well, I have to make a distinction between awareness and minds, or unless you understand that already. Do you understand what I mean by the distinction between those two ideas?
You've at least made it clear that you think that there is a distinction, and then we can work with that. Perhaps it's not standard, but fine, we can work with that.
Okay, yeah. So I think that the latter, not awareness, but mind, is what is responsible for our perception of a body. And I think that that's detailed in the sciences. If we were to allow in just double the amount of bits of information that our brain processes, we wouldn't see bodies. We would see a stream of energies. We would
What?
dissolve into a sea of entropy.
There's no way that any of this is scientifically backed.
That's incorrect. So we actually see a low
Source?
resolution image of reality. I mean,
What's
I guess
the source
one
for
of
the
my
claim that if you double the amount of information that you take in, we would dissolve into a stream of entropy? I don't even know what
this
that
would
would
be
mean.
the free the sea of entropy idea is Carl Friston. He's the most cited neuroscientist in the history of the world. He was just on the Essentia podcast, and he said this exact thing. Right? He's actually a transcendental idealist, like Immanuel Kant
I
was.
just want to double check. Like, are we using entropy in the same way? Are we using
I don't
entropy
think
as
he
in like
is.
the the numerical quantity that corresponds to the number of microstates for each given macrostate? Like, is that what we're saying?
Entropy colloquially is just what we don't know about a system.
What?
That's like interpreted charitably. That's pretty close. But like,
Yeah.
why would us taking in twice as much information mean that? I don't even know what it means to dissolve into a stream of what we don't know about a system. It seems like it's like a category mistake.
Interesting. So I mean, we can either continue down this path,
We don't
or
have
we
to.
can, because I mean, I don't want to. Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
stay
It's
on
a rabbit hole. It's just like when I hear things like that, I'm just like, what is happening? But anyway, yeah. I mean,
No,
like,
and
look,
I
the point
think
is
we'd
that
have a fun conversation on that at some other time.
so I guess the point is that regardless of where these bodies seem to come from, whether they're like merely perceptual or whatever, it is the case that whenever we encounter a thing that seemingly is aware, it also seemingly has a body attached to it, right? And so the point is that at least gives us good reason to think that, or at least that gives us good evidence for the proposition that all things that are aware have a body attached to them. It's not deductive,
right,
but it's evidence.
Right, but what I'm saying is, in the deepest sense, I am not a thing that is aware. I am aware, which is not a thing.
Okay,
Things
this
are
is a
mental
semantic
objects,
distinction.
physical objects, and sensory objects. No, it's not
This is
just
not like
semantic. I was just explaining myself.
Look, okay, so you are aware, and you have a body
Aware
attached
is what
to
I
you.
am.
Other things.
A body is what I have.
Yes, I understand. So aware things have bodies. That's our observation of the world, right? They come
Right,
with bodies
and I think
attached.
what you're not understanding is, I've been aware since since as long as I can remember. Let's at least say that and agree on that. But during the time that I've been aware, right? I've lost several things. I've lost several objects. And never have I lost an object which reduced what I am, which resulted in the destruction of what I am. So why should I assume that the destruction of my brain, my heart, my body, things that I have, will result in the destruction
Well,
of what I am, which is awareness?
you actually don't have to assume this. This is the kind of thing that like we can test empirically. It turns out that when you damage someone's brain, their personality, even their awareness can change.
Right, but you run into an empirical equivalency error when you say that, because that argument assumes that the brain is a generator of consciousness.
No,
When
I'm not
the
assuming
brain,
that. What I'm saying is that we have reason to think that there's at least some sort of connection. Now, regardless of which way the connection goes, there's at least some
there's a
sort of
correlation
connection between the two.
Sure, and there's a
I'm
there's a
not saying that it's
correlation for sure,
causative
but
in one way or the other.
it's
I'm not saying it's
there you go,
causative
yeah,
in one way or the other. What I'm saying is that there is a connection there, and so, in fact,
sure,
that connection gives
yeah,
us more
I know
credence
that.
for the position that aware things come with bodies.
Well, I already know. Listen, we live in the same world. I know that awareness, or at least the demonstrations of awareness, have to be embodied in order to be demonstrations. That's just a tautology almost. What I'm saying is that I believe that the brain is a transmitter, not a generator of consciousness, and
Yes,
there's evidence for that as well. And
I
suggesting
understand. The
that when
point
you
of
damage the
all we're saying is that if it's the case that all of our experiences, all of our empirical data says something like, if it's aware, it's likely to have a brain, then it follows that the God proposition is unlikely, because it would
no,
be something that's
I can
aware
say
that doesn't have a brain.
I can say if it has a brain, it's likely to be aware. It has nothing to do with encapsulating awareness or
That's
assuming that
not the
awareness is
claim.
generated by brain states.
That's not the claim, and we're not making any assumptions. We're making a evidential argument. That's the point.
Right, but let me see if I can expose the assumption this way. Right, fire is an example of combustion. It's a demonstrable example of combustion. But combustion can exist without fire, just like electrostatic discharge can exist without lightning. Just because you see something and you say, okay, well, wherever there's lightning, there's electrostatic discharge. Wherever there's fire, there's combustion. That's true enough, but it doesn't imply that combustion or electrostatic discharge is limited
You're
to the
confusing
thing that you
inductive with
observe.
deductive reasoning. Look, if the only examples of combustion that you've ever experienced were, oxygen combustion or combustion of, say, fire, if that's the only kind of combustion that you've ever had any experience with, you would actually be justified in holding the position that all combustion produces fire. This is how we do. In fact, this is how we do science generally. We use the principle of induction.
Well, no, I think that David Hume proved that that's incorrect. Just because you repeatedly see
It's not deductive. Nobody's making a claim that it's deductively true.
two
This
correlated
isn't proof. This
things.
is evidence. This isn't proof. This is evidence. We're not making a deductive claim here.
Right. It just seemed like you were just saying that if you see enough correlations, you're rational in saying it's causal. But maybe I'm wrong. Regardless, what I'm trying to suggest
No, if
here,
you
just
see
to,
enough
make sure we
correlations,
don't get too far away from the topic.
Go ahead, Jamar.
Yeah, I mean, the consistency of correlation very tightly is an expectation generated on the hypothesis. Those things are causally wedded. So that would be some evidence if every instance were A, then B.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. Like if I had a dodecahedron, which is like a 12-sided die, and the number 1 is written on every side but 1, I can continue rolling that 1 for a really, really long time, especially if the die has like 100 sides, something crazy. It never
confused.
gives me a
When you
rational
say you
reason to
disagree
believe
with
that there
that,
isn't going to be rolled a 2.
Well, do we at least agree if A and B were causally wedded, what we would predict is seeing that in every instance of A, then B?
Can you paraphrase that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, if A caused B, then what we would predict, if that were true, is that if in every instance of A, then B.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Right, so that's a prediction generated on the hypothesis, and when we see those events come to fruition, we do have a degree of confirmation. That's just what evidence is. Successful predictions.
Well, right, but if the evidence of a correlation and the evidence of a causation match, then what gives you the rational right of assuming the latter instead of the former?
But the more frequent and common the correlation, the less probable that is, right? Because if they're not causal, it's very unlikely, if the sample is very diverse and large, that you would see those events consistently be seen together.
No,
Right?
I
So
don't
that's
see, like,
actually a
so
disexpectation on the
so
hypothesis
no,
to
no, no.
correlate it.
Whenever it rains, we see umbrellas come out. There's a strong correlation between the presence of rainy weather and the presence of umbrellas, and it's been happening for ever since umbrellas were invented, right?
I mean,
And
I'm not
yet
a genius,
there
but
will
I'm
never
pretty
be
sure
there'll
rain
never be
causes you to
a
pull out an umbrella, but
I was gonna say
no.
that's like a good
I mean,
There's
example
no
of like a
causal
causal
relation.
relationship.
The order of
he's stealing my word
operations
from me.
would pretty much tell you that umbrellas come out after the rain already starts.
Right,
And
umbrellas
like
come out after the
people
rain,
do
but
pull out
but see,
umbrellas because it's raining.
Do
So there
people,
is
but the thing is,
there's an
I-
explanatory
no,
do
but
or
people's
causal relation
personality
there.
change
No, but the thing is, like,
before their brain is injured or after their brain is injured?
there's a bunch of different questions now, so I guess I'll abandon what I was going to say.
Sorry,
Can you repeat
no,
that?
no, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
No, I'm just
No, I was gonna
reinforcing
say-
the umbrella theory. Like, if we're, what they're pointing out is that like there is correlation, there's data, but you can like the order of operations kind of is like the point of observation. So like if people's what they're saying their personality goes through drastic changes when their brain is injured, what comes first, the injury or the personality change? It's the same concept as the umbrella and the rain. But that's all I had to say about that. You guys keep going.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No problem. Yeah, and I mean we can get back to the point, but the rain doesn't necessarily cause the umbrella. Like I, for instance, enjoy the rain. I like it to rain on my skin, so I don't prefer an umbrella. So A does not necessarily lead to B, and so you're kind of equivocating on causation there. But if we were to move back
Causation doesn't
to the,
have to be like a necessary relationship, by the way. Like
and that's
that
fair.
wasn't part
And,
of.
yeah,
that wasn't part of the
that's
assertion.
fair. Just getting back to the main discussion, what would be irrational in the assumption that subjectivity? I am a subject, and I was a subject before I was aware of objects. Where is the rational problem that I'm making? And I'm asking this genuinely. When I say, well,
Subject
why not
before
just
you were aware
assume
of object?
that a subject? Correct. The subject just means a self-referential awareness. I.
For what it's worth, I actually don't think that's true. That you were a subject before you were aware of objects.
Okay.
I think like as far as human psychology is concerned, like child psychology, like the notion of like self-awareness, I imagine comes quite a bit later than like just the observation and like awareness of other things around you, right?
You know what? I think that's actually really fair. Like, so subjectivity is not necessarily self-referential. Like metacognition is something that you kind of develop later. But I was aware before I was aware of objects. Is that a fair adaptation
I mean, I
of
think
what I
that's
said
probably
before?
necessarily true.
Yeah. So why shouldn't I assume then that an aware being gave rise to the space and time that in which we observe objects, being that space and time is what we mean by the universe?
So
What's the
it sounds
irrational
like what you're
move there?
conflating. To be clear, I don't know if anybody's saying it's irrational. We were giving an argument for.
No, I was
the
just wondering. Yeah,
contrary,
you guys
but
didn't say that. I was just wondering.
I think that there's probably a conflation that's happening here, namely that it is true that that in some sense your awareness is prior to your awareness of things, or it's at least like it's at least grounding, right? You must have awareness in order to
Sure.
be aware of things, but it doesn't therefore follow that awareness itself is prior to things. Awareness is prior to awareness of things, not to things. And so
Well,
to then
I
say,
mean,
oh
no,
well,
here-
like I'm not saying it's irrational, but it's certainly not like a conclusion that you can reasonably draw from the observation that awareness is prior to awareness of things.
Now, here's what's kind of funny. And tell me if there's a hiccup in this. And I know you're not saying that I'm irrational. I'm just asking, like, point out the irrationality to me if it shows up. Like, if I say, imagine a tree, in order to properly imagine a tree, you almost have to abstract it from everything to which the tree is connected. So typically when I say imagine a tree or anything, like you're not going to imagine the root system or the soil that the tree needs or the water source or the sunlight. All of these things are connected to a tree, and yet you abstract the tree from those things in order to imagine it. So I think everything, when we call it a thing, is necessarily a mental abstraction away from like the whole connected thing. And so based on that observation, and tell me if I've done anything wrong so far, based on that observation, it seems that we do create things. Like there aren't mind independent things, because the nature of a thing is that it is abstracted from everything else it needs to be what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like all you're saying is that if, like, there is no such thing as a tree. Like, there's not even a biological category of a tree. A tree is like a class of things that look a certain way. And so, like, if you say, yeah, like, we construct like this abstraction of what a tree is, and it's probably like the kind of thing that we draw when we're 6 with like a brown stick piece and then a green cloud on top of it, right? But like, that's
Right.
that's perhaps peculiar to a tree, because a tree is not an actual, a tree is a constructed human category. It's not
Yes.
any given object in the world. But on the other hand,
Absolutely.
if you say imagine your wife, there's no abstraction happening there. I know exactly who my wife is, so I can just imagine what my wife looks like, what her personality is like, what the kinds of things that she would say, all of these things. So there's no abstraction there. This is an object. I don't treat women like objects, by the way, but this is an object in the non-derogatory sense, that exists in the world, and I am aware of that object, and so I can consider it. I can imagine it.
Sure. But I mean, I guess you still see what I mean, even though you made a good point, like with the pivot to the wife, which is far more complicated, I think, than imagining a tree. Like imagining, her mental state, her subjectivity, even though you can only see the objective side of her, the phenomena. I think that it's safe to assume that, cognition is what is responsible for things, for our observation of things, meaning a separation and an abstraction of an object from the whole to which it's connected. Cognition is responsible for that. And we are aware prior to being cognitive, based on what you accurately said about, the baby having to grow up and to learn cognition from nature and nurture, right? And so I think what's fundamental, that awareness comes before things and therefore creates the space and time in which things are observed. Because all time represents is measuring experiences, right? Measuring change. And that change occurs when we begin cognizing.
I mean, like, there's a lot of like underlying like metaphysics that were kind of just presupposed. It's not clear to me. Like, look, like, you can be an idealist, I guess, but like, surely we can agree that it's at least observationally the case that awareness seems always like it's attached to something that's, something with a brain, say, or perhaps, maybe if you think trees are aware, you can say it's attached to something with a body of some kind. And so all the claim, like, it's a very simple claim. Like, you have a hypothesis, the hypothesis makes a prediction. If the prediction comes true, then you have evidence for your hypothesis. Do we agree that that's like the basic kind of a hypothesis testing method?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the hypothesis is that awareness is the kind of the kinds of things that can be aware, the kinds of things that are aware, are the kinds of things that are attached to bodies or have bodies, so however you want to phrase it. And then we go and we say, okay, well, given that hypothesis, we go out and we look at the world, like, oh, well, what's your name? Mr. Biscuit. Mr. Biscuit is aware. Mr. Biscuit also has a body attached. I assume Mr. Biscuit's aware. Justin's aware. Justin has a body attached. Jamar's aware. Jamar has a body attached. I'm aware. I have a body attached. So this is all evidence. This is all confirmatory pieces of data that align with our hypothesis. So we have evidence to think that the hypothesis is true. It's not proof. Nobody's claiming that it's proof, but it is evidence.
It is evidence of a kind. I agree, but something makes me feel like you're making the same mistake as I would make if I assumed that a character on the television created the television, right? Because awareness is that within which experiences occur. And my body is an experience that I learned about, right? I didn't believe in it when I was born. I had to be reminded. I mean, when I first learned to eat food, I would put the plastic spoon to my forehead instead of my mouth. I had to learn my
Yeah,
boundaries,
that's all.
or
That's all fine. It could be the case that you had some degree of awareness before you understood or before you were aware of your body. That's fine. It doesn't mean that you
no,
didn't have a body attached.
but what I'm saying is, I have all these experiences. I experience rocks, trees, concrete, the sky, the moon, and then I have this other experience of my body. And my body is a strange kind of experience because it's like, if someone knocks on my chair, I don't feel it. But if they knock on my body, I do register a feeling. And so there's like what I think Carl Friston would call a Markov blanket, something which protects the inside from the outside. But in reality, my skin is an osmotic membrane. It participates with the entire environment. What right do I have to say that I am the body, right? Or that when you say, whenever I see consciousness, consciousness is embodied, like there's a body. But what rational right do you have to cut it off there, as the body is the body is participating with everything outside of it? Like, is that an arbitrary line we draw where we say the body is where I am, is what's housing consciousness in some weird way? Why should we assume that?
I don't really think that there's that it's really an assumption. I mean, the reason why we say that we occupy a body is because we have direct access to the goings on in our body, right? Like if somebody punches a tree, it doesn't hurt me. If somebody punches me, if somebody punches my leg, it does hurt me. So there's like a clear dividing line there.
Sure, yeah, and you're appealing to the experiences that you will have, right?
Yeah.
If you see me punch a tree,
like our
that's an
experiences are directly
experience.
tied with a particular physical arrangement of stuff.
Right. Yeah. The experience becomes more intense when your body is involved, especially involuntarily, like in the case of a punch. Yeah. I mean, I just don't see this as evidence sufficient to convince me. And I know that I'm talking about psychological states now, right? It's like, who cares? But it's like, awareness is the only thing I can take to the bank. Like, it's the only thing anyone knows for certain. And then we have experiences after that. And it seems like for some reason you've decided to prioritize the latter over the former and assume that the latter gives rise to the former. And I guess the idealist is a bit more of a
isn't
skeptic.
built in, by the way. That's not built in anywhere in the conversation.
Which assumption?
I didn't hear that assumption throughout the entire argument, that they listed that as not the primary argument like 10 minutes ago.
It's not
Okay,
that
would you mind
somehow the
reminding
body
me?
gives
I
rise
must
to
not
the
have been
mind.
listening.
The argument is not that the body somehow gives rise to the mind. The argument is completely agnostic to that claim. The argument is just that whichever one gives rise to which, whatever the explanation for the correlation, there is a link between the two, such that we have reason to infer that they are always present together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that with the fire example, like we see a correlation between fire and combustion, but combustion isn't necessarily the result of fire. So I think we've kind of
You
gone
understand that
full circle.
You understand
a
that
little
if you're pushing back on that, then you're just pushing back on the entire scientific inquiry, right? Because like this is what we do in science. Like we form a hypothesis, we propose some sort of mechanism or some sort of model or whatever it is, and then from that hypothesis we make predictions, and then we just go out and look in the world and we run experiments, we make observations with telescopes, whatever it is. We go out and we see, is it the case that every time A happens, B happens? And if that's true, then we're like, well, that's evidence that, that we go out and look in the world and we see that, is it true that every time A happens, then B happens whenever we examine A's? And then we say, well, yes, that does seem to come true. Therefore, we have evidence that whenever A happens, B happens, not just that sometimes when A happens, B happens. This is how we do science. And so, like, unless you're willing to throw out the entire baby with the bathwater, like,
No.
I don't think that this is the line of reasoning you should go down.
No. I think you're totally right. I just think you're modally confused. And by modal confusion, I mean like the being mode versus the having mode. I completely agree with your examination of the neural correlates, right? There is a correlation between brain states, meaning when I, touch or excite a region of the brain that manifests in an experience for the person who owns the brain being excited, let's say, right? I'm familiar with the neural correlates, right? But those experiences are things you have. That is the having mode. I'm talking about what you are. I'm talking about the capacity for those experiences, the observer
We're not
of the
even there.
experience.
We're not even there. We are just at the point that,
So-
like, look, we have a hypothesis.
But now that
whenever
we've
there's
agreed,
whenever there's
we can go there.
Wait, so you agree that we have substantial evidence that whenever there's an awareness, there's a body attached?
No, wherever there are mind states, there are correlated brain states.
We're
That's
not
all we've
talking about
established in
mind states
neuroscience.
or like none of that was anything that any of us said.
So
The argument
there's
is that
no
whenever
so
seemingly whenever there's awareness,
maybe we
there's
have
a body attached.
But hang on. The problem is that you are saying wherever there are conscious experiences, wherever there are
No,
experiences.
I'm just saying awareness. I said the word awareness. Why are you changing my words?
Right, but well, the reason I'm changing your words is because I'm trying to help you. Maybe I shouldn't, so I'm going to stop now. So what you're saying, and I think we're going to disagree now, right? What you seem to be saying is that neuroscience and cognitive science has discovered that the brain and awareness, not just experience, but awareness, which is the capacity for experience, are somehow correlated. And I guess my challenge would be to show me any example
When
of that.
did anyone say that?
You just said awareness, and I tried to
I
correct
said
you, and you said that I'm
whenever
wrong.
awareness
So
is present, it's attached to a body. I've said nothing about causal relationships. I've said
Okay,
nothing
well,
about
show me that in the data.
physical mechanisms. I've shown nothing. I've said nothing about any of that.
If you understand, and it seems like you do, since you're pushing back a lot, if you understand my distinction between awareness and experience, and you seem to, understand the distinction I'm making, then I'm not aware of any data that suggests that neuroscience or cognitive science has discovered a correlation between brain states and awareness. They found
not making that claim. We're not making that claim at all. We haven't brought up neuroscience. I mean, like I brought up like this fact that there seems to be a link between them, but like that's not the claim that's under investigation. We don't need neuroscience to make this claim. We just need ordinary observation of the world and the people around us.
We're
Right,
just
but
saying
the
our
people
body of
around us are-
information that all bodies are accompanied, or all minds are accompanied by bodies.
No, you want to say
Gives us
awareness,
some
not
reason.
minds, because he thinks they're different.
Or yeah, right. That all awareness is accompanied by bodies is a reason against theism.
No. If we imagine that awareness is the ocean, right, and that the mind is a whirlpool within the ocean, and experiences are waves, right? Seeing the presence of whirlpools, which are self-referential entities. A whirlpool is a self-referential entity. It takes the waves, which are the experiences, and it changes the trajectory in order to sustain itself, right? So if we look at a whirlpool, the evidence that there are whirlpools doesn't suggest that the ocean is limited to the whirlpool in any sense. And that's and this is the, I mean, if physicists are trying, like,
Okay,
when
can I-
science educators,
can I
and hang
use
on,
that
I want
analogy?
to land.
Go ahead.
Oh, if I can just land this statement real quick. I've met several science educators. I'm a science nerd. And when quantum physicists want to attempt to explain quantum realities to the public, to the autodidact like myself, they always will refer to oceans and lakes. Like, imagine a lake, and the wave is like, this and that. And so this is a thought experiment that applies to kind of how I'm thinking about this. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, we can use this analogy, right? Suppose that we say we'll use the lake. So awareness or awareness is the ocean. Suppose that we say, well, look,
Yes.
we see a lot of oceans. Every time we see an ocean, it seems to be like on a planet. Well, then we would have good reason to infer that anytime there's an ocean, it's on a planet. That's all we're
Okay.
doing.
Right. And I mean, I think you've just introduced a new analogy, which is fine. But if we were to deal with the initial analogy, which is that the ocean is awareness,
wasn't
because But I understand, like you've changed the reduction base in your analogy. I get it, right? We're having an argument
in
over
this case, the
metaphysical reduction
ocean is
bases.
the awareness, the body or the planet is the body. That's all. But don't
No,
read
I
anything too
understand.
much into this idea that like that somehow like the planet is like, you know, the thing in which the ocean
Right,
is. Don't
but
read too much into that. Like just all I'm
right, but
saying is that the point is that if we see, like, do you agree that whenever we go out and we try to figure out stuff about this reality that we live in, whenever we have a reason to think that something has awareness, it always happens to be the case that it seems like it's attached to a body. Do we agree on that?
well, a sign of awareness is going to have to appear with an experience, and we know that awareness doesn't have a color. Awareness doesn't have a shape, right? It doesn't have, right? So in order
Yeah,
to
we
observe something
indirectly
with our
infer
eyes, which are
awareness,
built for
generally.
experiences, of course. And so it's like, you know, if I'm trying to, you know, play a song, right, I'm going to have to get it through the radio. I'm going to have to get to the right signal. It doesn't mean that the radio is producing the signal. It's just dialed in, right? And if you damage the radio, of course, you damage the ability of the signal to come through properly. That's the reason I said that your analogy with changing brain states to changing experiences is an empirical equivalence fallacy, because that works whether the brain is a generator or a transmitter. You assume it's a generator. I assume it's a transmitter. I think I have better data.
Even if it's the case that it's a transmitter, even if it's the case that it's a transmitter, or that it's a transmitter, it's still true that whenever we see awareness existing in this world, it's always attached to a body.
That's been the argument the whole
See, but
time.
that's
I don't
the
know why
problem.
we keep going to
No,
the source versus destination argument.
The reason we keep going back, and I thank you for DZ for reminding us that we keep going in these circles. The reason we keep going back into these circles is because awareness is subtly being confused for experience. All we see is experiences. So the signs of awareness. Someone who is in a coma, someone who is in a dream state, they are aware. Even someone in a sensory deprivation chamber, who has, I mean, imagine you're in a sensory deprivation chamber. We take away, you know, your hearing, your smelling, your tasting, seeing, touching, all of that. And then let's say we remove your memories and your motivated expectations. You are still an aware being. You're just not aware of anything. The difference between awareness and awareness of is one is a subject and the other is a subject-object relationship called an experience. You're confusing awareness with awareness of. And that's the reason we keep going in the circles.
Okay. As long as you can agree,
what neural correlates
as long as you can
are-
agree that we can infer
Sorry.
that there exists other aware things besides ourselves. Can we agree to that we can infer this?
There are other minds besides our own, but I believe that awareness is one. And I have a logical
Oh,
reason
okay.
for
So wait a
believing
minute.
that.
So you can't even infer that there's anything else that has this property of awareness besides yourself.
No. It's not besides me. Awareness isn't a property that you have. It is what you are, and it's what every being. So you
Do you
are
think
the
a
same
rock?
awareness that
Do you
I
think
am.
a rock is awareness?
A rock is not. Well, a rock is fundamentally awareness, though it's not a conscious entity. It doesn't have beliefs or feelings.
Okay, I don't know
So
what it means
just
for a rock
like,
to be awareness.
Here's an example.
I don't know.
If I
Jamar, do you
say
wanna-
I'm
you wanna
hungry,
take over? I'm lost.
Here's an example.
Sounds
If I say I'm hungry, right? The thought I'm hungry comes from a conscious being, but the thought I'm hungry is not itself hungry, even though the thought is fundamentally awareness. And a rock is in the same position. It's just a physical object as opposed to a mental object.
Am I crazy? I still don't feel like this is actually addressing the argument. So, just to be clear,
I've addressed everything that's been said so far.
my understanding of the argument is that based strictly on numbers, not what causes what. When we see things like cognition, agency, that's what we started out with, agency, it is always accompanied by a physical brain. What we're trying to figure out is why should we have this idea that there could be some sort of agency or awareness without a physical brain. We're not saying one causes the other. We're saying when we witness this phenomenon, it is always paired with something else. That's the argument.
Yeah, whenever you see whenever you see a demonstration that someone is having an experience, a sign of an experience, you necessarily infer the prerequisite for experience, which is awareness. I don't see a problem with that at all.
But that's
But
not the
I
argument.
wish we would have dealt.
The argument's just a pure numbers game. That's it. That's why it's a priors argument.
So you're saying I didn't just steel man your point?
I don't think so.
So you're not trying to say, you're not trying to say that wherever we see experiences happen, because we don't see awareness. Awareness is invisible.
I said
Awareness has
agency,
no.
experience, awareness. You call it whatever you want to. When there is an
Sure.
agent who has the ability to make decisions, has the ability to whatever, to be aware of something, whatever you want to call it, that is accompanied by a brain. All of these things are accompanied by a brain.
Okay. I mean, there have been living people without a left or right hemisphere and who only have a brain stem who, according to the majority of neuroscientists, are aware. But then you're just going to move to say that consciousness is
Wait,
somewhere in the brain
are you
stem,
sure?
perhaps.
Can you give me examples of these people that only have a brainstem and yet majority of neuroscientists say that they're aware?
Yeah, I've actually looked into this before, and it's not quite as easy as the way it was stated. Typically, it's not just a brainstem. They actually do have parts of their brain that are at least underdeveloped that gives them some level of awareness and whatnot. But I am aware of the claim, and there are some people with there are a couple really rare cases where they have what we would call like minimal brain, and they still have some sort of agency. I think he's looking for it. It's called hydrocephalus. That that can't be the name
Are
for
you sure
it.
it's not anencephalus?
Hydrocephalus can't
Or
be the right term. I know what
No, no,
hydrocephalus
I think it's
is.
anencephaly.
Yeah, this response is not correct. The case he's referring to is a French guy, a 44-year-old French civil servant who lived a normal life with 90% of his brain cavity filled with fluid, and elderly patients maintaining normal social function despite severe ventricular enlargement. But you still have 10% of the brain. The question that I think needs to be asked is,
And you're just going to say that
how
consciousness
much
is there, or like in the 10%? That's kind of
how much of
convenient.
the brain is required for consciousness? Because
Well, to be clear, you're not talking about consciousness, we're talking about awareness.
even 10% of our
Awareness
brain
and consciousness are
is
synonyms.
way
Awareness
more.
and mind are
Would
not
you want me
synonyms.
to answer? Do you want me to finish talking or not? Only 10%
Dr.
of your
Blitz
brain.
started talking to me while you were
Dr.
talking,
Blitz
so that was
was
Dr.
not.
Blitz.
Okay, well, I'll just finish it while you're muted. So, only 10% of our brain is still much larger than mammals below us. There are mammals that have high levels of thought and cognition and have far less than just 10% of our brain. So, I'm not sure that you need all of the brain to have awareness, cognition, things like that.
I think in order to save your audience from experiencing the Dunning-Kruger effect in real time, you shouldn't study what you're learning about and like pretend that you're an expert because you're reading a Google.
I didn't say I was an expert. You talked about
Well, no,
a
you didn't
case
say. I mean,
where you talked about a case where somebody didn't have a
but why
brain
can't you
yet
just
they
say?
still had.
Why can't you just say?
You
Why
talked
can't you?
about a case where somebody didn't have a brain and they were still aware, they were still cognition, they still lived a life. So I went to look for the case you were referencing since you didn't mention it. And the case that you're referencing says that he was missing about 90% of his brain. Now, I'm no
Being
neuroscientist, but
muted
I
now.
know that the human brain is much larger than most mammals. I know that mammals with even a fraction of our brain still have awareness, they still have personalities, they still make decisions. So it's just an easy math game. Do we need all of our brain to have brain functions?
All right, we can move on. I mean, you're just going to keep muting me, I guess. I mean,
Well, if you didn't talk over me, I wouldn't have to.
we can move on from that. That's fair. That's fair. I would hope that, if you were to say something interesting and complicated, I would never like just open a new tab and start, Googling it on the spot and say, oh, yeah, shows that you're wrong. The thing that you pulled out of your brain and I just pulled up online. That's Dunning-Kruger. So, I mean, you
No,
might be
that's
right
not
and I might be
Dunning-Kruger.
wrong
I
based on the
told you it
one
was
example you pulled
complicated.
up.
Don't lie on me. I told you it was complicated before you even went looking for your source. I said it's more complicated than that because I've already looked into these sources. And yes, it's not true that there's somebody who's missing all of their brain living a normal life. That's Dunning-Kruger, the guy who didn't even read past the headline.
No, I knew about it before you pulled up the headline. I brought up
Well,
the
then
topic.
you shouldn't have misquoted it then.
There's not an it. It's not a one person. This happens to a lot of kids. This happens to a
Oh,
lot
you're
of
A
talking
lot
children.
of
about
them? Is
anencephaly.
that
So,
right?
so look, so there's hydrocephaly, which
Yeah.
is what Justin was talking about, and
Are
then
you
there's
kidding me?
anencephaly. There's anencephaly, which is a different deformity, disorder, whatever you want to call it, where
Sure.
essentially you just have a brainstem and then like some extra stuff there. Those kids, they usually don't like. It is very very rare for them to live to be even a year old, and I would be hard pressed to say that there's like an overwhelming number of neurologists who say that they have awareness.
Well, yeah, I mean, neurologists aren't going to assume that awareness is a
We
had
can say
thing. It's a being
neuroscientists.
mode. And all of that's fine. I mean, are you guys familiar with, and now the guy, I forget the name, and you can feel free to Google this. There's a guy who was hit in the head with a baseball. It's like 80-mile-an-hour baseball when he was 10.
Your
And then
your audio just cut
every
out.
day since then for the next 45 years.
Can you
Oh,
can
can
you
you
repeat
hear
that?
me?
Your audio cut out. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, there was a kid who was hit with a baseball when he was 10. It was like a fastball, and ever since that day, he's been studied by scientists. This is like a savant syndrome, sudden savant syndrome. I might be getting that wrong. But and I mean, there's a movie made about it, Rain Man, and there's a lot of people who have a particular kind of brain damage where instead of letting in the normal 40 to 140 bits of information that the brain filters out, they let in far more as a result of some of these networks shutting down. So after being hit with that baseball at 10 years old for the next 45 years, and he's still alive today, if you ask him the date of any day in that 45-year span, he'll be able to tell you what the weather was like on that day, what day of the week it was, and a couple of things that he did on that day.
Yeah. Okay. How does this address at all the claim about the brainstem only quote unquote person that has awareness?
What I'm trying to demonstrate is that it seems far more likely that the brain is a transmitter of something far wider. And this was Aldous Huxley's idea. That the brain, and we actually need this evolutionarily. We need something to, instead of being bombarded with all the information being presented to our senses 24/7, we need something that filters that into a simple group of icons for us to get around in the world. But we keep kind of going on these rabbit trails, and I think that's partially my fault. But
Are you saying our
yeah, I
consciousness
just
needs to
believe
be
simply and
filtered?
plainly that in order for us to accomplish goals, yes.
Why?
And those evolutionary chores are like feeding, fighting, fleeing, and reproducing.
Do angels have a brain where their filter is like getting their consciousness filtered?
Yes.
Angels have physical brains?
If what you mean by angel is angels are messengers.
Do they have
The
physical
word angel
brains?
means messenger. So in like the book of
Yeah,
of
I'm
course,
aware.
the angel of
Does
Thessalonica was a
just just
pastor
to
of a
be
church.
clear, you think that no, I'm talking about the ones that live, the hosts of heaven, the ones that are not here on
Oh,
earth.
you're
Do
talking
they
about
have physical
celestial
brains?
entities. I don't believe so.
So why don't they need filters?
Because angels, I think in that sense, are more like ways of being. Like if you talk about angels and demons, a demon's role, the demon represents our tendency to identify with transient things like objects, the means by which you might say, I am the brain or I am the body.
So
Silly things
do
like
It's
that.
demons.
do angels have awareness?
Nothing has awareness. You either are or are not awareness. You
Are
might
they
have a body.
aware?
An angel, and I don't think would be an aware being, but I'm not an expert on angels
Are
and
they
demons.
agents?
I don't believe so, no.
And how did
Oh,
they do things?
Like I said before, I've already defined my term, so it seems like you're not listening to my term and then asking questions as if I didn't answer. So
Did
maybe listen again. What
if
I said
agents
is
aren't
no.
if angels are not agents, meaning they can't like think or carry out tasks, how did they think and carry out tasks in the Bible?
Okay, would you mind allowing me to redefine and maybe listen this time to what I said I think an angel is?
Yeah, and you can be as condescending as you want to. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
How am I being condescending by asking you to listen based on, I mean, the
I
questions that
did.
you're asking
I
are,
did
you
listen.
sound like you're not
And
listening.
if you come up here and
So
be a
what,
prick, I'll be a prick to you.
how am I being a prick? I said
Just carry
you're
on with
not
the
listening to
just
me.
carry on with the argument. You'll get what you need.
If Are you, can you steel man what I said a demon was? I
Go
defined
ahead.
it.
Go ahead and define it, buddy.
Okay, so you can't. So listen
It
this
was a
time. A
it was a word
demon or
salad.
an angel. Okay, that's just epistemic exhaustion. Do you want to tap
No, it's
out and let
not.
me talk to the other two?
How about you actually give me your definition? Because your first definition didn't cover it.
You're feigning epistemic exhaustion. You're pretending, oh, this is so complicated. I haven't
And
said
you're
anything complicated.
crying. What is an angel? You said it's a state of being. What the
Uh,
fuck does it even mean?
I didn't say a state of being. I said a way of being.
It's the same thing. A way and
okay.
a state is a mode.
So what I said I defined demon first of all. I said a demon represents our tendency and temptation to identify with transient things, which is the reason when
Yeah, word
the devil
salad.
showed up in the garden.
Well,
Can
how
you
do you have
explain
a
what you mean by
tendency
a
without?
demon represents?
How do you have
'Cause
tendencies
Listen,
without
listen, guys.
agency?
Like, I
Imagine
was just
saying
about
that
to
something
explain that.
has tendencies but not awareness, not
Do you
agency.
hear this guy? This
If
is
you
just a
use
clear
lots of
violation of the
words,
cooperative
you can
principle.
sound smart.
I'm just a little bit
Are you
perplexed,
worried
right?
about
Because
not
like,
sounding smart?
Actually,
look,
I'm not worried
so
about sounding smart. You are.
so
Then don't
you
bring
said
it
that
up.
demons
Come on.
represent something, but that's not telling us what a demon is. It's telling us what they represent.
That's a good point. So I think that everything is fundamentally awareness. I am an idealist, so I believe God is
Including demons.
purely subjective awareness. Oh, absolutely, everything. The Bible says God creates evil and creates good.
Okay, so demons
So
are
I think
awareness. So demons are awareness. Now, does that mean that demons are capable? Are demons capable of like demons are things, right? They're not just representative, but they're things because they are awareness.
no,
Oh, they're not things? Then how are they
no.
awareness?
I'll remind you of another part in the conversation that I went to. Remember, we were talking about rocks, and you were like,
Yes,
"Wait,
and
wait
I
a second,
remember
is a
exactly
rock
what you were
aware?"
talking about. But a rock is awareness in
Sure.
your view. That and being awareness makes it a kind of thing. Awareness
Okay,
being a
I'll
thing,
continue.
right?
Okay, I'll continue. A rock, when I said that a rock is awareness, it means it fundamentally is awareness, but it is not a conscious subject, which means it's not having feelings, it's not taking in experiences, right? And then when you asked me about that, I went to thoughts. I said, hey, if I think I want a cheeseburger, that thought is fundamentally conscious, but the thought itself is not, the thought I want a cheeseburger doesn't itself want a cheeseburger, right? And so I believe that demons and angels and what the Bible calls spirits are not beings that are capable of having experiences. They're modes of interpretation. So when I say a demon is our temptation and tendency, I can actually back that up with every scripture within which a demon appears. The first one would
Look, but
be
that's not addressing my
Adam and
question.
Eve. The second one would be Job, and the third would be Jesus when he was
Not
tempted.
really. It's not really addressing my contention here. My contention is merely that we see, and Justin can correct me here, but I'm pretty sure that we see in the Bible, we see things like, well, in this case, angels carrying out tasks, achieving goals. And so, if they
Sure.
are awareness and they're carrying out tasks and achieving goals, in what sense can you say that they're not an agent?
Well, I mean, I think that the Bible, the biblical writers were not correspondence theorists; they were storytellers. And so I think that there's a lot of biblical anthropomorphization going on, and I think
Uh,
anthropomorphization is a lot
there
of
it
times
is.
appropriate when you're talking
Yeah,
about.
words don't mean words, of course.
You think that's what anthropomorphization means? Then
No,
you
that's what it means for you.
haven't studied.
When you read
haven't
the
studied
Bible,
phonetics.
I have. When you read the Bible and you don't like what it says, you said, "Oh no, it's anthropomorphic." So in First Kings,
studied- you-
when God talks to spirits, He's not really talking to spirits. The spirits aren't really responding. They didn't really carry out any tasks. It's all anthropomorphic. But what did they really do then? If they didn't really have a conversation, what did they really do?
You're gonna have to bring up a particular text. I mean, we're off the topic of the
First
believe you
Kings
did.
22.
but I guess we've rabbit trailed so much. You're gonna have to read it. I'm parked. Remember? You don't remember a lot.
True.
Can you read it for me? I don't have a Bible on me.
I'm more than happy to read it. I was just bringing it up already.
Yeah.
Did you think I wasn't going to read it to you? Is that what you thought?
You asked me a question. You asked me a question about it, having not read it. So I assumed,
Yeah,
you expected me to talk.
I didn't ask you about the verse. I asked you, how did they do these things if they didn't have agency?
And I want to know the context, meaning bring the verse, right?
So you don't have an answer. Just to be clear, you want to read
To
the
something
verse.
to something you didn't read?
You want to
Yeah,
read.
I don't have
you
an
want
answer
to
to
read the
anything you
verse.
didn't read.
So you didn't understand my question.
Dr. Blitz, you have to
So
know
you
this
weren't-
is silly,
so you
right?
weren't
Can somebody
listening?
jump in and help?
You weren't listening to my
He's-
question then.
You're freaking out right now. Like, can either of you guys like jump in
I think
and
you're
help
the
him
one
out?
freaking out, and the projection makes you look silly.
All right. The conversation's over, I guess. You guys were fun.
It's-
The two of you,
it's on,
not DZ.
It's on the screen. Who will entice Ahab so that they may go up
we
and
can't
fall
see
at
it.
Ramoth Gilead? Oh, let me get it on vertical real quick.
Yeah, it's not on TikTok. Oh, he left.
Of course he left. They always like when you read the Bible to him. Who will entice Ahab so that he may go up? This is what God says, right? Yahweh said, who will entice? How does he say things? It's so weird. Who will entice Ahab so that it may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? Then one said one thing and another said another thing until a certain spirit came forward and stood before the Lord saying, I will entice him. How are spirits having conversations without brains? It's so weird. Oh well, what are you gonna do? So that was a good time. Thanks for sticking that one out. I know the long one. How long did we have him on, guys?
Like more than an hour.
It was like damn near an hour of word salad gibberish. Anyways, let's grab some super chats. We'll get our next guest. It looks like, as far as I can tell, our next guest is going to be nameless. There's a nameless caller who I think was here first. No degrees in the queue, but no degree. We've talked to you so many times. I don't know how many times we want to keep doing it. Dr. Joe, hey, good to see you.
You just cut out
Thank
a
you so
ton,
much.
by the way.
I just cut out.
I don't know if it's your connection or.
It might have been a blip in my connection.
He didn't cut out for me.
Okay,
Oh, it might
maybe
be your
me then.
connection.
It's possible. Yeah.
Sorry about that. But Dr. Joe, thank you for the super chat. It says, guest is trying to combine academic disciplines into a coherent theory and is diluting his argument. He then has to appeal to authority and say, what is this word?
Sound it
Hold
out.
on.
Sound it out.
Sesquipedalian. What?
Sesquipedalian.
Holy shit. Language to assert his claim. That was a wild. I haven't learned this word. I've never seen this one.
It means like overly wordy, using complicated words, etc.
Yeah.
It's like a fallacy of using big words on purpose or something.
Yeah, well, that's obviously what he was doing, right? I think where I come from, we call that baffle him with bullshit, which is about what I think we're witnessing. Bryce Aroni, good to see your friend, says, time is more than a measurement of change. It also,
Yeah, I
now we're
didn't even
talking
wanna
about time
touch
again,
that.
Blitz. Sorry, Blitz, this is on you now. It's also a dimension of the universe affected by gravity. Time can affect awareness, relativity, but awareness doesn't affect time.
I didn't even want to get into that because like he would be like, oh, how do you know? That's based off of your experiences, which are, which the awareness is prior to, and therefore, it's actually the awareness that's causing the time to change the awareness. It's like, it would have been a waste of time.
Yeah.
I know when to waste time and when to not.
I get it. You have to pick your battles. Thanks for that, Bryce Aroni. And Zach Penetroff, good to see you. Did I say I said that wrong. Zach Petranoff. Sorry. Not Penetroff. That's not the one. Thank you for the $20 super chat. I'm still laughing at the guest saying that sleeping people appear dead. Yeah, if you are witnessing someone sleeping and they appear dead, you need to check for a pulse and call 911. I can't stop imagining someone who legitimately thinks every sleeping person they see is a corpse. Boring work meetings turned into a murder scene. True, actually. I've been in those meetings before. Philip Dragon, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. I write with a red pen, and for some reason, it always writes red ink. Oh, goodness, what a mistake. I shouldn't expect that red ink results in the red color. Obviously, they're correlated, but obviously they're not. One doesn't, cause the other the way you would think. So, writing actually turns the ink red. Oh, also from Metal, thank you for the super chat. Whenever we see awareness, it is attached to a body, is evidence. Whenever we see life, it's attached to a life giver, aka parents, not evidence. Well, yeah, life is attached to, well, chemical functions that are derived from cell replication that come from our parents. Is that what you're getting at? That's what I would say.
Well, no. So the point is that like this could be totally well justified. You say that like every living thing has a living thing that precedes it. We just have to be we just have to be careful what we mean by living thing, right? We would say that like it's some sort of biological organism that has XYZ traits and is capable of reproduction, whatever. And so then you would ultimately come to the conclusion that, you know, if we take that to its logical conclusion, we find that well, there's either an infinite chain of living organisms, or there isn't. And so if we can rule out the possibility of an infinite chain of living organisms, then it doesn't matter how strong the evidence is to the contrary, because it's been ruled out. But you're right, that would give evidence that every organism has an organism that precedes it. It's just we have stronger evidence to the contrary that lets us, you know, discount that evidence.
Yeah. Well, let's grab our next guest and we'll get a conversation rolling. We've got a bunch of people waiting to get on TikTok. The YouTube queue surprisingly empty today. YouTube might be, there's no courage on YouTube today.
No, nobody's brave on YouTube.
What about that? Okay. Well, we're trying to get this guest connected. I'm getting the loading dots of doom, and we'll see. Although I forgot to add the TikTok guest to the YouTube screen. My apologies. I'll grab that in a second. They might not connect. Still loading dots. They are not going to connect. Okay. Move on to the next. Sorry, come on back if you get a better Wi-Fi connection, and we'll keep moving on. The way, truth.
Hey.
Welcome in. Are you
Hello?
at least 18?
The way, truth. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm 18. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, I'm 22.
All right.
Cool.
And why are you a Christian?
I'm a Christian because a lot of the things that Jesus taught, I'm not an expert on the Bible, so if that's what y'all are looking for, that's not me. But when you look at the truth of Jesus, if you look at the truth of Jesus and you actually study what he's saying, it makes a lot of sense when you apply it to your own life. You know, he says, "Be slow to anger."
Okay.
Be slow to speak, slow to anger. You know, obviously stay humble. You know, don't go through the lust of the flesh. You know, pride, ego, all that. And I think that's truth because in my own life and in many other people's lives, it's made a real difference, and it's really changing people's lives as we speak. But that's why I'm a Christian.
Do you think that those are unique to Jesus? Like other people before him didn't teach about that?
Well, no, I mean, I'm sure people have taught about them, but I think Jesus came to show us the heart posture, the way of, you know, how to go about these things. A lot of the religions are just about rules, and you have to please God through your rules. You have to pray 5 times a day. You have to eat this or not eat this. The religion aspect of it really doesn't make any sense. But what Jesus is saying, it does make sense because all people can apply it and all people can see a improvement in their life from it.
Well, what happens if you don't obey Jesus' commands?
Obey Jesus' commands, like don't believe in him?
Well, he's got at least 2 commands, really. But, like, what if you don't
love your
obey
neighbor
those
as
commands?
yourself?
Well, those weren't his.
Okay. Well, if you don't obey those commands, I mean, if you want to spend an eternity apart from God, that's fully your wish, you know?
Right. So you just said that
you're not being forced to believe in God.
Well,
you're not being
you just said
forced
that,
to believe in God.
Well, you are, but you just said that the other religions were based on what we would call works. But you just told me now, if you don't do even like the one simple thing that Jesus wanted you to do, he'll like torch you, he'll light you on fire. How is that better?
I'm saying like the heart posture of it. You know, a lot of like in Islam, they believe that, you know, you have to pray 5 times a day. You have to follow the 5 pillars of Islam to be even considered into heaven. And what I'm saying is, as a Christian, I believe that it's a heart posture change. It's not more of following rules. It's following Jesus, and that sin is slowly washed away from your life, and you become a
Right.
more renewed, better person from those teachings.
Right, but what if you don't
That's
follow
what I'm
Jesus?
saying. I mean, if you don't follow Jesus, you can try it on your own, but
Well,
I don't
what's
know how
gonna
far that's
happen?
going to get you. I don't know how far it's going to
I,
get you. You know,
I
like
don't understand
humans
what
are
is
only
this
so
doing
limited.
for God existing.
It does not do anything yet. The
Well,
argument so far is
another
I
point I
like
did want to
Jesus,
make.
therefore his teachings, he's like everything he said is true.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
don't think everything he said is true, do you?
Well, I mean, obviously, yes. I believe that
Why?
Jesus is God, but
Well, what if I showed you
another
something
thing I
that
wanted
wasn't
to
true?
add. Can I add one thing?
Yeah, go
Another
ahead.
thing I wanted to add is that, if Jesus isn't real and he's not God and he was just some crazy guy from 2,000 years ago, why does everybody in the world have an opinion on him? Why is he mocked in movies, TV shows, and everything we do? And why do people use his name as a cuss word? Why are
Well,
those things
first of all,
happening
that's
if he's just a random crazy guy from
like
2,000 years ago?
none of those things are true, but also the first one is
It is
answerable
true.
in the same reason why we make fun of Muhammad for being a pedophile.
Okay, well, Islam, that's evil
How
religion. You
many
could read between the
name
lines and see that's
name
evil.
more than one movie that mocks Jesus?
Avatar, I've seen it in just the movie I was watching
Does that
the
I
other
haven't watched
day.
it. Does
I think it's
Avatar
Sorry,
called
what
mock
movie?
Jesus,
Us or
guys?
whatever.
Does Avatar mock
Which
Jesus?
which
It
which
does.
which
Avatar
Avatar
2
movie?
says that the
The
avatars
good one
were
or the
made
blue
from
one?
a fatherless. The new Avatar movie. It's basically the new Avatar movie basically
The blue
mocks
people one?
Christ in a way. If you really pay attention,
Wait, the blue
How?
people one is about Jesus?
that's Avatar. Yes.
So
No, it's not
I mean,
about
there's
him.
also
I'm saying
Avatar: The
they're
Last
mocking
Airbender,
him in his movies.
but the blue people one is about Pocahontas. It's not about Jesus.
No, but there's scenes in the movie that are mocking him deliberately.
How?
Like in the last
Look,
one
I've
I
seen.
just watched,
Okay,
The
I'm
Fire
gonna
and
reveal my
Ash.
true power here. I'm gonna reveal my true power here.
Okay.
I've seen blue people Avatar 23 times. What scene is mocking Jesus?
Okay. Okay, so there's a scene in that movie that basically goes as like they're talking about this girl that's the Avatar girl. I forget her name, but she's basically divine in some way. And
Are you talking about Neytiri, the love interest, the one who's literally Pocahontas?
I don't know. I think so, but it said it was basically in the movie explaining that they have she had no father and that she was born of a virgin. Basically,
Oh, you're talking about the one
what it's
from
trying to say
you're
in
talking
the
about the
movie.
third movie. So I haven't seen the third movie as many times, but I have seen it
Fire and
recently.
Ash, yes.
Yeah, so you're talking about the one that Grace's character's daughter that arose via parthenogenesis. So that's a real thing that happens in real life. You know that, right? Doesn't really happen to humans, but it does happen to other animals.
Okay. What's your point?
So how is this making
I'm
fun of
talking
Jesus?
about how the world. No, I'm just saying about how the world is mocking him. Like even
How is it
Monkeyboy
mocking
Logic.
Jesus?
I've been on Monkeyboy's Logic's live a couple times, and what he does is whenever people are not making good points, he'll go, Jesus Christ. Like, why are you saying his name if he's not God? If
Because
he's
we
not
speak
real,
English,
if
my
he's
guy.
just a
We
crazy
live in the
guy
United
from 2,000
States.
years ago. You
It's
shouldn't
an
be mocking
idiomatic
What I
his
don't
name.
understand
expression.
is-
It's not a mock.
But like,
It is though.
granted, people
You're
mock
using it as
God.
the cuss word.
It's not a cuss
Yeah,
word.
but look-
So the history of using Jesus' name in that fashion is it starts out as a plea. Lord help me, God help me. It exists in all other cultures and religions. It existed in the Western world as well. It starts out as a plea and eventually gets degraded because of culture into just a generic idiom for oh fucking holy shit. But it's not
like,
mocking
even
Jesus.
if we were wrong
Go ahead.
and it were mocking, it's not clear the significance that has with God's existence. Like, okay, like what is that? Is that supposed to be like some?
Well, I mean, obviously, anything that
reason
I
I think
I
God
know that
exists?
I'm intelligent enough to come up on this live and know that anything I say to you guys is not going to convey you or sway you to believe in God or prove that God is
Okay,
real.
but-
You guys are on this panel
I'm
because
asking
you have
you-
done this millions of times before, and nobody has proven to you yet that God is real.
Okay, sure.
So what
but
I'm saying
my
is I'm
question
taking a
for
different
you-
approach. Is that why is everybody in our world mocking him and saying, "Oh,
Yeah, but that question
and putting him
implies
down and
that
tearing Christians
those
down if he's not real. If he's not real.
Yeah, but
If
the
it's
point
not
is that
real and it's just
question-
crazy
yeah, but the-
lunatics, leave it alone, right?
Yeah, the point is that question implies that um, those facts provide you some substantial reason I think God exists, which is unseen how that gives you really any interesting reason I
I
think
can
God
say the
exists, if any at
simplest way
all.
that God
So my
exists is
question
that
is,
the universe is real. Like
uh, and how is the
What?
universe
came
being
into
real reason I think
existence
God exists? Why think the universe?
because
Well, let's assume
life
let's put
life
to the
like this
side.
cannot come from nothing.
Well, hold on,
It
hold on,
cannot
hold
come
on, hold
from
on. For a moment, let's put to
nothing.
the side the claim that the universe came into existence. If we just
Okay.
granted you that the universe came into existence, what exactly is the inference from that to God exist?
Well, because something has to give life to something. It can't just be like no
You're
nothing,
saying there has to be a
no
cause
life,
for
and
the
then
universe?
boom, life just exists. Yes,
Well,
there's
okay,
you
well,
can't
now
just
we're
say
talking about
the
two
universe exists
different
and what's
things.
behind it, nothing.
I don't know if there's a delay, but you're constantly over talking. But now we're switching from the existence of life to existence of the universe. We could attend to both of those, but not at the exact same time. So what I'm asking currently, if you want to in instead talk about life, my question for you is how granted the universe came into being, how we get from that fact to the existence of God.
Well, what I was saying was that the life has like there has to be something behind that, right?
I just
It can't just
clarified
be
we're not talking
nothing.
about life. We could talk about life, but we're talking about
Okay,
the
well, we could talk about
existence of the
life.
universe.
I'd rather talk about that because the
Okay,
existence of the
sure.
universe, it's kind of like more off. It's a more off topic
Okay.
that I can't
So
really, you know.
so what about the existence of life gets you to God?
Well, because evolution makes zero sense. Like atheists say that we need to believe in
Well, that's just
evolution and that we
incredulous.
came from
But if I,
monkeys and all that. It just doesn't make any
yeah,
sense.
but
It
but
doesn't.
granted, but yeah, I think you kind of have this impression atheists heavily lean on evolution, but seemingly as much academic scientists who endorse evolution are theists as well. It's not very controversial, but like if we
Okay.
grant you the evolutionary theory false too, like we could give you all these
Yeah.
toys to play with. What's interesting is how does that get you to God? I mean, it's not like evolution was an
I would say
alternative
that
theory
the
to
aspect
God.
of like I would say
Hmm.
some aspects of like free will get me to God, and also like evolution just doesn't make sense. It's like
You said that twice now,
it's
and
just
it's
it
already
sounds
granted
stupid when
evolution
you
false.
explain it. It sounds
But
stupid, but like
I mean, do you
I'm
understand
sorry.
basic tenets of biology? I mean, I wouldn't expect a layman to
Um,
appreciate the nuances of evolution, but look, if we assume being very charitable, we just give you all the weapons you want. So yeah, so evolution's false. Doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure what view you have on freedom. I think if you're a
free will.
libertarian, positions like that are far more silly than evolution. But um, whatever nature your theory of the nature of freedom is, what is freedom doing to get you to God?
Well, because I know atheists like to say that free will doesn't exist, and you know, but also I have another point to
Well,
make.
empirically, most atheists believe in freedom, but
If we're
there's
just a
still
byproduct of
people
our
survey,
DNA
but
coding in our cells, then that means that like no, there's no wrong in the world because I'm just a byproduct of my DNA and my cells.
None
I'm
of
just
that
doing a byproduct of
is
that.
responsive. None of this is responsive to anything that Jamar has said.
those are right.
Okay.
Those are also very controversial claims, but you're saying those are consequences of views that atheists don't essentially have to buy into. It's not if atheism, then there is no freedom. So when I'm asking you for motivations to get you to theism, it seems like you're ruling out views, but it's not clear how theism is favored in any way from that.
To me, it just if you just look at the world, it's just like it's just too much of a coincidence. Like plants and animals work together. The
But
sun gives
that's
us light.
okay. But
We
your
have
previous
perfect
thing was about
conditions on Earth
freedom.
to live.
Are we are we
If
abandoning the freedom, or is
if
it
we are
freedom in
not special
conjunction
in
with what?
any way,
Well, hold on. Before you continue, I'm clarifying. Is it are we abandoning the point from freedom, or is it now a conjunction of agents being free and whatever you're going on about? Because it seems to me that we've kind of pivoted from what the previous point was. Because what I'm asking you currently is how we get from humans are free agents to there is a God. Is he there?
Maybe.
You there, buddy?
No, no, he's gone actually. I
Oh,
I assume his connection dropped
he
because
disconnected probably. Yeah.
yeah, it didn't sound like he was getting ready to bounce. We'll give him a second to see if they'll get back up. Hey, I guess we'll give you a minute or two here if you need to reconnect. I got some super chats we can read, but we can't
Works for me.
wait too long. Get to a Wi-Fi connection. Do whatever you can, and we'll try to give
Pull
you
your
the
phone out of the water
opportunity
you
to
just
get
dumped
back
it in because you were getting cooked.
Oh no, it was boiling water.
Like,
Oh, goodness.
just imagine like somebody's getting demolished in a debate and they're just like, oh no, and they just chuck their phone into water to try to get rid of it.
To
so
be
funny.
fair, I think he was being polite. I mean,
Yeah, he was. He
w-
was.
he was
It's just
being.
a funny thought.
It is
Funny
though.
image.
Mr. Pako, hey, thank you for the additional $20 super chat. Thank you. I've seen Avatar 23 times. Is the most bonkers thing anyone has ever said on Unapologetic, and I cannot believe the award goes to Blitz. Yeah.
Look, it was like my favorite movie for a while.
And
I
I
actually
was a
think the
lonely
third
kid.
one's best.
The third one's really good. The first one, the first one was just remarkable because of the time that it came out
Yeah,
in, with
yeah.
like the graphics and like it was like stunning.
technology.
But the third one is very good. The second one was kind of mediocre. The first one was good. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
Anyways, I don't.
you should see it. It's a good movie. I'm surprised you didn't see it. You would have been like in your 20s, I guess, when it was when the first one came out, and it was like a big deal.
It was a big deal.
It was like-
everyone was talking
I mean,
about
it
the graphics. And I was like, I don't like going to theaters, and I don't have a high
Oh,
def
okay.
TV, so what do I care?
I love theaters.
That's fair. Yeah, I like theaters too. Actually, I really want to see The Odyssey in IMAX still, but
I saw it already. Not in IMAX, but that movie was peak.
well, the thing is, I hear that if you don't see it in IMAX, you're missing literally half of the film.
I heard people glazing the IMAX. I don't know what's so
I've
special
never
about
been
it, to be
yet.
honest.
It's twice as big, and like so the aspect ratio for IMAX is like more of a square. So they basically have to chop off the top quarter and the bottom quarter to make it appear in the normal widescreen format for movie theaters. So, you just get more. Like obviously you don't miss the story, but like you get more of the big shots and stuff.
Well, nevertheless, maybe I'll check it out. But I obviously not Avatar. That ship has sailed. Let's get Checkmate 004 in here, and then Craig, and then Sheik. Looks like the order, and surprisingly, no YouTube guests yet. Is our link broken today? What is happening? This is unprecedented, actually. Let me check it. tiny.cc/UA guest.
Nope, it's working.
It works. Okay. Weird. What a weird day. Is the vertical stream not getting sent out to the shorts feed?
That's possible.
Did they
In fact,
when
I
they
don't even know how to
updated
look
it?
at the vertical version.
I bet when they updated the model, they're not feeding the vertical to the shorts feed anymore.
I don't even see a vertical feed at all.
Really? It's live.
Yeah. I don't see it listed under the live tab.
Weird. If I go to YouTube and just check out our channel, I'm curious if it's going to show one stream or two. So let me check.
Yeah,
We
it
might-
currently shows one stream.
Yeah, it does. Shows one stream, and then when you get into it, what happens? Does it? Fucking commercial. I guess there's probably a button to switch the
Yeah.
vertical or not. Okay, so I'm in it, and there must be a button to toggle the display.
Yeah, there's something going on. And I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not doing what we would have expected it to do. Interesting. So we know that the new feature they rolled out sucks. We'll work on that later.
Yeah, okay.
but-
We won't do that we won't do that in the future.
Yeah. Checkmate. Welcome in. Are you at least 18?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. And do you believe in God?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Which one?
Cool.
The biblical God. I am a Christian, therefore I follow the teachings and practices of Christ.
Okay. And why would anyone do that?
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, we can look at what we call the developed world now, the modernized world, we can look at everything around us and tell that the world has nothing better to offer than Christianity. We can all agree on that, I think.
I don't know if it needs to offer
I
something
don't know if we
better.
can agree with that.
Is the approach
I think so.
pragmatist? Because I'm not sure how believing in God is good is going to get you to the proposition
Well,
God exists is true.
again,
Unless I'm misinterpreting.
Well, I mean, again, we live in this modernized world. I've heard a lot of atheists, and again, if I say atheist, and then you guys say you don't believe in that, that's fine. I'm just speaking in general terms. A lot of atheists will talk about morality evolving over time, and how we can kind of become these, over time we can forget about religion and all these other things, and like just become these, high moral.
Well, what exactly
beings.
is your reason to think God exists?
Well, again, as a Christian, the world has nothing better to offer than what Jesus Christ taught. I mean, that's pretty simple. Now, proving God is, I also think there's plenty of evidence for God, but I
To
just
clarify
want people
that,
to
you're just
understand.
saying following Jesus, if you follow like the footsteps of Jesus is the best way to live. Is that the idea? You would live like the best
Is the best
life.
path. Yeah,
being
the
a
world has
Christian
offered us
is.
nothing better than love your neighbor, forgive, take
But
the
do you think
the
do you
the
think it's
mote out of your own eye. And the world hasn't offered us anything better.
But do you think that Jesus can offer you the best path to living life and God not exist?
I think what Jesus revealed is something that there are universal truths there that once again modern man has no answers better than to, and so it creates this idea of there's this universal truth, and if we're being like just intellectually honest with ourselves, there's something to that. There's something supernatural that it supersedes human logic.
Okay, well,
Wait,
to be fair, which I'm not going to press you on. I mean, I didn't get a direct answer to the first question, but it sounds like you're trying to say that
Yeah,
there's universal facts communicated by Jesus,
truth,
very
truth. Yeah,
improbable.
the universal truths. Sure.
Yeah, so there's like reasons to think that the truths he expresses are by him being supernatural, explaining how he knows. Is that the idea?
I don't know exactly what you mean by the idea. Yeah, I'm just saying that the if you were to ask me, hey, why not believe in this? Why not take this into consideration? I think a lot of people do take other things into consideration. I know there's, and again, I'm not saying you guys as atheists, but I know there's people out there that believe in this. Oh, well, you were born Christian, so
I'm just
therefore you
kind
just
of
followed
not.
along.
Well, I'm not really detecting the point. Like, I understand. At first, what I understood you to be saying is a pragmatic point about Christianity. And then it sounded like you're saying that Jesus was in possession of forms of universal knowledge that is a means of arriving that he's a supernatural being. Is the latest thing correct? Do we want to talk about that? That the things Jesus known and he like made universal claims and he knew them, that's a reason I think he's supernatural, or because maybe I'm not even
No, no,
getting
no,
you
no.
because I'm
Oh, okay, yeah, but well, that's part of it. Like the proving God thing is actually probably the easiest part, I think.
oh, let's do
One,
that.
we're
Oh,
okay.
yeah, please.
Yeah,
all
sure,
right.
sure, sure. So again, we're here, right? We exist. We believe ourselves to be conscious beings. But even if we got away from that for a second, let's just forget that we're here and reality exists and all these things, and that because why not nothing exists? But that's another conversation. But let's just prove this. I open my front door, I sling it open, and it comes back and hits me in the face.
What?
Did something cause that?
Yeah.
Something caused it to hit me in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there was some force applied by the hinges, or like there was wind outside, or
Okay.
whatever physical
So
thing
there's some
caused your door
force
to.
there. So there's some force apply. I agree with you 100%. And this is not a. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
actually
There's a
not an
physical.
argument
There's some sort of
about.
physical mechanism that accounts for why the door swung back in the other direction.
Okay. And I agree 100%. And this is not an argument about a cause and who's the cause or who caused things first. But but yeah, I mean, I pretty much that alone, when it comes to atheists in general, that's my number one point of logic for believing that there is
How
a
is
God,
this a
because you
point?
guys exist.
What is this? What does the door hitting you in the face have to do with God existing?
Sounds like an analogy to
Well,
something I'm not getting.
well,
Yeah, maybe.
yeah. So I have a belief in God, that there's a God and He's this person, and we should do these things to other people, and we should treat one another better, and help one another, and take care of the sick and the poor, and welcome the immigrants, and health insurance for all, and health care for all. And I have all these beliefs about
Based,
all this
by the way.
good that we should be doing in the world.
Or-
And at the same time, there are these forces that push back against that. And to me,
what force?
that is the biggest evidence that God exists.
What force are we talking about?
Well, it'd be like,
Oh, Trump is Satan.
atheists,
I
and
get
not
it.
probably put- Huh?
Trump is Satan, is what
What'd you
you're
say?
saying. Donald
I
Trump is
don't
Satan.
disagree that he is possessed. I don't disagree with that at all.
That's,
I mean, based on
that's the
everything he
claim.
does, yeah.
So Donald Trump is the force that's pushing the door back in his face.
I
That's
definitely think
possible.
he is somehow demonically controlled. 100%.
Does it? Is it?
100%.
Is it strange to you at all that that the vast majority of the religious people in the country are also aligned with that?
Oh, I wouldn't.
weird?
I wouldn't disagree with you when you say religion. Again, this is where most atheists start to get
Let's say
off track.
the
I don't
vast
think
majority of
it's
people
a
who are
religious
followers
argument.
of Jesus.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's not followers of Jesus aren't part of MAGA, so that argument just falls apart.
I think that they disagree.
Yeah, that's
Well, they could disagree all they want. You know, just show me your works, right?
I thought that it wasn't by works, but by faith
That's-
or something.
No, James.
Oh,
James
Justin,
is
you
a
wanna step in
counter.
here?
Yeah, James is a counteractive measure towards Paul's works alone. He disagrees. It's chapter 1 and 2. That's
Okay.
neither here nor there. What I'm trying to figure out is I think you're trying to give an explanation for why any God at all, and I'm agreeing with
Any
Monkeyboy
God at
Logic.
all? No.
I don't.
No,
I don't.
Then we go back to Jesus. When you say any God at all, then you go back. We got to go back to Jesus.
Why?
I already explained why, but I could do it again.
But I don't think your explanation was adequate. You said that
I still don't
God
understand the
exists
door
because we
analogy.
exist. What does we
The door
existing
analogy
do
is
with
the
God
best one.
existing?
maybe it was a motivation for a causal principle. That's the best I could.
But then, like,
Door-
couldn't
Yeah,
Was it
it's
cosmos?
very. I mean, you guys explained it perfectly.
Maybe.
It's the force. You talked about another force. We said it was the hinges. It was something.
Okay,
happened
okay,
where
but the
that
point
door
is
came and slammed back,
the
right?
evidence. Okay, so maybe I can clarify then why I'm confused. So it sounds like what you're trying to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that look, we try to do good in this world, but there are these forces, like, you know, these bad people who push back against our attempts to do good.
Not
But
bad.
to
I don't
me,
want to
that
get
doesn't
into
sound like
bad
it has
and good
a-
because I know as
I'm using them colloquially. Don't worry about like their, you know, philosophical technical meanings or whatever.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like what you're saying is that like we try to do good, but then there's these forces that push back against us. But that doesn't sound like it's an argument for the existence of God. It sounds like, best case scenario, it's an argument for the existence of demons. But more reasonably, it's just an argument for people who disagree with you.
I mean, I could understand how you would want to see it that way, but then if we start getting into the specifics of what is right, what the universal truths are, a lot of people aren't going to argue against those universal truths, yet they will argue against other things connected. Like, well, you know, we don't even know if Jesus existed, and, you know, he's just made up, and the whole Roman Empire just converted over just because of a made up person in their own era or whatever.
The whole Roman Empire converted because Constantine and Theodosius required it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same argument that you would make about the colonized nations, and yet when the colonizers left and they were liberated, for some reason they still kept their religion. Isn't that crazy?
That's how syncretism works. Yeah, people who grow up in a particular religion, whether they were taught it by their parents or had it forced upon them, they tend to keep it quite often. Not every time, but quite often.
Well,
and it happens in other religions too. It
missionaries
happened with
throughout time, they're
Islam as
wasting their
well.
time.
So you think that Islam is true because the people who forced Islam on North Africa and most of the Middle East, you think that could only happen because it's true?
Well, I know they believe in the Abrahamic God, right? Because it comes out of the Abrahamic
Do
religion.
Do they believe that
right?
Jesus was crucified? Because they don't. Newsflash.
Yeah. Did you say newsflash?
Yeah, they don't believe
Yeah,
in
he's old.
Jesus.
Of course. No, I'm old too. No, I think I'm older than Justin. I'm always get
Maybe
shocked when he
I'm,
starts to get
but
emotional in these conversations.
I'm not emotional, so you can calm your memories just now. The fact that I said words doesn't make me emotional.
I disavow.
Okay. Okay. I don't want any problems, Justin.
Cool.
Yeah, you don't want
So the
beef
question
with
is,
Justin.
when Islam was forced upon the cultures that are predominantly Islamic now, was it because it was true?
So I think you're missing the point if that's the stance you want to take. It's not whether when it was forced upon them it was true. It's when the forced oppression stopped, did it remain? And as we can
Yes.
see with Islamic nations in a lot of places, there still are theocratic governments, correct?
But not all of them.
Can you explain
No.
to me why it's the case that there is a large but not majority, of course, a large fraction of Black Americans in the United States that are Muslim?
Can-
Because they're not being
Islam
oppressed by
spread through North Africa
Islamic
and
theocracy,
the Middle
right?
East. Wait, what? Islam spread through North Africa and the Middle East. Why would I be surprised that African Americans
Well,
are
so
Muslim?
what you actually, because the African Americans are not being oppressed by Islamic theocracies. They live in the United States.
Right. So are you
So
asking
why
me
would
why?
they keep
Well,
that religion if it wasn't real?
oh, well, I mean, if we look back at someone like Malcolm X, it makes perfect sense why many Black Americans would find Christianity to be repulsive to them based on what America and its history did to African Americans while trying to use the Bible to defend it. So yeah, I would totally understand why people would want to turn to any other religion other than Christianity. However, obviously America wasn't using what Jesus Christ taught. America was doing what America always did. I mean, I think America's been controlled by dark forces from the very beginning.
See, the problem we're having here is you
Based.
keep saying I believe, but we want to know why. Why are these things
I
true?
gave you the best analogy that I could.
The
I mean, you
analogy
guys
didn't
are here.
land.
There's three of you here. Three of you.
Yeah,
Have,
yeah, I
okay,
agree.
three
So,
of you have teamed up today. You're here.
well, then
You
I
guys
would
could
just
be
use
doing
the same
anything in the world,
analogy.
Justin.
I know
With the
that evolution
time,
is true because we're here. What about that?
yeah. I mean, sure. There's many aspects to evolution that are true. If we want to like switch tracks, I can switch tracks to evolution.
No, no,
Evolution is used as
no,
this
I'm not
over
talking
encompassing
about
term.
evolution. I'm explaining why your argument slash
Yeah.
analogy is stupid because it can be used for anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So stupid. So that's somewhat now, Justin. Now I've been on your live before, buddy.
Here comes the
Okay, and you
crying.
start swearing and cursing and using terms and
Is
stuff, and
is
can
You
we
said
just
the
have
stupid
a
S word.
logical,
too much
relaxed
for you? Is that
conversation?
too hard?
Funnily enough, when I was a
No,
kid,
you're not
I
letting
was
me do it
hanging
for
out
you
with my
though. You
cousins.
would cut me
This is
off
a
before
relevant
you let me
story, I
do something
promise.
like that.
I promise this is a relevant story. When I was a kid, I was hanging out with my cousins who were allowed to say words that I wasn't allowed to say. And so, I was hanging out with my cousins, and then I go up to my mom after hanging out with them for a little bit, and I say, Mom, my cousin, I'm not going to use his name, my cousin said the S word. And then he goes to my aunt, or my mom goes to my aunt and says, can you believe that XYZ cousin said shit? And then it turns out that he said stupid because I thought stupid was the S word because I wasn't allowed to say that. So it feels like that's what just happened, by the way. It just brought back memories.
I just want to have a discussion. I don't want to get personal.
Oh, it's too late for that. You
Um,
already did. So, what does our existence have to do with God existing, or your particular God existing?
is this
Right.
point
So
right now
again,
about the influence, or
It's not
I
clear to
don't
me.
know. Justin started talking about evolution, and I don't know where
No,
we're
I
at
did
now.
not start talking about evolution. I
I'd
made
like
a
to get
how
back
about
on
we
terrible
track.
just
analogy demonstrating that your analogy fails.
look? I'll speak for everyone here of the three of us. We're completely lost what your point is. Maybe it would help to be a little more methodical. So if you could just spell out
Sure.
exactly, precisely what is at least one of the leading reasons in favor of thinking God exists, we could start there.
And importantly,
Okay.
this is not why you think it's good to believe God is real, but rather
Unless,
why
Right.
you
Well,
think God is real.
to be clear, the only reason I think I keep going back to why, it's important to when I say my God or Christianity, the only reason I keep going back to that is every time I say about God, Justin goes, well, why your God? I mean, he does it every time.
I
So
didn't.
like that's why we keep going back to that.
Has
I
he
didn't
Why
do
done
your
that
that at
God?
all
once.
today?
No.
What?
well, we don't need to get lost in like the meta of them. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
So
just,
again,
yeah,
back
just
to
give
the
the
God
reason.
analogy.
I speak for
Back to the
Justin. I apologize.
okay.
No,
Thank
yeah.
you. He would never do that.
Spoken
I
for.
appreciate that. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, now
So
what's the
again,
best
back
reason?
to God. Again, I tried to explain this so many times. The best reason, going back to the door analogy, and you guys didn't like that. You guys do understand, like for every action, there's an equal
I
and
don't like the
opposite
fact I didn't
reaction, like that at
understand
least.
it. Okay.
That's in physics, by the way.
Yeah. So okay. Is physics not part of our world? I don't.
Do you think everything?
Sure is.
Do you think that everything has an opposite reaction? Like if I said a phrase to somebody, there's an opposite reaction to that phrase. Do you understand the
I think if you were
Newtonian
talking to
laws
yourself, there would be.
are
I
about
think,
like
yeah, I think if it
motion
was
and
Justin
energy?
versus Justin, yes. Yes, if it was Justin versus Justin, there would be an opposite phrase to that, sure.
It's not.
What? I don't even know what that means. So, okay, you brought up the door analogy. Can you maybe explain how it is the case that, and then you explained the door analogy. You said something like, oh, well, there's all these things that you're trying to achieve. We don't have to call them good or bad or whatever. All these things that you're trying to achieve, and yet there's pushback towards those things. Can you explain how that's a reason to believe that God exists?
Right, because, again, if there are people out there that say, I believe in God, I believe that there's this God and there's person, and that there's purpose behind it. Like that's the whole thing of believing in God, that there's purpose, right? I mean, without God, purpose goes away unless we just make it up, right?
But is that a reason to believe in God? What if I said there is no purpose? What does that have to do with God?
Right. So the strongest evidence for belief in a
There
God
might be a
is that people
further
push
problem
back
with that.
against.
If the fact we have purpose is a reason I think God exists, I'm presuming purpose means the purpose of a thing is the intention one has for that thing. And when you say there's an intention for us, that just sounds like the God hypothesis. Seems almost like that's question begging, right? Like a type of circular reason.
Well, do we all agree that one day the Earth will just incinerate because of the sun?
Perhaps, yeah.
It seems to be the
fine,
case,
but-
yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. So like you guys know, like everything you do right now is just a waste of time, right? Like you guys understand, like this show, everything you're doing right
Doesn't
now,
make
it's
it a
just a
waste
waste
of
of
time.
time because in the end, humanity won't exist anymore as we know it. The Earth will be gone,
Okay.
Well,
Sure.
right?
well, not
Well,
if
I-
atheism
How does
is
that make
true,
sense?
it's consistent with there being afterlives. If that's the idea.
Good point.
What was the point?
Yeah, that
Atheism-
that atheism
oh,
is not saying. Yeah, I mean, atheism doesn't say much beyond God doesn't exist, and though it's very popular for theists to admit of an afterlife, that's not monopolized by theists. There are atheists who explicitly endorse that, and even if it weren't like empirically the case, that any atheist admit of those views are at least tolerant to atheism. So it doesn't follow if atheism is true, one day we just incinerate and that's it, and life's purposeless. On atheism, you can believe in afterlives, you can believe in robust forms of what's called teleology and purpose, so long as they don't involve a theistic intention or something like that. So I'm not really understanding the point, unless the point is to assume a specific form of
So
atheism.
again, I'll say it one more time.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
And I apologize because there's a bit of a delay. I can hear you guys' mics, and I can hear there's a delay between me speaking and you guys answering. And so I apologize if I speak over you guys because I never want to do that. But I'll explain it one more time. So again, as Christians, as theists in general, anybody that believes in God, generally speaking, they believe that God has a will, right? And if God has a will and we're his creations, then he wants us to carry out his will. So going back to my analogy and everything I'm saying, the fact that people like you, and I know that most atheists consider themselves to be higher moral standards and all of those things. And I understand that's just one group of people or entity that pushes back against God's will. But to make my points, the reason I believe that God and he has a will is because I can see in the world around me, the will to push back against that is always there. It's constant. It never goes away.
You're saying you believe God exists because you can see God's will in things.
Well, he can see the opposite
I
of
can
God's
see people
will.
push back against God's will.
Okay, so
Oh.
if I started, let's say I lived near Transylvania where people believe in vampires. They probably don't. And I started an anti-vampire club because I was like, listen, I don't think it's good for people to believe in vampires because they're fake and it can cause some problems. Does my opposition to vampires make vampires real?
If you started a vampire club, does your opposition to vampires make them real? No,
Yeah.
of course not.
Well, then the
Of course not.
opposition
And
to God doesn't make him real either.
right. But here, this would be the next. If I was going to be a logical person, I would start asking more questions. Well, why would you want to follow God's will? What is God's will? And then when we start talking about that, then you'd have to get into discussions of going back again to what I said about universal truths. What's the right thing to do? What's the right way to treat
Well,
people?
that has
Oh
nothing
yeah,
to
I
do
agree
with
with that.
what
Oh
we just
yeah,
said.
I agree with that.
Checkmate, do you listen to anything we say? Your argument was
I
that you know that God is real because there's opposition to his will. And then I gave you
correct.
a side example and said, listen, opposition to something doesn't mean that the thing that you believe in is true, just like it doesn't mean that vampires are real. So all I'm saying is that your point about the opposition to God's will is not a valid point.
I understand what you're saying, Justin, and let me be clear for you and probably a lot of your fans that probably heard that and like, oh yeah, Justin got him with that one. Again, when you talk about vampires and what they may or may not do, we talk about like what's a vampire's will? What would a vampire do? What is a vampire? So people might ask questions. They might have questions. What is a vampire? What do they want to do? Oh, they want to drink blood. Blah, 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 so on and so forth. My point, Justin, is that when you just pick out anything and say, hey, I'm in support of roses, and if you're against roses, then that means that that roses actually do exist or whatever. I don't know what point you're trying to make. The point is that I'm talking about God's will. You're not opposed to any random thing, and that makes God real. The fact that we can agree that God's will is the right thing in what Jesus taught, and that there are people and
Is
forces
he
that
cutting
are
out for anybody
against
else?
that, there's the evidence.
Not for me. Blitz, I
Okay.
think your
No, he's
connection's
coming
weak
through
today.
fine.
Yeah, very well could be.
Also,
Also
huge
noticed-
W to Breezy. I just sent $300 to Unapologetic for the crew. Big W, Breezy. It's been a while since I've seen you. Hope you're doing well, buddy. So
And
here's
W.
what we're trying to get at.
Huge.
I don't think you've
Thank you, Breezy.
sufficiently
Massive, yeah.
explained how your analogy differs from mine.
Yeah, so you want to understand the difference between God's will and vampire belief? I mean,
A vampire's will
what would a vampire's will be?
to suck blood, obviously.
Okay, and that's a universal truth about how we should
Yep.
treat and take care and
It's
care for one
built into
another.
the nature of
Oh, wow.
vampires. They die without it.
Okay, so you're saying you're in
So-
agreement with that?
No, what I'm saying is, by your logic, vampires are real because they have a will to suck blood, and we have an opposite will to not get our blood sucked.
Well, I would say that's fair to say about any god in general. If you wanted to use that example to say, hey, any god in general, I would say that was true, that you could use that analogy. You could use it for anything, leprechauns, tooth fairies.
But-
You can use it for whatever, sure.
You're right. That's why it's not a good analogy. You got it.
Yeah, but we wouldn't agree on the will. That's the point, Justin.
Doesn't matter. The question is not what the will is. The question is whether or not the pushback against the will makes the will and the will giver real.
Yeah. The whole point is, if your reasoning's right, then there's many cases where there's things where we putatively want to say they don't exist, and we're provided strong reason by virtue of how you think we should reason of opposed wills. There's vampires and many other things we could think of that would give substantial evidence for all of those things. Clearly, that's mistaken reasoning.
I understand what you're saying, but I would make the argument that you guys exist and do what you do every single day because you feel like there's some merit in that, because you feel like you're really pushing back against things that are wrong or bad or people shouldn't be controlled or whatever you think Christianity is, like mind control or something, right?
We believe in truth. We think truth is good for humanity.
Generally agreed.
Correct?
Right. But truth starts to become debatable.
That's what we're trying to figure out right now. Why is your God belief true?
Because you push back against it.
That's not true. We already discovered that the analogy fails. You don't get to be true because somebody counteracts you, or else vampires would be true.
Yeah, but when we agree with the
Doesn't
truth and then you still push back against, then the
No,
question
we
starts
don't
to come,
agree
why are
on
you
the
pushing
truth.
back? And I don't even think. Listen here, Justin. You're a perfect example. Justin, did you used to be
But
like a
an
pastor or
atheist
something
could
at one
just
point?
They
say the
they
same
always
thing.
get into the meta. Just stick to the conversation.
I'm going to
But
stick to
we could say
conversation. Justin, I'm going to give you a
atheism is
perfect
the
example.
truth and you giving pushback. Okay.
Well, atheists just believe that there is no God, right? Or there's no
That's the
evidence
whole
for a God,
point.
correct?
Typically,
Mhm.
atheists have
Yeah,
a lack of belief in God.
yeah.
But that's pretty good. Justin, you're a good example. You used to be like a pastor or something, or be involved in the
Yep.
church some kind of way.
Mhm.
Right. So like, Justin, you'd probably be a pretty good example of Judas, right? Judas walked along with the disciples. He saw the miracles. He saw what Jesus did. He was standing there. He preached
I
every
wouldn't be a
single day,
Judas.
and yet he turned away, for 30 pieces of silver. I mean, you
No,
profit off what you
because
do now, right?
no, he turned away because it was God's will for him to turn away. Jesus said so in John 13:18. He specifically chose him.
Did he have remorse for that decision?
Yep. Could he control
did.
it?
It was prophecy. What are you talking
So
about?
he could. So it had to happen then. Congrats, you figured it out.
Right, just like the word will spread to the ends of the earth, just like Christianity, right? Christianity spread to the ends of the ends of the world, right? Like
So did Islam.
Yeah,
prophecy
but so did
comes-
Islam.
Islam has spread, but we're not debating that Islam is a
You
Abrahamic
understand
religion,
that
right?
the
We're still not. I mean,
the
go to
difference
Islam.
between Judas and myself is in your worldview, Judas actually did see like spiritual phenomena and miracles, and obviously I didn't.
Oh, but I'm sure you saw conversions in Christianity. I'm sure you saw
That's
people
not a
turn their lives
miracle.
over to God. I'm
No,
sure.
none of those are miracles.
I mean, life exists, Justin.
So
Life,
what?
life existing is a
miracle.
miracle.
No, it's not.
Sure, it is.
No,
Let's
it's
do it in
not.
the lab today. Let's go do it tomorrow.
We already did. We've created synthetic cells that replicate.
Only thing what we've proven is if that you had people trying to input things that they think or believe will create life, and if you actually read deep into the studies, they made it incredibly easy for this to do. But all you proved was that
You don't even know the study
with
I'm
a
talking
creator,
about.
you make and create life.
What study? Who did it?
With a creator, you may be able to
Nope.
create the elements for life.
The interesting thing is they didn't invoke the creator. They literally just put the right chemicals together.
I would encourage you to go back and read the study about how
What
they
study?
did it. They kept
Give me
failing.
the name of the
and
study.
so what they had to do was they had to basically make it so that they would self-sequence.
No.
What?
You can't just put all the elements for life in a jar and go like, hey, life, we'll shock you. We'll do all these things that primordial Earth did, and then that'll make life. That's not how that works, and that's not what they did.
I mean, the
I agree
Miller
with what
Urey
they did,
experiment
and then it
basically
just
did
happened.
that.
We're
The
not
Miller
talking
Urey
about
experiment
Miller
basically
Urey.
did that. To be clear,
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So the problem you have
perhaps neither here nor there
is,
though.
is you have a weak definition of life. You don't even know what it means. I'm sure you're misusing it and you
I
haven't
know.
thought through it.
My definition of life is it's not what's non-living.
What is it? What's your
That's my
definition of life?
definition. It's not what's
You
non-living.
you can't use the word in the definition. Try again.
Oh, dang it, Justin. You and your rules.
It's not rules. It's just basic understanding. You can't define a word by using the word. What's water?
Okay.
Oh, it's water. Okay. Sure. Okay. That doesn't do
I
anything
think it would
for
be
us.
non-water would be the opposite of that.
Yeah. So what is water then?
You want me to describe its properties?
No,
you need me to
I'm trying to
describe the
get you to
properties of
understand
something
that you
living
can't
versus
describe
non-living?
life by calling it the opposite of not life. You're saying that life is life. Can you give me a real definition?
I didn't say not life. I said non-living.
That's the same thing. If you're describing life or living, that's the same word.
Do you want me to say made up of cells? Do you want me to say biological principle? Like,
I'm
what do you want
asking
me to
you
say,
to
Justin?
give me your definition of life. What is it?
Something that is alive, something that's made up of cells, something that consumes energy, gets rid of waste. How far do we got to go?
You got it. You're close. Does God have life?
No, he would be a spiritual being. What are we
So
talking
life
about?
doesn't come from
A
life?
supernatural being. Huh?
So life doesn't come from life.
Well, in
So God's
Christianity,
not
we
alive, just to be
believe
clear.
life. Just to be clear, we would believe that life came from non-living, just like you. Yes,
Oh, cool. So
just
God's not
like you.
alive. I love that. So you don't believe the Bible. Okay.
Really
You don't
God is
worship the
strongly
living
eternal. What do you mean
God?
alive?
radically
He's
different
eternal.
sense.
How can you be alive? That very definition of alive means to be living.
But
God is
you should
eternal. God
you
can't
should
die.
read you should read the words of the Bible then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
How
know
many
it's
times does
Justin, so
it
it's always going to be something in the Old Testament.
how
Go
many
ahead, brother.
times does it say that God is a living God?
Yeah. How could we experience him if we weren't living?
How many times does it say that God is a living God?
How could we experience him in this state that we're
It's
currently
actually
in if he wasn't
it's
a living
it's
God?
like 35 times just in the New Testament. I know you're going to cry about using the Old Testament.
Right.
Simon Peter
And that's
answered
why
them,
you
"You
don't
are
like
the
non-living.
Messiah, the Son of the living God." So is God alive or not?
Are you talking about them talking to Jesus that's alive at the time?
Do you think
When you
that
said the
God is
Messiah?
living or not?
That the Messiah, Jesus Christ, was the living God? Yes.
Not, nope. The Son of the living God. Try again.
You said the Messiah.
Of the living God.
Okay.
Meaning God is alive, not the Messiah. We know the Messiah is alive.
So you're saying, so now your argument that God is a biological creature? Now you're
No,
confusing me,
my
Justin.
argument is you don't know what life means. That's the whole point. You give a definition
Okay.
of life that doesn't match your actual worldview.
Justin,
Unless
you don't
you
have a worldview.
unless he wants to
Dude,
admit to equivocating about life. Then it
Equivocating?
means
How
life
so?
different here than God. Yeah, maybe you want to say God's living, but it's a different sense of the word living.
I mean, if we're talking about a being, a supernatural being, that's the funniest thing
Or
about
would you
atheism
just
that shocks me at all is that, there's this idea that there's no higher beings than us out there in the entire universe. That's just the craziest part
what?
of
We
all.
didn't say that.
depending on how you construe that might be compatible, but I like how you rattle off instead of clarifying if you're using life as a catch-all term in which God's not alive, or you use it's like
When I say life, I'm
polysemical
talking about
use.
what is biologically alive on Earth today. I don't know how else you guys want me
Okay.
to define that.
Well, you
What
did
is it?
define it. That was fine. I asked you if God is alive.
Not
then-
in the sense that we
and
speak
then
of
you
it, not in the sense we
spiraled.
talk about it in science.
Okay, so
Not in the
so
sense that we
then
would use it in science. No.
so that why would we think that a non-living entity gave rise to living entities?
That's a great question. That is an absolutely fantastic question. And yet, science community agrees with it, so you guys should agree with that.
I'm asking in your worldview, not mine. We know that life comes from non-life.
Right. You were there when it happened. You observed it.
That's our belief. I'll rephrase it.
Okay. There
Yeah,
we
but
go.
you're doing this rhetoric like if we share a belief, then you're fair to have the same view, but it's not exactly the same view, and it's a question of reason. So two people can endorse the same idea, have radically different reasons. One be poor, one be really strong. I'm not even sure
I agree with
when
you
talking about
100%
light
on that.
coming from non-life, we're even talking about the same thing. But if your view is that God creates life and God's not alive in that way, then what reason would we have to think life comes from God?
I wouldn't expect you guys to necessarily believe that. You have your own reason for believing it for the reasons that you believe it.
We're asking
You think
your
the experiment
justification whether or
proved
not
it.
that compels
I
us.
would strongly encourage you guys.
Yeah, but perhaps we're just
Huh?
stuck in our ways. We're questioning whether you have good reasons to think that yourself. The justification should speak for itself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, science would be one of the main reasons that I believe in God as well. Outside of the forces that push back against God's will, science would be the next biggest supporter.
Is that worth talking about, or should we? Because like the first point, the forces that push back seems very confused, or at least confusing to me.
Yeah, I still don't. I'm not sure if anyone has yet to pick up on that yet. It's just like there's still the stuff about evil forces or forces
It's not
opposing
necessarily
God.
evil, though. It's not necessarily evil.
Okay.
That's the thing, is it doesn't have to be evil. I know you guys.
I don't
know
understand.
that
What about
atheists-
what about people opposing God as a reason to think God exists?
because they push back against God's will. They're,
That's just
you
repeating
know,
the thing in question when I asked, how is that thing reason? It's like if I said,
it goes
I
back
mean,
to the
if
door analogy. That's why I had the door analogy. Why would I think, why, if I fling the door open, why should it come back and hit me? It shouldn't come back and hit me. Well, there's other
instead of
forces out
using an
there. So yes, the
analogy,
door's going to come
let's
back and hit you in the
just
face.
try and be as, let's just try and aim for clarity, because the door analogy
Okay.
is kind of just obscuring the conversation. I'm trying to understand what is it then if it's, okay, so there's people who oppose God or things or whatever, and that's a reason to think God exists. Why?
Okay, so again, if you remember in the very beginning, I talked about universal truths. So, for instance, if I said, "Hey guys, would the world be a better place if we all loved one another and we all cared for one another?" Would you guys agree with that?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, if I said, "Hey guys,
Sure.
if you're
But you
if
understand
someone
better is
lies to you,"
subjective. Like when I say it would be better, that's my
sure,
opinion, right?
Justin. Sure.
I'm not making a universal
Yes,
claim.
yes, yes, Justin. I
I don't
understand.
think you should love everyone depending on who they are, what
No,
they
no,
do.
just hear me out. Just hear me out. I mean, we can get super technical. We can get super technical. And I agree, you shouldn't love everyone. It's very hard to think that anyone would love Trump. I totally get those things you guys are saying. But my point is, the reason it's hard to love everyone is because people aren't nice to one another. People don't care. And when I say love, it doesn't mean like you have to like, let them live in your house or whatever. What I'm talking about is, did you guys freeze?
No,
No, no,
I
no.
didn't.
Oh, okay, okay. What I'm talking about is, again, we talk about forgiving. I'm not talking about someone comes in your house and kills your family. Forgiving. If I said, "Hey guys, if someone wrongs you, they say something wrong, they pick you off in traffic, it's okay to forgive them and then let that thing go." Most of you guys would agree with that. If I said, "Let's feed the hungry, the poor, the starving, take in the poor immigrant, adopt a child," we would all agree on these things. Generally speaking.
Yeah,
How's
that's because we have empathy, and some of us have used our brains to come to similar conclusions, right? For example, the favorite color overall of human beings is typically the color blue. Does that mean the color blue is better? No, it just means that there's something in our biological programming that means, that favors that particular color. It doesn't mean that it's better than anything else.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate that. So back to what I was saying. So when we all agree on these things that
like
we agree
I'm
on,
just blind to the connection this has to God. I'm like trying to
I'm about to pull it all
understand
together. I'm
what
about to pull
your
it all together
thought.
here.
Okay.
So when we sit down and you guys just said, yeah, we agree in the forgiving and the love your neighbor and the feed the sick and the poor, and we all agree on that. And then I say, well, then why, as you guys, I'm guessing you live in or around or near the U.S., where you're mostly talking to Christians that should be following Christ's example. The question would then be, why would you push back against Christianity?
Because it's also horrific and did all kinds of damage throughout history. Like just because
So it's
something
science.
has something
Science is
good in
horrific.
it
Science
doesn't
did terrible
mean
things throughout
just
history.
because something has something good in it doesn't mean
But like,
that we need to accept it and all the bad parts that come with it. And science, yes, we've made mistakes, but the good thing about science is we can change. When we realize something is detrimental, we can adjust and do better in the future. Christianity can't do that because you're tied to a book that never changes.
Hey.
And also, just to be clear, like this is a false comparison, right? So on the one hand, you have people who are motivated by Christianity to do horrible things. Like consider like the best example is like the Crusades, the forced Christianization of the Americas, for example. These were motivated by Christianity. I dare you to come up with more than 2 examples of someone who is motivated by science, whatever that means, to do horrible things.
Wait.
Science is a
You just
tool,
say
and so
that-
it's usually not a motivation for horrible things. Sometimes it's used as a tool for people who are otherwise motivated to do horrible things. Christianity is not the same in that regard.
So wait a minute. Did you just say you can't think of 2 examples where people use science to justify doing horrific things?
well, the
I can't
challenge
think
was
of
for you to
more
name
than 2 examples, where you can where science was the motivation, not that science was the justification, that science was the motivation. Whatever that even means, it's not even clear what it means for science to be the motivation to do horrible things. Like you
So
can probably
so
think of like
so like
maybe like some of the experiments that were done in Japan during World War II. Arguably, there was like it's not
and
clear if
Germany
science was the
and
motivation,
Germany.
but maybe you can make that case. Similarly, some of the experiments done by Josef Mengele maybe were motivated scientifically, although I'm not sure if you can make that case. But I can't think of any other examples.
What? So you're saying you don't know of instances where people did scientific experimentation on human beings to test on certain groups, and again on certain groups of human beings to test
Yeah, I mean
medicine,
there's
to
also
test
like
surgeries.
the what was it called, the Tuskegee experiments, but it's not clear that these were
Yes,
motivated
yes.
by science, right?
Wait, what?
Look, science can be an instrument for people to carry out things that they are carry out evil actions, if you will. Like, for example, I mean, like, science was used to drop two nuclear bombs on Japan, and that's like obviously horrible. But science
Thank
wasn't
you,
the motivation
thank
for
you,
that.
thank you.
But no, but the point
Yes.
is science wasn't the motivation for that. Science was the tool, not the motivation. The point is that Christianity is often the motivation for these horrible things.
Well, you'd have to really show me how Jesus Christ and his teachings are the motivations for all the things you're trying to throw onto
Oh,
Christianity.
you're kind of doing a Mott and Bailey. I talked about Christianity, not Jesus Christ. There are a lot of people who are Christians. Like think for example the conquistadors, right?
Right.
One of the reasons why they showed up was to Christianize the Americas, right?
Yep.
Sure.
And so they were motivated by Christianity to do the horrible things that they did. Now they were also motivated by wealth, so like we could probably better talk about like Christopher Columbus and the subsequent subjugation of the Native Americans that lived, in the region of North America after that. But like the point is like these are examples of like actually Christianity with the goal of spreading Christianity directly being the motivation to do horrible things. And there's like maybe you can think of some like evil scientists who are like, yes, in the pursuit of pure knowledge, I will do whatever it takes. But like that's like that's the kind of thing that's obscenely rare, and you can maybe think of like a few examples in history, and these are like individuals, not entire institutions.
Right. So I think that the problem is where we're starting to now I see a disconnect between what I'm talking about and what you're talking about. I'm talking about Christianity in the sense of people following Christ's example, which is the only way I know to use Christianity. You're talking about the institution, the power of the church, this political entity.
To be clear, and
of
correct
Christianity.
me if I'm wrong, Justin, didn't Jesus create the church? Didn't he bestow upon Peter that like you will be the church, or isn't that like a whole thing?
That's what the
It
Catholics
depends on
believe.
if you're
The Catholics
Catholic
believe
or
that.
not. There's an alternative way to read that. Nevertheless, the reality is a lot of what the church has done was because of what Jesus said and what the New Testament says. New Testament is like vicious in how it addresses the Jews, even Paul himself. Which is why we see in the lifetime of the church, they were vicious towards the Jews. They advocated for putting them in ghettos, taking their property, forcefully baptizing them. This is a direct result of the Bible.
I don't disagree that people interpret the Bible as, hey, the Jews killed Jesus, which is kind of weird because it's the Romans who killed Jesus. But I don't disagree that there are people that have been in Christianity that have hatred towards Jews because they perceive the Jews as the ones that gave Jesus, which is a stupid assumption because Jesus being crucified is part of prophecy and it's what had to happen, and Christians should be most
Well,
happy
it wasn't
because that
prophesied.
happened, not
You know
upset.
that. You've been around long enough to know
Um,
that Jesus didn't fulfill any prophecies.
I've seen that stance. I know where you're going. I've seen it 1,000 times. Whatever you want to believe. I mean, that's fine with me. However you want to interpret the Bible.
You mean according to like what it says? Yeah.
Yeah, according to what it says. Yeah,
Yeah, I just believe what, it says what it says. That's what I believe.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, the
so
problem with
let's actually, because we've been on this conversation for a while now, and after 45 minutes, we've gotten nowhere. We have nowhere close to a coherent
I
argument
totally disagree. I totally disagree. I think we're
for
closer
why
than
you
ever.
think that your God is real. Do you guys think we're any closer than when we started?
Unfortunately, I would have to disagree with our guest.
Maybe by a couple inches, but no.
Yeah. So here's what we do, because I'd like to get somewhere in this conversation. Is there a reason at all to believe that Jesus was who he said he was, or just a fraud? What's why? Because otherwise, Christianity is not true. Even if God was real, Christianity is just not true.
Well, again, Christianity is following what Jesus taught.
I'm sure it is, but why would we
He gave two
believe
commandments, and you mentioned
that
earlier that you didn't
Jesus
know about the two
is?
commandments.
No, I didn't say I didn't know about it. I said those weren't his.
Oh, they weren't his commandments. Where did they come from?
They come from the Old Testament, Leviticus 19:18 and Deuteronomy 6:5.
Oh, okay.
It's in
Well,
Matthew
the
22.
word was with us from the beginning, right?
I'm sure it was, but it wasn't Jesus.
Jesus is the word. So yeah. it's
No,
been
that's
there
what
since the
John
beginning.
says. You'd have to demonstrate the New Testament was already true. So my
Well,
question
it
is
says
pretty
that the word was
simple.
with us from the beginning.
Why
in
would we
Genesis, right? Like,
believe
that's page 1
what
of
the
the
Bible
right?
says about Jesus?
Because the world hasn't offered you anything better.
It doesn't need to. It doesn't make it true. First of all, I disagree. But second of all, it doesn't need to. You don't get to make something true just because you don't find a better alternative.
I wouldn't disagree with that statement. But again, you've dedicated your life to this. You're against it.
I
And you
dedicated my
have
life
nothing better.
to
Just
truth.
think about that.
I
Just
do have
think
something
about that
better.
for a minute.
Yeah, I do have something better. It's called humanism, where we actually prioritize humans,
pretty good.
not wasting our lives focusing on giving credence to things that don't exist. It's way better than worshiping a God that refuses to answer your prayers and will send you to hell for making mere mistakes, or whatever God you serve. There's lots of different versions of God. They're all equally silly. So yeah, I do have something better. You just don't think it's better.
No. What's your humanism?
I just described it to you. We
I
focus
don't
on
know that
the
question. What do you
welfare
mean?
of
What's your
humans.
humanism?
Well, I'm saying by humanism, how should we treat one another then?
We already covered this when we first started the conversation. You asked me if you think it would be better if we did X, Y, and Z. Those are parts of humanism where we actually prioritize the health and
Right, but you
welfare
guys know
of
your humanism.
humans rather than
But you know your
gods that don't
humanism isn't
exist.
scientific, though.
It is.
But you know your
Also,
humanism isn't scientific. We agree with that.
even
though,
if
right?
it's not scientific, it's irrelevant. The point is that humanism is perhaps a philosophy for life. It doesn't have to be scientific in order to have a philosophy for life.
Yeah, it's like a art, right?
Right. So then my kickback would
When
be
you say it's
that
not
you
science,
say humanism
are
is
you
a
just
better
saying
alternative to
it's-
Christianity.
You're not saying
Yep.
it opposes science, right? It's
Well,
like
the
in
point I'm really trying to
conflict,
make-
or-
The point I'm trying to make, and I think you guys would agree, is there's no proof or evidence that it's better than Christianity.
Well,
That
again,
humanism is better. That's debatable.
again,
Yeah.
I told you, better is a subjective term. You don't think it's better, we do, and you have no way to demonstrate it either. So the idea that
Right,
we
when you
can't
say
demonstrate
either, you're
objectively that
conceding.
one thing is better than the other. We
Right.
didn't say that it was objectively better than the other thing.
Right. So you're conceding the point.
No, I'm not. I'm
it's
saying you
not
don't
better.
understand the point.
I know you would say something like that, Justin. I know you.
Well, because it's true.
Yeah, but again,
Got
you
him.
can't prove, just like you guys are saying, prove God, prove God. I'm telling you, my proof is that Christianity is the best thing the world has ever offered us. You have nothing
Why?
better. You say humanism, and then,
why do you think
and
it's
then
better?
you concede.
Why do you think it's better?
We've already went through the steps. We've already,
So-
if Christianity was true around the world, if everybody was true Christians, quote unquote, we wouldn't be at war right now. Nobody would be trying to kill each other.
well,
We'd
that
have
can't be
universal
true.
health care. We'd welcome
The
in as
trouble
many
is,
poor
there's no
immigrants
such
as
thing as a
possible.
true Christian, by the way.
No, Checkmate's the only true Christian.
No. Don't get me wrong. No,
That
I'm a
makes sense.
Christian because I'm not a true Christian. That's the point. That's what people misunderstand. I'm a Christian because I know I'm not a true Christian.
Sure.
Right,
So
a
which
true
makes you a
Christian
true
because you're
Christian?
not a true Christian.
If
Got
I
it.
was
Makes
perfect,
sense.
I wouldn't need a savior.
So you're a
The
true
math is
Christian
nothing.
in that you're imperfect, which makes you not a Christian, but also a true Christian.
Right. That checks out.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, now you're getting the logic.
Say, have you read John 3:13
Yep, that's
before?
what's happening.
John 3:13. John
Yeah.
3:16 rings a bell. You can refresh
John-
me on John 3:13.
John 3:13. I can put it on the screen if you.
Yeah.
I don't
Sure.
expect that you have
I love
the
when you
Bible
put stuff on the
memorized.
screen, Justin.
I'm sure you
I
do.
love it when you put stuff on the screen.
I'll even zoom in because I think the words might be small for y'all. No one has ascended into heaven except the one who descended from heaven, the Son of Man. You know what this verse, right?
Yes, I've read it before. Yes,
Is
familiar
it
with it.
true? But is it true?
Is the verse true?
Yeah.
Oh God, Justin. Just make your point.
Well, I'm asking you.
I
if
watch
it's
your show.
true.
It's hard to watch your stream, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to watch your stream. It's very hard
I
to watch
know
it,
because
man.
I
Hard
make
to
good
watch
points.
it.
Just do your thing. Do your thing.
I am doing my thing. I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you to be
Trying
honest.
very
Is
hard.
this verse true?
No one has ascended into heaven except the one who descended from heaven. Is it true? I assume it's true. Next.
Oh, okay. Why do you assume it's true? Have you looked to see if it is true?
I'm sure you're going to reference another verse. So Justin, just get to the next verse you want to reference to compare. This is not rocket science, man. We know what you're doing. Do it. Just do it.
Well, okay, so you won't actually talk about your assumptions. Second Kings, as they continue walking and talking, a
I already
chariot of
said I
fire
assume
and
it's- I
horses
assume
of
it's true what
fire
it's saying.
separated the two of them. Elijah ascended in a whirlwind into heaven. It seems like somebody already did ascend into heaven, and you would believe Enoch went there too, right?
Okay. So can I present something to you then?
Are
Since you want to present stuff to me? Sorry,
are
I
you going
can't put
to
it up on the
address
screen.
what I said or what?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so is it
You ready?
still true?
Well, I'm going to answer your question with my question, or
Uh-huh.
with my premise.
Uh-huh.
Since you think you've done something here. Hey, Justin.
I'm just waiting
Let's pretend that you're a
for-
police officer.
I was waiting for a
And-
yes or no.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
got
like
you.
I'm not going
I
to
got
get
you.
a
I'm
yes or
doing it.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, because I'm gonna do the same thing to you, and then you're gonna see that your point is pointless.
Then
but
you're
here we
gonna
go.
then you're
Justin,
gonna be
you're a police
silly.
officer.
He's going to give the same car accident analogy that every apologist has ever given because they read like a case for Christ and they think it's
I don't know what
it's
the
a
car
good
accident analogy is, but if you
Let's
let
go.
me
Here it
finish, then I'll do
comes.
it. I
Here
don't know what the
comes
car
the-
accident analogy is, honestly.
Here comes the disagreeing
again,
details make it
I'm
more
sitting
true.
in the front yard. I'm sitting in the front yard, and
I'm
you're a
pathetic.
police
All right,
officer.
you're in the
and
front
you
yard.
walk up and you go, "Hey, someone told me a criminal ran in the house." And I go, "Officer, no one has come in or out of that door except me. I've committed no crime." And you go, "Hey, they said the criminal ran in that door. Since I've been standing here, no one has come in or out of that door. Oh, people have used that door before. Therefore, you're
Did
out
you
that door."
did
It's
you
for
forget
it's
that
for the
that you
time
just
or purpose
used
that they're speaking
temporal?
right then.
Did you realize that you just gave a temporal clause and Jesus
Yes,
didn't?
I know.
Okay, so you realize that temporal clauses change
Sure.
the meaning?
Sure, but we don't assume that it's not
Sure.
there just because it's not there.
Actually, I didn't assume that.
But sure, we don't assume it's there
Okay,
because it's not
so,
there.
So in Jesus's
Not to mention,
words,
you know,
does he say
what
that
were the
nobody
heavens
has
referenced as?
ascended into heaven right now?
So again, Justin,
So you're not going to
when
answer the question.
heaven is used in the Bible, is it always used as a physical place?
Yeah,
Is it only used as a physical place?
yeah. Heaven is a physical location, my man. I don't know if you bothered to read the Bible, but
Is it only used as a physical place, or do people say to the heavens as an expression of heaven to the sky?
it's a physical place. Heaven is.
Turns out. What's
I mean, that's the
happening?
answer to the question. Literally, the
I don't know,
word
I like this
heaven
guy.
means sky. That's what it means.
The heavens. They use the heavens to refer to the skies as well.
Yeah. That's
And
the
so,
same
but
thing.
even all of that is besides the point. You're also interpreting the Bible as something that's linear
No, I'm
versus
not.
circular.
I'm just asking, when Jesus says no one has
Sure you are.
ascended into heaven, what
Sure.
does that mean?
No. You reference something that was
Is
in
no
the past.
one- is
and
no
then
one
you
a temporal
reference something
clause?
that happened. Sure.
Okay, so
You
when
reference
Jesus
something
says
that
no
happened
one
in the
has
past, then you
ascended into
reference something that
heaven,
happened now.
what time period is that?
Yep. Right. What time period is that? Again, you're asking me linear questions.
I'm asking you
Why is the
a
assumption
temporal
that
question.
these things?
What time period is Jesus talking about?
Well, Jesus has to be the first century.
So you think he's saying
He's
nobody in
speaking
the
of
first
himself in the
century?
first century.
Nobody in the first century has ascended into heaven? Here
But
comes
no, no, no.
the I
You're
need to
missing my
add
point
words to the
that I'm
Bible
making
argument.
by even using. No, don't have to add any words.
Then
When you
why
go
do you
back to
think this is about the first century?
you talk about Elijah ascending up. Your
Why do you
assumption,
why do you think this is about the first century?
because you're talking about Jesus and
So
what he
what?
said he was going to do,
So Jesus is never allowed to talk about the past?
because that's Jesus' time period is the
Is he
first century.
is he talking about the past or the future here?
See, Justin, you're proving my point. What I'm saying, what I'm trying to
I'm
get you
just
to
asking
understand
you
is that
to
we can
answer
talk
the
about the
question. Is he
past or the
talking about the
present
past or the
versus the
future?
Bible's linear.
Yeah, and we get
It's
we get
unclear.
like through this conversation way faster if you just answer
He
it.
said,
When Jesus says no
yeah,
one
yeah,
has ascended
I know
into
you want
heaven,
me to
is he
follow
making
your.
a statement about the future, the present, or the past?
And again, you're seeing the Bible as linear.
I'm just asking you a simple question. Is it the future, the present, or the past?
When he says it,
Yeah.
he's talking about all at the same time, right? He's talking about the future,
No.
the present, and the past, is he not?
No, he's not.
Yes, he does. You made every
No.
reference in there.
The word
No man has
is
passed.
in
No
has
man
is past.
has passed.
No,
You want me
that's
to do it for
past.
you? I can
You
walk.
got
I
it's
can walk you
past.
through
You got
it.
it.
No
Yeah,
man
yeah.
has.
Is the
I
past,
love
right?
this.
Yeah.
You got it. And
Yeah.
is there a future tense word in here anywhere?
Well, what does he add in there?
Except for the one who
Except
descended from
for
heaven. Is that past?
right.
Descended past or future?
Well, he already did it, right? He descended from. He was.
Yeah, so
We're
both of
talking
those are
about
claims about the past, right? So he's saying in the past,
at
no
different
one
time
has
periods.
ascended to heaven other than the one who descended from heaven. Now, as it turns
Yep,
out,
yep, yep.
it's perfect in the Greek text too. It's not just an English translation. So it's clearly talking about events in the past. It just turns out that he was wrong.
Okay. He was wrong because you think. Is this one of those things where you think you know more about the Bible than the people that lived in the biblical Jewish days? Is that what it is?
No, they would agree with me that Jesus was wrong.
Uh huh.
Yeah, the Jews,
Right.
the people who wrote the
Right.
Bible would say that Jesus is
Yes.
wrong, which is why they
Well,
crucified
you
him
mean the
because
first portion of the Bible?
because he was a liar.
You mean the First Testament?
No, there's not a First
You mean
Testament.
the First Testament?
It's called the Hebrew Bible.
Well, sure, you can call it the Hebrew Bible, but again, I'm sure you know this. You're a scholar, allegedly. The Bible is a collection of books. It's not.
I've
a book.
never
Like, you
claimed to
understand
be a
that, right?
scholar, and fifth graders know that. So you want to?
Okay. Fifth graders in Bible school or Bible study, or they go to church, they might know that. Not all fifth graders.
Hard.
Come on, Justin.
You only got to flip a couple pages, realize there's
Exactly.
multiple books in it.
Good. Well, good. Just so we're clear.
Uh-huh.
So again, I was trying to get you to understand a much deeper point, and
Yeah, what's
I
the
think you
deeper
totally
point?
missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me
So the
again.
deeper point is that there are many people.
I'm very dull.
It's fine. It's fine. I've seen you work before.
Clearly.
So the point is that you're seeing things happen in the Bible that you're assuming are happening linear in order, like you brought up the Elijah thing, instead of assuming that these things are actually happening at the same time. People are just viewing it in different time periods.
Why would I think that Elijah went into heaven at the same time as Jesus?
Is there any account of anyone going up on a mountain or multiple people being on a mountain at the same time in the Bible?
Yeah.
But also in
Exodus
different time periods?
Exodus 24. Yeah. And Matthew 17.
Okay, what happened there?
They go up on a mountain.
What happened in these places?
I just told you they
And who's
go up
there?
on a mountain.
Who's on the mountain?
In Exodus, they find
on the
God there
mountain?
because they believed in mountain gods.
Okay, so and then where? Who else was on the mountain?
I just told you. It's Nadab, Abihu, Moses, Aaron, and 70 elders, and they eat a meal with God. They see his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another lie. Jesus says that no one has seen God, yet in Acts 24, at least 74 people saw God. That's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. What does it mean to see God?
To visually see, it just means to see.
Oh, does it? Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's what it means. You can look up the word in
Like
Greek.
they
if
saw
you-
him as a
if
being.
you're-
So
if you're struggling with
like
it.
he's
Yeah,
like
it
a
says-
human person. Like
It says they saw his foot, his feet.
okay, so they saw God.
His Pete's, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, Justin, I can see you. I can see you, Justin. I can see you,
So
and I'm not talking about this live.
And now we're
I'm
back
not
to
talking
Avatar.
about your
Yes.
face. I'm not talking about your face.
Yes,
I can see who
but
you
do
are,
you
Justin.
do you
I can see you.
see me? These type of metaphors are
Oh
so,
no,
come
Justin,
on.
I can see
You have
you.
to
I think my
you have to
analogy
grow up a
earlier
little bit.
was a great description.
I don't think it was. So the reality is, Jesus, in fact, now we discovered, say, two false things. That somebody has not ascended into heaven prior, which somebody has, and that no one has seen God, which in the Hebrew Bible, a bunch of people see God. So it seems like Jesus shouldn't be trusted.
Yeah. Wait, Justin, are you trying to tell me you're calling Jesus a false prophet?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Shocking! Shocking! We had a conversation. We
So
talked
you're
about
not
Jesus'
gonna
teachings.
so you're not
We
gonna
talked about,
address
we
the actual
agree
point.
on
You're
the
just
good
gonna
things.
go right into meta.
Again, Justin, I know you don't
Never
like
wants.
Jesus and
He
what he
doesn't
taught.
want
I think we
to.
need
He
to
doesn't
look
want to
at
address
why that
any of the
is.
actual points. Just
Why do
wants
you
to keep
oppose
going
me?
right into meta. Do you want to adjust the topic or no?
We can talk about the topic all day. I tried to explain it to you,
Oh,
and you don't
good.
want
All
to
right. So
listen.
then I'll give you the floor to talk about the topic. Fuck, I won't even interrupt you this time. If you want to tell me whatever you need to
That's
about
very
how
generous,
Jesus
by the
wasn't
way.
a
You should
liar,
consider it.
then go ahead and do it.
Okay, so what's the give me
Oh no.
Oh no, he slipped. What a shame.
Terrible. All
Damn.
right. Well,
What are
friends,
the odds?
I think
That was something. I was so checked out by the end.
yeah, that conversation was a little long in the tooth, I would say.
It kind of dragged.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It did.
I think the
I mean, it was
guest kind
fun,
of
though.
dragged. I had a good time. Hey, let's
Wasn't
grab some
bad.
super chats. Texas Panhandler, thank you so much for the $10 super chat, friend. I banged my knee on my desk. Now I'm a Mormon. Wait, is that a Mormonism thing? Is there a Mormon joke?
There might
in
be a
here?
joke here.
Somebody
There
in the
might be.
chat, I need some help. Is there a Mormon reference to somebody like banging or hurting their knees on a desk? I don't
Possible.
know. I don't know. Texas, I love you, but I don't know the joke here. But thank you for being here, friend. And Karen, thank you for the $20 super chat. I'm very happy to see MB in the Salt Girl slot. True. I can't wait to see people trip and fall into his signature move of, what if I grant you that? How does that prove God? I mean, yeah.
I think we've seen some of that already.
Yeah,
He's
we
very
have.
charitable. Yeah.
Extremely,
More
even.
charitable.
It's
than
funny
many.
because it never goes backwards. I say we'll get to that later.
Hey, Canvas, thank you for the $27 super chat. Bozo called. He wants to call her excommunicated from the clown community. Well, I get that. It would be
Oh, I
embarrassment
see.
for
I
the
get
clown
it.
community.
It is.
Yeah,
It is
Bozo-
quite humorous.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Piranha Kill, thank you for the super chat, friend. Says, you guys will never believe it. I smashed my head into the door a bunch, and I saw God. He's right. Oh, you saw the bright light and the stars and everything? That's one method, actually. But just remember, your consciousness and your awareness are different somehow. Your experience isn't equal.
Of course they are.
And Caroline, thank you for the super chat. I commend you three for your patience. I would not be able to keep my cool with someone who clearly doesn't answer a simple question and is bad faith. And you nailed it. That caller's bad faith all the time. He's not actually interested in the discussion. He's usually more interested in meta. Probably time to stop taking them. But whatever.
So I guess you have past experiences with him.
I've talked to him, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why he thought it could be any better. KP Morgan, thank you for the $20 super chat. I'm going to read for all X. Thanks for the recommendation, MB Logic. Cheers, fellas. Keep up the good No God's work. Hey, thanks, KP. I appreciate that, friend. And W for the recommendation on Monkeyboy's part. All right, I want to bring in Disciple Derek.
Disciple Derek. Disciple
Welcome in,
Derek.
Derek.
Hello.
How's it going?
Yeah, hello guys. Hey, I
Howdy.
do have to drop after a short while because lunch is about done. So I appreciate you letting me up, and I'll try to be quick. I wanted to jump up for a few things. One, I do have evidence that God exists, so I will touch on the actual topic. But first, I wanted to specifically speak on John 3, verse 13.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so
Do it.
if you actually look at the Greek translation of this, it says that no one has gone up to heaven, if not the Son of Man coming out of heaven, coming down to earth. So it doesn't say that no one's going up to heaven but the Son of Man. it says that no one can go up to heaven unless the Son of Man has come down to the earth, which happened in the Old
So
Testament.
you never studied Greek then, did you?
Well, I'm looking at it
How
literally
many
right
how
now.
many times does the idiom "if not" come up in the New Testament and it gets translated as "only"?
Well, it doesn't say the word "only"
Take a
is not
look.
on here. Yeah,
I,
yeah. The
I
word
I'm aware.
"only"
Yeah, yeah.
is
I know it gets translated as "only." Why do you think that is?
that's not what I said.
I know, but the phrase "if
I
not"
can
gets
read it verbatim.
translated as
I can
I
read the Greek
I, I
verbatim
know
right now
what it
for you if you'd
says.
like.
I know what it says. What I'm telling you is that "if not" is an idiom in classical Greek that gets translated to "only" in the New Testament. You can Google that
But
if you
it
want. Go and Google, is "if not" in classical Greek an idiom for "only"? Just Google it.
what does
Find
the
out.
Bible verse say? What does the
Just
Bible
Google
verse
it.
say?
I just told you what it says.
What?
I read it.
No,
No
no,
one
you
has
didn't. You
ascended
actually
into
said
heaven
you said it's referencing
except
an
for
idiom.
the one who ascended from heaven. That's what it says.
That's not what it says. So
Yeah,
it
that's
says,
what it
and no one
says.
has gone up into
Hmm.
heaven, if not the one out of heaven, having come down, the Son of Man who is in heaven. That's what it
Uh-huh.
says.
Yeah, which means what? How do you use that word? Did you forget to study like how the classical Greek language actually works, or did you just open up an
Are,
interlinear translation and learn how to read the transliterations?
are we doing ad homs now? Is that what's going on right now?
No, I'm actually just calling you out for what you actually did.
Which is read the literal translation of the Greek to English.
And not understand
Why not
how
just look at
idioms
the
work.
I mean, I'm just
yeah? Why
reading
not
the
just look
words,
at the
guys. That's
Greek?
all I'm doing.
Why not
I'm
just look at the
literally
Greek?
looking at the Greek right now,
Uh-huh.
translated to English. That's
Yeah, I know.
literally exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So my question is, how is that incorrect if I'm looking at the physical words and reading them for what
Mm-hmm.
they say?
Because
How
you
is
don't
how
understand what they say. See, when you actually have
ad
to
hom?
interpret the Greek, you have to go to
That's an ad hom.
what the audience and what the
No,
speaker
it's not. That's not an
understood.
ad
That
hom.
that is an
Which
ad.
is
Yeah,
why
yes, it is. To say
when
that
you
I
go
don't
to
have the
school,
intelligence to understand what it says is
I didn't
absolutely
say you had the
100%
intelligence.
an
I'm
ad
just saying
hom.
that you're too lazy to study it. So what happens is
That's
when
ad
you
hom.
learn about the actual
So an ad
culture,
hom
you
fallacy.
learn things called idioms. For example, in the
No, an
Hebrew
ad hom is
Bible,
replace.
I understand what
Just
an
to be
idiom
clear,
is.
yeah,
an ad hom is when you substitute an insult for an argument.
Which is exactly
Right.
what he's doing. He's not addressing what the Bible verse actually says.
I
He's
am.
saying, I don't understand the Greek to be able to
Nope.
properly interpret when
I'm
I'm
saying
literally that's not what you said?
I'm saying you haven't looked into it. That's why I encourage you
I'm
to
looking
Google
into
it.
it right now, and I'm
Yeah.
reading it verbatim.
No, Google if it's an idiom.
I'm it. Wait, I apologize. Did I just say that I'm literally reading the words
Yeah. Do you know what
English
an
to
idiom
Greek?
is? Wait, he doesn't know
Yeah,
what an
I'm aware.
idiom is.
I'm aware what an
What
idiom
is it?
is.
What is it?
It's a Jewish phrase.
No, no, that's not what an idiom means. Idiom is when you use a
Yeah,
combination of words and it doesn't thing using words, but it doesn't mean what it literally says. So in the Hebrew Bible, when God is angry, it says his nose is hot. We know his fucking nose isn't hot. That's just how they express anger. It's called an idiom. Now, this is what's happening here. Did you bother to look at the Greek lexicon and see what it says about this particular phrase?
so so it's a phrase.
Did you look it up? Did you look up the
You
phrase?
just said it yourself. You just literally
Did
said it
did
yourself.
you look up the
What it
phrase?
says about this phrase. Did
He's
you?
never going to answer.
So you're proving me
He's
correct. I
I'm
appreciate
actually
that.
proving you wrong, and not just wrong, but like silly wrong. So if you bothered to look at the lexicon, and I'll show it to you because I've got the lexicon right here. What you'll notice is that
I,
it means exactly what I said. It means except, unless, if not. And then if you look at how it's translated, look, this is really interesting. It's translated literally every time in the New Testament to not mean if only. It means except.
what is that? What is that? Can you read right
Oh,
under the definition? What does it say?
it's almost like it's an
What is
idiom.
it, guys? Does it say if not?
Uh,
Because that's what I read in Greek. I
uh,
apologize. Is that what the definition of the word is?
look at the translation of the word.
What's the definition again? What's that
Did
part
did
right above
you
it? What are those two words?
did
I
you did
apologize.
you did you read the translation?
Yeah, right above the
Yeah. Why
NASB translation. Can
and
you two
yeah, yeah,
words right there?
but why are they translating
Can
it
you can you can you
something?
read those two
Yeah,
words up there, please?
Derek,
What does
I
it
know
say?
that I know that it says if not. We're talking about translation.
Oh, so it literally
So
translates
why?
to if
So
not.
no, it doesn't. That's why the translation says except. It doesn't
Wait,
translate to
I
if
thought the
not.
definition. I thought the Greek word's definition is if not. So what
Yeah,
does it translate to?
the definition of the individual words are if for one word, not for another word, but when combined in this grammatical function, it means
Whoa!
except or
I
only.
appreciate that concession.
It's not a concession. I'm teaching
I
you
appreciate that
idioms.
concession. So we can
It's certainly not a, certainly not a concession.
that
We can
and
agree that you're wrong.
it absolutely is. So we can
No,
agree
it
that the
absolutely
verse
isn't.
says, "And no one has gone up into heaven, if
Except.
not the one out
Nope.
of heaven,
It
having
gets
come
translated
down,
as
the Son of Man,
except
who
for.
is in heaven." That's what it says. You just said
Except for.
that's what it says, right?
It means except.
You just said.
In fact, if
That's
you
what it
if you
says.
look right
You
now,
conceded
there,
that.
even in the garbage Strong's Concordance, they knew it. The phrase "amy" is typically
Definition?
translated as except, unless, or if
Oh, so
not.
it
It
is-
is
so it-
used. Hold on. It is used to introduce an exception or a condition to a preceding statement. The exception is Jesus. That's how the phrase is
What are
used.
those?
It's very easy.
Okay, perfect, awesome. So what did I say that a idiom was?
You didn't say what an idiom was. You said it was a phrase that.
Oh, I
is
didn't. You
in
asked
the-
me for the definition of what an idiom was, and I said
You
a
said-
phrase. What is the right?
You said it's
Well,
a
an idiom isn't
phrase
just any
in the
phrase.
Jewish
You
culture.
understand that, right?
Oh, oof.
He doesn't understand it.
So I don't understand it yet.
This-
You asked
this
me for
is
the
gonna look-
definition. I gave you the literal definition.
You
said it
actually
wasn't
didn't
that.
give me the definition.
And then I read the verse.
So, do you want me to
verbatim in
give
Greek,
you
and then
the-
you conceded that. So that's
do
two
you want-
concessions.
No, I didn't concede to either. Do you want me to show you the literal
You
definition
actually
of idiom?
did. You literally agreed
All right.
that the
I did
definition
not.
if not. Oh, so it's not.
Do you
The
understand
definition
that?
isn't?
Do you understand that single word definitions aren't the arbiter of translations? So it says
Do
an
I-
idiom
what-
is a
what-
phrase or expression where the total meaning is different from the literal meanings of the individual
literally what I
words.
just said.
Oh my
That's
God,
actually
that's
so
what I
funny,
said.
dude.
No, you didn't say that because then you'd agree with me.
Guys, panel.
So what
Are you
it
guys
what
going
it
to be
means
intellectually
is
honest here?
that
Did I say that an
is
idiom
that
was a phrase? Yes
the
or no?
phrase
An idiom is not
a phrase is not just a phrase, dummy.
Oh, it's not? Because it literally says in the definition
No.
that's highlighted on the screen that it's a phrase.
This is really embarrassing. This is bad.
Wait,
This
hold
is-
on.
this
I'm
is
sorry.
one of the-
Do you think
the
that
dumbest conversations
and I
I've had
just
in a
I
long
just want to be
time.
super
Wait.
clear here.
Did you
Do
just
you-
say that an
so-
idiom
so
wasn't a
disciple,
phrase and
disciple,
the definition on the
disciple
screen
Derek,
says it's a
disciple
phrase?
Derek,
He's struggling
disciple
with
Derek.
basic
Did you
words.
read the rest of the
I'm struggling reading
the
words. He just said
definition?
it wasn't a phrase, and the
Yeah.
definition highlighted, the
So
text
disciple
literally
Derek,
says
I
a phrase
understand.
on it,
It's
right?
fine. So an idiom is a phrase where the total meaning is different from the literal meaning of the individual words. Did you miss that? Did you miss the
Okay,
rest
so
of the
so
definition?
is it a phrase with a condition?
No,
No.
it's a phrase
No,
with a
it's
condition.
not?
Yeah. It's not just
Okay,
a phrase.
so a phrase with a condition is a phrase, correct?
Well,
It's
no
not
one's
just a
saying
phrase. If you're
that words
defining an
aren't
idiom
phrases.
as a
Okay,
phrase,
so
that's
it is a
incorrect.
phrase. I appreciate. Hey, cool.
No,
I appreciate the concession.
It's not
That's three
just a
concessions.
phrase. That's not a concession. That's a huge L for you because
Absolutely
anything is
manhandling
a
this
phrase.
panel. It's quite hilarious.
Anything is a phrase. That doesn't mean that every phrase is an idiom. Do you understand the difference?
Okay, so if I
Every-
say
so
You just didn't know what a
every-
phrase
idiom
was,
is
or
a
an
every
idiom. Just admit it.
idiom-
It's
is that
fine.
a
Every
correct statement
id-
or is that an
every-
incorrect statement? Yes or no?
Every idiom
It's
is
not
a
a correct
phrase,
statement for a definition. No.
but every phrase isn't an idiom. So
So
that's
so
why
an
I had
idiom
to show
is
you
a
the.
phrase. Just
That's why I had to show you the definition of idiom because you told me that an idiom
Which
is
I
a
pro-
Jewish phrase, and I told you no because that's not what it means. So just to be clear, any combination of words is a phrase, and an idiom isn't specifically Jewish, by the way, either. That's why your definition is wrong.
and
So-
now
So an idiom is a phrase
idiom.
that doesn't mean what the literal dictionary definition of the words are, because when you combine them in a particular grammatical
Okay.
function, they get translated into a different meaning, which is why I had to show you the definition of idiom.
so okay. So let me give you a perfect analogy. If you say what is a leg, and I say it's a body part,
I'd say it's
is
something
that
you
a-
can't
is that
stand
a
on
cor-
because you
is
don't
that a
have one.
correct- Is that a correct statement?
If you said it was a
depends
Jewish
on
body
context.
part, that'd be wrong.
Yeah.
The point is not that you're saying something false about. So the whole point
That's
is
what they
that
said it
we're
was.
talking about the meaning of
They
the
said it was
phrase, and
false.
you're just saying a fact about it. It's like saying a car. The meaning of a car is something made of metal. It might be a fact about a car. That doesn't capture what people are intending to communicate, even if that's true about what a car is. So yeah, idioms are phrases. That doesn't mean for
And?
any phrase, it's then an idiom,
Okay,
right?
so
Because if that were the
so I
case, they're
wasn't incorrect. I
substitutable.
appreciate that concession.
You were
And
though.
also, to be
concession.
clear, you were incorrect because you said it's a Jewish phrase.
In the context
And
of what
you're
we're talking
incorrect.
about,
Jewish
if not,
phrase.
is a Jewish phrase. Yeah.
Also, you're incorrect because
No.
Oh, now
clearly
context
Yeah, that's
Jesus
right.
matters.
Yes,
is
yeah,
it's
it
about
is.
the definition.
It's a Greek idiom, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, it is. But
It's-
again,
no,
guys,
it's
that's
not.
the fourth
It's a
concession
Greek
now. I
idiom.
appreciate that.
We've conceded nothing. You're embarrassing yourself. So
Okay.
the New Testament's
Who-
written
who-
in the
who
Greek.
wrote-
You know
who
that,
wrote
right?
this? I apologize.
You know that it's
Was
written in Greek.
Was he Jew? Was he a Jew?
No.
Yeah, a Greek that I told
John-
you the literal definition
John-
of, and then you went and looked it up.
Well,
You
well,
went,
John
you
didn't
went
write-
and looked it
John,
up. and then
John,
it was the-
John
the-
didn't.
you
John
read
didn't
the
write
exact words
this.
that I said it
I
was.
already knew the definition
John
of the
Jacob
words. We're
Jacob
talking about
Hammerschmidt.
translations.
I got you. So wait, who
You-
did write it then?
You got yourself. So there's two.
DZ, who-
there's
who-
at
who-
least
who
two.
wrote it? Who
There's
wrote it
at
then?
least
Who
two
wrote it then?
authors. There's at least two authors that call
Who-
themselves out
who
in the
wrote-
very
okay,
last
who?
chapter. They're not named. It's
Who?
an anonymous gospel.
So you don't know who it is. So you can't say that it's
Well,
not John.
I really
Nobody
wanna know.
knows who it is. It's not John, though.
Okay, so you can't say that. Oh, nobody knows who it is.
Well,
But it's
you can.
not John.
You know, you can look at the
So-
context of it to determine
You
if
can
they're a
say
Jew,
you
right?
can say
So you don't know that?
nobody knows who it is, but you can
So
say who it isn't.
So he doesn't know that.
Yeah,
you can just
actually,
read
that's
the
a thing that
context.
you can do.
Yeah. So why does the author
No,
continuously
actually, it's
talk
not.
about the Jews as though he's not one of them? Did you bother to read the whole gospel? Are you still stuck on the whole nonsense of
Yeah,
trumping the
of course.
Antichrist?
Are you bringing up
So
a red herring right now?
how come every
that
time
what
the
that is?
author talks about the Jews, he separates himself from
Can we
them?
stick to the
That's
point?
why I
Can we
know.
stick to the point, not run?
That's,
Can
the
you not
point
run?
is that
It is the
it's not
point,
written
just
by a
not running.
Jewish person. This is your point. Yeah. You said that it was written by a Jew. I'm
wait,
saying
so-
no.
so-
There's
so-
no reason to believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you talking about?
Why?
Those who
Why
follow
would our-
Christ are Jews.
Not all of them. No. In fact, the primary followers of Christ in the early church were
Yes,
Greeks.
every single Jew. Yes, every
No.
single individual who follows Christ is a
No,
Jew. 100%.
that's adorable, but not true.
Are you?
It absolutely is
Are you
true
like
according
high
to
right
Scripture.
now?
You're
or-
incorrect.
You are 100% incorrect.
No, he doesn't realize
You're
that there's a
biblically
difference
incorrect.
between
don't know this in
Hebrews and
Scripture?
Jews. He thinks that because you follow Christ, you become a Jew, but you actually don't. You get grafted into the vine and you become a Hebrew, not a Jew. A Jew is a specific subset
Incorrect.
of the Hebrews, and you would know that if you read the
Incorrect.
Bible. No, it's correct.
I do know that. That's 1,000,000% biblically incorrect.
It's definitely not.
You are objectively wrong.
I'm definitely not objectively wrong. Between you and me, only one of us has actually read this book.
Okay, so Romans chapter 2.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
What about
verses
it?
28 and 29.
Yeah, what about it?
Can you go ahead and read that for me?
Oh, where he talks about becoming a Jew to the Jew and a Greek to the Greeks?
No, that's not what it says.
Oh, let me
Can you
grab
go
it
ahead?
then.
Can you just go ahead and read it for me, please? I apologize.
Sure, yeah. Apparently you can't read then?
I mean, I can read it for you if you'd like.
Oh, for a person is not a Jew who is one outwardly, nor is circumcision something external to the physical. Rather, a person is a Jew who is one inwardly, and circumcision is a matter of the heart by the Spirit and not the written code. And do you understand that he knows that
So
there's a
just-
division? Do you understand that
Just out of
Paul?
curiosity.
Do you understand that Paul knows there's a division between the Jews?
Oh,
You understand
There we are.
that there are at least 12 different tribes within the Hebrews, and when he talks about Jews, he's talking
Can I
about
finish
people
making my
who
point? Because
he's talking about people who
I was
belong
building a
to.
case. So.
He's talking about people who belongs to a religion, not to a lineage. You understand there's a difference?
Can I continue, please?
Not if you talk over me.
With my because I was building a case for the questioning. That's why I
And
asked
you
the
were-
question.
You were trying to
And-
do it
and
while
I
you're
could have
talking
read
over
the
me,
verse,
which is
but I was asking
why I
you to read
muted
the
you.
verse, not to elaborate on the verse. So
Yeah,
again,
I'm
so we see
I'm going
according
to.
to okay, cool. So
I'm going
according
to. Cool. I'm going to elaborate on something that I read, and you can't stop me. Sorry.
okay. Well, can I? But then you're not being intellectually honest. I appreciate that, though.
I am.
Another concession, by the way.
I'm explaining the difference between
When
a
I'm proving a
lineage
point and
and a religion.
I'm asking you to read something
We should put
Uh-huh.
a concession counter.
to
We should.
to establish.
Yeah,
we're
is
up
that
to like
concession
7 now.
5 or 6? Oh, 7 now.
I
Oh,
think
I
it's like
missed
7,
5
yeah.
and 6. Oh,
So-
shit.
At least 8.
So
7 or 8, yeah.
on the so it says just out of clarity for clarification, it says on the contrary, a person is a Jew who is one inwardly, and circumcision is of the heart by the Spirit. What Spirit is that?
So you do understand that your argument, first of all,
Can you answer the
isn't true,
question?
but also it's
Can you
it's
answer the
irrelevant.
question?
It's also irrelevant unless
Answer
you
the,
think
what Spirit
it's
are
also
they speaking
irrelevant.
about in Romans chapter?
It's also irrelevant unless you believe
Can you answer?
Christianity.
Can you?
it's also irrelevant unless you've already demonstrated that Christianity is true.
Can you
So,
reference
so the point that we're trying to prove
where I was
here
running?
is that there was a phrase that was used, and to say that it's Jewish,
What
we're
spirit?
not. To say that it's a Jewish phrase doesn't mean that it's part of a religion. It means that it's part of a culture and a language.
What
You're conflating a culture and a language with a religion,
Oh, this is
and
so
that's
rough.
why this is painful right now. Yes, it's true that you can. Paul calls people like spiritual Jews. They've been grafted in. They're
What?
spiritual children of Abraham, but that doesn't mean that they share in the language and culture of the people who were speaking. When I say that something is a Jewish idiom, well, I didn't say that, by the way. I'm talking about the language and the culture, not about the religion. You're smushing the two together, buddy.
Okay, so what spirit is that referring to in Romans chapter 2?
It's irrelevant. It's the Spirit of God.
Oh, it's irrelevant. So
Yep.
something that makes this. So a person is made a Jew. Somebody's a Jew with
Religiously.
circumcision of the
God, I
heart by
hate
the
the way that
Spirit,
you
and you're
emphasize
saying
the
that's-
J
you're
in
saying-
Jew.
Yeah,
That's like
religiously a Jew.
So they are. So a person is a Jew according to what?
According to you, they're a Jew if you
Well,
if you got
according
circumcision.
to Romans chapter 2,
if you-
what's a Jew?
According to you, a Jew is someone who has been circumcised of the heart. But the problem that you're going to have here is I read the Bible and you haven't, which is why I know that contradicts what God himself said. Because God himself
read that
disagrees with Paul. God himself in Deuteronomy 30
running.
says that when your hearts are
stop reading.
Why are
circumcised,
you running?
you're going to follow all of the
You
commands
guys are running
in
hard. It's a
Deuteronomy.
panel of 3 people. It shouldn't be that hard. Be
Also,
intellectually
that's
honest.
telling him to stop
actually
running
pretty
won't
easy.
make him stop running.
I thank you for making my point.
Well, I'll tell you what,
That's
you're
what
right on
concession
one
number
thing.
8.
I am running. I'm running a train on you. So let's get with the program here
Okay,
and
so-
stop trying
what
to shout over the
spirit is
guests.
that? What spirit?
And maybe
Can you
maybe we'd
please-
actually
can you
get
please
somewhere. I
answer the question?
already
What
told you it's the Spirit of
spirit-
God. I already told you. Were you listening?
Okay, so it's the
So
Holy
you weren't
Spirit?
listening. That's what the Spirit of God is. Do you not know that?
Beautiful. Okay, so a person
Oh
is a
no,
Jew
he didn't know
according
that.
to the Holy Spirit, dwelling the
No.
Holy Spirit, right?
No, you're not. That's a religion that you're referring to, not a lineage.
Okay, all right. So that's what, guys. Is that concession number 9 now?
It's not a concession. You're just too dull to
You just said
understand it.
that the
Also,
followers of Christ aren't
also,
Jews. Followers
both
of
you-
Christ are dwellers of the Holy
well,
Spirit.
both
Therefore,
you
they are
and Paul
Jewish.
are wrong, by the way. You're both wrong. You and Paul.
Okay, I appreciate it, guys.
Do you want me to show you
Appreciate
where
it.
you're wrong? I'll show you where
Imagine
you're wrong.
being
Come
so
up.
wrong.
I'm gonna go enjoy my lunch.
Yeah, I
But
would
appreciate the
run.
concessions, guys.
Deuteronomy 38,
Yeah.
then you shall again obey the Lord, observing all his commands that I'm commanding you today. Those are the commandments of Moses. When is that going to
Oh, he
happen?
ran.
He says, the Lord your God will circumcise your heart and the heart of your descendants. Oh, fuck. You mean the people with circumcised hearts have to follow the commandments? Oh, no. That was rough. Buddy, I knew, as soon as I saw
You know, he
Derek in the
actually came up
box,
'cause he
I
said he had
knew it's going to be a
evidence.
crash out.
Yeah,
He does
that's
not.
funny.
Yeah.
All he
I
does is crash out.
recognize.
He's a crash out machine. I don't even know what
I
to
wonder
put
if
in
he
my
said
notes
anything.
for this one.
He said he was gonna go eat his lunch. I'm trying to figure out. I know that's a phrase, but I don't know if it's Jewish. So I wonder if it's an idiom or not.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He was definitely an idiom.
Yeah, yeah, he was one of those. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but
I don't think he was Jewish though, but
Yeah. Definitely not a Jewish idiom.
yeah,
I
not
got-
a Jewish one.
everything I wanted out of Disciple Derek. I would never miss a
Honestly,
chance to
yeah.
watch him
You,
make a fool of himself.
you know, you enjoyed a cookout. Like, I can understand the.
Yeah,
You and him both had lunch. Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Decker, thank you for the $10 super chat. An all-living God cannot exist because if he did, why did he make Derek to be so insufferable?
True. Truer words have never been spoken.
That's got to be true. Got to be true.
Might be a part of soul
Remember,
building.
he's a Bible scholar.
Derek
knows
was
the
Derek was
Bible
placed
well.
here for us.
Yep.
He says, not one caller today has wanted to read the Bible. They really hate reading the Bible. I'll give
They ne-
Derek a little bit of
They also haven't wanted
Credit.
to talk
He
about
likes it.
science either.
true. That's true. Yeah. Hey, Kelly, thank you for the super chat, friends. Says, appreciate seeing Monkeyboy Logic up there with team. Hell yeah. Love Ian, of course, but variety is nice. I agree. It's
Variety
the spice
is
of life,
indeed
I've
the
heard.
spice of life.
Yeah. That's what I'm told.
Word up.
Oh, hey, twinsies.
Christopher says, this man goes out to get a hot dog and ends up eating a high temperature canine. Oh, shit. That was good. Okay. That's...
That made me laugh. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's the definition said it's a hot dog. So obviously, he's eating animals. I mean, there's no other way to interpret that. Come on, don't be stupid. I'm looking at the words. Golak says, if the USA is the richest country in the world, why are the religious and richest in America morally bankrupt? The hypocrisy is astounding. Rock hard for Doug. Well, I wouldn't say that. Derek obviously had superior morals to all of us, and he just demonstrated it. He was so righteous and humble and full of the fruit of the Holy Spirit. All right, let's get
Very
our
humble, very Holy Spirit.
all right. Let's get our next guest in here. Maybe
Linda.
There we go.
Linda.
Welcome in, Linda. Linda.
Sorry, panel.
Oh, you up here by accident?
I didn't mean.
Oh, no worries.
I didn't
we got
mean
It's
to
you.
okay,
come up.
Linda. We appreciate
Okay.
you.
Thanks for coming up, anyways.
Cheers. Okay, go on to the next. We have actually a lot of TikTok guests today, and we had one YouTube guest for like 5 seconds, and then they left. It's a weird. It's
Yeah.
obviously because the Shorts feed isn't feeding. I
Yeah.
don't know why it's not
It's
even
just not
live.
working.
There was
the
that
new
one
feature
guy with
doesn't
the
work.
top hat.
It
What was
was,
his
and that would have been delightful.
True.
Yeah, you could just tell by his face. It was gonna be fun.
Well, maybe Elisa's going to connect. It's hard to tell here. Maybe Lisa's not going to connect. Okay. Lisa, come back
I'm
if you get better
suspecting
connection.
not.
Yeah, that seems like a no. No for me, dog. All right. Haha does
Bummer.
tanking. Welcome in,
Hello?
Haha. Are you at least 18?
I'm 30.
Cool. And do you
Cool.
believe in God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Which one?
So I'm not Christian, so I believe that there is an uncaused causer that exists
Wait,
out of time and space through
did
my
you say you're not a
research.
Christian?
Yeah, he
Not
said he's not a
Christian.
Christian.
I don't.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not a Christian.
Okay. Okay.
I-
So you're just
I just believe
like
that
a
there is-
theist.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So
I know this
I
guy.
have. Yeah, we talked yesterday. I have 7 primary points as to why I believe in God, and they
7.
compound with each other. Is it okay if I go through these 7 points?
Why don't we take them one
I
at a
can
time?
list out one at a time. Sure.
Let's do that.
So I'll start with that. No observable thing thus far has caused itself into existence. I don't.
Well, give me a second, because if we're doing 7 points, I gotta be honest, I need to get my notepad out and write these down. I'm gonna forget.
Well,
some
I
of
think
these
that we're gonna
points.
do them one at a time, right?
Or what we could
Yeah,
do
we
is
can-
we
we
can
can
have
do
them
one-
list the 7 and we choose the most interesting.
Could
Unless
be.
order
We can do that
matters.
too. So the reason
I'll
why
open
I
up my
think it's
notepad.
important. Sorry, I'm not intending to interrupt it. I think there's
okay.
just
You're
a
fine.
very
There's-
slight delay.
It's just a
It's a
delay.
slight delay.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so the reason why I believe it's important to state all 7 is because I think there's kind of like an accidental logical fallacy when we isolate one variable, because nothing I say is going to be sufficient in itself to prove God. But I believe that these 7 points compound the high probability of one.
Sure.
Just
So
to clarify that one point is the idea that no independent fact is itself a reason, but the aggregate's a reason, or they're each some accumulative reason where the whole rationalizes
So-
the belief in God.
So a great example would be if you guys were to ask me, hey, describe a duck, and I were to say, hey, a duck has yellow feathers, and you were to stop me at that point and say, well, this bird has yellow feathers and that bird has yellow feathers. That in itself is going to be insufficient to describe a duck. But if I go through and describe everything that makes
Sounds
a
like
duck,
the latter then.
you're going to be like, well,
Right.
that's more likely to be a duck.
Sure, yeah. Then if it's just that they're each independently a reason, and then the collective set of reasons provides you good substantial reason to believe in God, then it might be more interesting to just target each one of those, because some of them we might not think is any reason, or too weak to even collectively do much. So
Yeah, so you can go ahead and give your 7 as long as they're brief. We can just write them down and then we can talk about them.
Yeah, I'll keep them as brief as possible. So the first one is that there's no observable thing thus far that has caused itself into existence. The second
Okay.
point is the fine-tuned physics that allows for life on Earth. Then it's the
Okay.
existence of information in nature as it pertains to genetic code and the ingredients
Mm-hmm.
for genetic code that exists in nature.
Sure.
Then I still hear typing, so I'll just allow for a second.
Go
Let me
for
know
it.
if I'm going too fast. Okay, yep. And
You're
then
fine.
it's the organized and complex nature of uh, biological components, which would be like, the muscles, organs, and the organization and complexity of biology within any, life form. Um, then the next point is the proclivity that, why did the word escape me? Environments or, sorry, ecosystems, the proclivity that ecosystems have to default to balance and cohabitation. And I believe that this is the last and seventh point, and that would be
This is the sixth.
Yeah.
is it the sixth? Okay.
Yep.
So we'll just leave it at six because I can't remember the other one, but the sixth point would be the thousands of anecdotal near-death experiences, and then the contents of that information.
Okay. So it sounds like as far as these explanations go, the first one is sort of like some sort of causal claim that we could talk about. The second, third, fourth, and fifth are some sort of empirical claims about the way the world actually is, and then the sixth is like collections about or claims about experiences. I think that probably there's a lot to say. Like we could probably talk about the NDEs, but I think that probably what would end up happening is that we would just start fighting about specific NDEs, and say that the NDEs are mutually incompatible. So that might not be a point worth talking about, because I think that we would just end in like, oh well, this is NDE says this NDE says that, and so on, and so we probably wouldn't get particularly far. So I think probably the ones that are the most interesting are probably the first, second, and third. The fourth one was about the organized and complex nature of biological components, but this is basically the same as the existence of information in nature, because information is stuff arranged in an organized way. So they're kind of 3 and 4 are kind of the same. And then the proclivity of ecosystems to default to balance and cohabitation is exactly what you would expect given a natural ordering of things as well. So I don't think that that's going to be particularly compelling either way. So I think that we should talk about the existence of information, fine-tuning, and the causal principle. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, which
Yeah,
one of
so
those would you want
the-
to start specifically?
I don't know. What do you guys think about?
Fine-tuning, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Okay, so what fine-tuning, what you say the fine-tuned physics that allows for life on Earth. So what exactly do you mean by that?
Okay, so I would say that the word distance would be imprecise and incorrect. So I'd say maybe the relationship that Earth has with the sun and the moon that allows for life on Earth, and how the gravity is very specific as it applies to Earth, or how it
None
is
of those
on
are
Earth, I guess.
none of those are unexpected on a naturalistic worldview. None of those things.
We'll define what you would mean by expected or unexpected.
As in like there's going to be like thousands, millions, perhaps even billions of such planets that have similar relationships between the planet, the sun, and the planet's moon. It's just very unsurprising that such things exist.
Yeah, and I agree.
Just to
I
be
mean,
clear,
absolutely that.
what I just want to, you're not, so there's like this common, basically account of fine-tuning talk, which is probably the most popular. When talking about fine-tuning, you're talking about the physical constants, and they can
That's
take a
what I
large
thought.
range.
He
Yeah,
wasn't doing
and
that.
basically, yeah, I want to. So you're not talking about like most ways the physics is cannot yield life, right? You're not talking about that. You're instead talking about
The
seems
sun, the moon,
instead
and the
more
earth, and the gravity. Yeah,
sounds more like a design argument than fine-tuning, but
I think it is.
you're not
Yeah,
talking
so
about the thing I said.
I
You're
would
just
I would
talking about the
agree.
distance between.
well, specifically, gravity and the relationship between the sun and moon that allows for life, yes. But I would agree that that in itself is insufficient evidence for anything, and I would agree that those mechanics would absolutely play out. But I think the kind of general theme that runs across all those points is that I don't necessarily believe that the blueprint serves as evidence against a creator.
Look, none of the points that
It
you
would
gave
suggest
are
one.
evidence against a creator, but this is supposed to be evidence for a creator.
Right, no, exactly. But what I'm saying is that you would look at natural processes and would say
Hmm.
that here we have the blueprint for things that could occur naturally. I'm saying that the blueprint is evidence for
What
God,
blueprint are you
not
talking
evidence
about?
against him.
Yeah, the
Blueprint as far
talks
as
is loaded.
scientific understanding, like the facts that we know about physics and biology, and the blueprint
Why would the
being
existence of there being facts about the world indicate that there's a creator?
no. What I'm saying is
Even
that
if
the
there wasn't a
atheist
creator, there would still be
position.
facts about the world.
No, exactly. What I'm saying is the atheist position tends to lean into this idea that these facts justify themselves as purely being natural
Well,
causes. What I'm saying is the existence of
look,
this
so
may
if
imply.
you wanted to change if you want to change your argument so that you could say like, ah, well, the existence of laws of physics at all, or the existence of patterns in nature at all is evidence for God, that'd be one thing. But that's not what you're saying. You're saying that it's specifically this relationship between the Earth, sun, and the moon and the gravitational strength of the Earth is evidence for God. But that's clearly not the case.
Well, that's one of the few points I made, and that's just an example of organization and complexity, which is the physics. That's one. There's multiple layers of complexity of organization.
By the
But
way, generally complexity and organization are kind of like opposite each other. They're not direct opposites, but they're kind of like, at odds with each other.
Right, but they coexist in nature in those examples I provided.
I'm not in the same way.
So you would say that an ecosystem is both complex and organized, correct?
I guess okay. Maybe I'm just understanding what you mean by complex to be something different from what you actually mean by complex.
It's possible I'm being imprecise with my words. I apologize. I mean, I don't claim to be, as versed into these kind of studies as you are. Like, I know that you
That's
are
fine.
very credible when it comes to physics and things like that. So I'm totally open to being wrong. I just, if I'm using words imprecisely, I'm not trying to be disingenuous or lying. I
So
might just
so
genuinely
complex. So by complex, do you just mean it has like a
misunderstand
lot of
something.
moving parts that are like interrelated or something, or do you mean something more, more kind of like
How
rigorous?
how I define complex would be intricate or made up of different aspects. So,
Okay.
an
So
example,
basically,
yeah.
you just mean organized.
Well, no. So complex would be, so organized would be that the placement of where everything is. Complex is how those things act with each other. So organized is where things are, and complex is how they behave in relationship to each other. That's how I'm using it in this
Okay.
specific
Sure.
instance.
Sure.
Not
Okay.
defining the word in
So
itself as that, but that's how I'm using it.
so it sounds like that your two pieces of evidence, that your arguments, aside the NDEs one because that's probably a dead end, um, is something like, okay, there's like systems that exist in the world that are, you know, seemingly more organized than we would expect and more intricate than we would expect on a non-God hypothesis, and also things can't cause themselves. Now, whether those
Right.
so the first one could pertain to the Earth, it could pertain to ecosystems, it could pertain to biology. You're just like there are these, these complicated things that are also organized, and that's I don't see how that could arise naturally. Is that roughly it?
Right. So organized is the placement of everything that allows for the functions, which are what I'm defining as complex, and the behavior of those functions. And I'm saying that exists on multiple levels, exists on physics,
Right.
biology,
Okay.
and ecosystems.
You were just giving examples of this principle.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So you gave us examples of this principle. Now, why should I think that like this kind of complexity, this kind of organization, this kind of intricacy, wherever it might be, is not the kind of thing that we would expect to find if the world did not have a designer?
No, absolutely, you shouldn't. But my argument is that I also have seen insufficient evidence that we came from nothing. So my
You
stance is
were
that I
wait. This
lack.
is supposed to be an argument. Also,
No, it is.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like your only two argument. It's not like the only two options are either it came from nothing, or a god exists. Those aren't the only two options.
Well, no, the
Mind you,
two
your view
options. I
admits of
wouldn't.
something coming from nothing.
Right. So
Oh, that's true.
I wouldn't define those as the 2 points. So I believe that it's either that the origin is either intention or non-intention. I'm saying that
Yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah,
fair.
assuming
based on
there's
what I
another God.
provided,
Sure.
it would suggest intention.
Okay.
There's a
So
lack of
on what
evidence for
grounds do you get
non-intention.
to intention? On what grounds do you get to intention rather than non-intention from these things?
The multiple examples of the coexistence of organization and complexity as it exists in the ecosystem, as it exists
I'm
in
asking
biology
why
and
is it
physics.
that why is it that we think? I'm asking what makes you think that the examples of those things are indicative of intention?
I think that yeah, no, that's a wonderful question. So I think it's like this. So if someone wins the lottery first time, we can reasonably agree that could happen. If they won it as like 2 times, we'd be like, okay, well, it's possible. If they win it a billion times, we would start questioning it.
Yeah, but you're in this analogy, you were assuming that these are the kinds of things that are rare given a naturalistic interpretation of the world, right? Why should I think that they're rare?
Not necessarily, I don't know if it would be completely precise to say rare would be where
You
I'm
used
going
an
with.
analogy
But
with
I'm
the
saying
lottery, which is like
improbable.
the quinta. Okay, rare and
Right,
improbable mean the
rare,
same thing.
okay.
Okay, so
Well,
why should I think that they're improbable given a naturalistic understanding of the world?
so, right, so I can give an example of this. So
I don't want an
so our
example, I want an
ecosystem,
explanation.
well, the example is the explanation.
I suspect it won't be, but go ahead.
Okay, well, no, I think you will find it sufficient or at least interesting. So, like the
Okay.
ecosystem, in example, right? So it contains multitudes of life. Um, so my question is why, out of all the millions and millions and millions of different life forms that exist on Earth, why didn't one, out of all of these, why didn't one exhaust its ecosystem or other ecosystems and exhaust its own bloodline in itself? Why is there no single apex invasive species that wiped out the balance of Earth? Why is the default
You're
cohabitation?
asking me a question. You're asking me a question. This isn't an explanation or even an example.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I apologize if
we're asking how that's some reason to think that it's intentional.
well, the reason that it's intentional is I think of it as probability. I think that the multiple layers of organization and complexity, based on my
Why?
logical
Let me ask
understanding,
you this:
would
if a God
point towards
existed,
intention.
why would a God intend for an organized, complex ecosystem or world as we find ourselves in?
Well, I think it's just that I have a hard time believing that non-intention would
There it
lead
is.
to those
But that doesn't
outcomes.
mean that theism predicts it. So it's quite unclear to me how
Well,
that does anything.
I don't know if predict would be the best word. I mean, it might be. I don't know, but
But that's what we're
I
trying to
just
do,
fail to
right?
see the
Yeah,
alternative,
we're trying to
right? So
see
I'm not
why, if
making a
theism were
100%
true, would we
truth claim
think
here.
we're...
I'm not saying, that I'm not making 100% like
So
truth
look,
claim in the sense that
so
I
so maybe I
believe,
can maybe I can help where we're coming from. So you're saying,
okay.
okay, I can't see why, or I can't see how it would work that you would have all of these structures if there was no intender. But I could say exactly an almost identical thing to you, which is if there was an intender, I can't see why it would intend these things.
That's where
And
the
it seems like
entity
then we're at
aspect
an impasse.
comes from, and
Yeah, you
This
have
for
to
the what
supply
aspect?
us
Sorry.
some reasons. Or go ahead, yeah.
did you want to get into that case of it? The NDE also, I want to expand on it. It's more than just the NDE experiences. It's also studies that I've done on altered states from psychedelics or things like that, and the correlation between
I think we're
those
jumping
in
around too much. I want to
NDEs.
kind of tie up each one of those reasons.
Sure.
or like half pursuing.
Okay.
Yeah, so the stuff that we're talking about already, the question is why, if a God existed, what reasons do we have to think he would intend for a world adjacent to that which we find ourselves, or with the facts in question? Why is that?
Right. Well, that would be a philosophical question, not one that would prove the existence of God. Did you want to move in that direction?
That would, yeah. Well, that's relevant to it being some evidence.
Well, I believe, and we can get into why I believe this later if you want to, but I believe that evolution's a part of it. I believe that it kind of ties back to the first law of thermodynamics of, energy cannot be destroyed, it can change states. I believe that our experience here, the experience is intentional for our inner transformation and for our learning and development.
Wait a minute.
I
You
believe
said you
that
weren't a
our
Christian,
physical
right?
body. I am not a Christian. No. My
Okay.
beliefs come from in the experiences and my personal research
No,
on
that's fine. That's
biology and
fine.
physics.
That's fine. But like,
Well, I
like,
will
look,
say that
you're just not giving us why is it that this being that you believe in, why does it have this characteristic that would make it want to create a world like ours?
I think that God might be limited. Like he might be a mechanic that
Like,
is. I
imagine
think
I
I
said as
think
an
there's.
atheist, for parallel, I
Right.
said my reason I think God doesn't exist is because if God existed, he would intend to pick out a world not like what we find ourselves in, and you and him would be making parody claims. Now, presumably, the same fact is reason for one or the other. So the question is, what would you have to kind of break that symmetry?
Sorry, could you just define again what the symmetry is again? What specifically?
Yeah, that I say the fact we find ourselves in the world with the same facts you're pointing to is evidence that a God doesn't exist. Because if a God existed, he would not intend for those facts.
So you think that like the moralistic standard that he potentially should have is that he doesn't think that you don't think he should allow for the certain things that do exist currently, that something
I'm
else
not
would exist
saying
in its
what he
place. Is
should
that
or
your
shouldn't
position?
do. I'm saying that someone can say, no, actually, if a God existed, he would be doing the opposite than what you are claiming he would be doing. Because if God existed
Well,
and
they could.
intended these facts, it's not surprising we find ourselves in a world with these facts. But the question is, why, if a God existed, would we find it that he would want these facts? Someone can equally say, or have the impression that a God would want the opposite facts.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of where there's kind of a cutoff in the sense that there's no empirical evidence for any direction in that conversation, unfortunately. I think that more so
But then it's
my
just
points are
impotent.
just pointing
You
to,
couldn't really make claims about
well, no, it's
what
it's
God
it's
would
pointing
do.
to the probability of intention versus non-intention. That's my main point.
But
And
that doesn't answer
morals
that's
and
what's
philosophy
under
are
dispute.
important, but
But to say it's evidence
right.
for intention is to say that
Well,
if
I
there
think
is a being who intended, if there is a being who intended to create a world, we would have reason to think they would create a world similar to what we find ourselves in. We find ourselves in this world, therefore that's some evidence for that being. The question is why, if that being existed, should we think that it would intend for something, the facts we see?
okay. So I'm just gonna say this is 100% not an excuse. This is 100% true. So I have like an auditory impairment, so it's kind of hard for me to track like long sentences. Could you just
That's
possibly
fine.
just shorten that? Yeah. I'm dyslexic, but it's like primarily like the auditory experience. So it's like I hear things kind of murmuring, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I could give you a concrete example. Like we have reason to think when it rains, the floor is wet. So when the floor is wet, that's some degree of confirmation for that. But if I said if a God were to exist, it would create a world like this, that's the controversy. Why should I think that a God would create a world like this
Like
with
this
the
morally or like
ecological
this
facts and whatever
physically?
else? Yeah, the
However,
facts
Okay.
about complexity and organization of ecosystems and whatever else.
Okay. And you're asking like why would God make it like that specifically? Well, I think that the reason is that he creates the perfect environment, which in the sense of there's this foundation of order, but there is an active principle of chaos that allows
No, no,
for
you're confusing the question because
um,
the question isn't for intention. I'm asking what would be the justification that God would create a world like this.
well, the justification would be that he would be limited, and that there's a and that we're a part of him in the sense that we need to go through this process to, I guess, evolve and integrate. And he allows freedom of
This is,
choice. And
I don't think, okay, do you understand? There's this distinction where when I say, if someone claimed John stole a cookie from the cookie jar, you can ask, well, why think John stole a cookie from the cookie jar? And you can do one of two things: interpret that as a question about his intentions for taking the cookie, and you say, I think John took a cookie from the cookie jar because he's
oh, I
hungry,
see what I'm doing
or
now. Okay,
a
I see.
question of justification that John took. When I ask why
I
think, I'm
see.
asking
Okay.
why think the proposition he took a cookie from the cookie jar is true, not the intentional question.
Okay. So not his reasons, just like why he did it in general.
Yeah, it would even be like, why think if God existed, he would have those reasons you've provided?
Well, that he's limited and it's necessary for our advancement, and
Like,
in
if you can
turn his
imagine a
advancement.
world with a God that only wanted to create cheese, on your view of the nature of God, you think it's false that if a God existed, he would want a world with cheese. Instead, he would want a world similar to what we find ourselves in. We find ourselves in that world. It's some evidence. But the question is,
So,
why? Uh,
well, I think I
you go on.
am given the why, aren't I? Am I missing something?
Maybe I'm
I'm
just
giving
not
the
catching
reasons
it.
why. I think I am because I'm giving the reasons why
look,
he's
so
acting.
so surely we can agree that if a god exists, just like a general god, not with any particular traits, that god could have the traits where it wants to create a completely chaotic nonsense universe, right? It could have the trait where like half the universe is yellow, and it could have the trait where it wants to create a universe where half the universe is yellow and the other half is blue. It could have the trait such that leads it to make it so that every single electron is located exactly 2 feet away from every other proton, and like
Right.
you could just like so why is it that the god that you think exists is the only god that's reasonable to think, or is the only god that's plausible? Because if all of these other gods are equally plausible, then we have no reason to think that your god is more likely than the others, and hence we wouldn't expect that your god would be the one that would, and hence we wouldn't expect this universe to be the one that was created. We would
Right. So I
expect,
mean I have
this would be quite unusual.
no, absolutely. So there's no 100% certainty. So it's like this. I can't. So let's say for some reason 2 plus 2 is super complicated. We know it's simple. I might not know the answer is 4, but I know the answer is a number. That's kind of where that logic falls in. I I don't have proof of every detail or aspect of the intender. I just think it's very possible that there is an intender based on the reasons I provided.
Well, we're asking the question about what would we think the intender would do. You're saying it would do this. We asked you why it would do this, and it
Well, that's
maybe
a
I'm just
philosophical
not.
question, and
That's
I
that
think
what
the
we're
reason
talking
I'm
about
It,
getting
philosophy.
it, it
tripped
may
up.
be, but that's what
Okay,
we're talking about currently.
okay, that's fine. All right, yeah, no, I was just confused because I
Like,
originally
imagine I
started to.
said, actually, God doesn't exist because God would create a world with only cheese. What would you do to show me I'm mistaken for thinking if God existed, he would intend to create a
Well, I
world with
think
only cheese?
the only thing that I can point to that would inform my information or I mean, even lack thereof of what God's morals are, or what his principle its principles are, is from these NDE experiences and the cross examples of shared themes and shared experiences. But we would both agree that's insufficient in itself to prove God's character.
You're saying that
That's the only thing
NDEs
that I
tell
would
you
go
about his
off of.
character?
Yes, thousands and thousands and thousands say it's all love, God loves, 100%, no one's condemned. If you are condemned, you condemned yourself accidentally, and the second you call out to God, God saves you.
Wait a minute, I thought you
I'm
weren't a
not.
Christian.
I'm not Christian. No. Well,
Then
hell,
what?
I'm using hell as a very generalized, just because people know what hell means. But we could just say a negative location. But this negative location that they go to is usually just a result of self manifestation. They accidentally, out of their free will, manifested that situation for themselves, and the second they call out for God. So people accidentally punish themselves, but when they call out to God, God saves them, or they just get saved anyways. But that's what thousands of NDs are saying. Now, I'm not saying that's sufficient evidence for anything. I know people in the comments are going to go like, "Oh, NDs are crazy." Fair, that's fair enough. But I think that it could possibly point us in a direction if all these people are having these experiences. I'd say the one thing
But
that
that's kind of like the
defines those
same issue. I
experiences
mean,
as right, and I just
it's
want to
not
say real
clear why I
quickly
would
the
think God's
reason
not
why I
into
give
NDEs.
sure, and the only reason that I give credibility to Andy is because I 100% didn't believe them for the longest time. But the only reason is because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reports that are saying things that are actually compatible and true with physics in a way that I don't think like a little kid is accidentally coming up with, or a very old random senile person is coming
What do
up
you
with.
mean
'Cause,
compatible with physics?
I might be using that word imprecisely, but what I mean is that people will say things that they have an outer body experience, so they're experiencing consciousness of what they claim to be non-material, non-matter, and they go through space at a very high speed. And in this very high speed, they perceive a difference in time. Now we know that to be true. The perception of time, or maybe time itself, maybe you could clarify, would be different at those different speeds. So that's just one
Only if
example.
you're a
The
physical
second
thing.
example, no, that would apply to non-material as well, wouldn't it? I mean,
No,
I
no, it
won't open to
wouldn't.
be wrong.
Only the laws of
Well,
physics
you would
only apply to
have to
those
be
physical
non-material
things.
to go out.
In which case, then this has nothing to do with physics. There's no like physical compatibility here.
Well, it's possible that.
He keeps
Well,
roboting for
would
Yon.
energy count as like a physical thing? I'm open
Energy's
to
not a
being
thing.
wrong. Okay. Well, it's non-material, right? Exactly. So
It's not a thing at all. It's a number.
I okay. Well, I'm open to being wrong. I mean, honestly, I don't have enough to really refute that position.
But look, so
I just found
it
that
sounds
interesting.
like ND. There's a reason why there haven't been particularly why NDEs are not the end all be all for theistic arguments, and it's because they've been studied a lot, and there's a lot of really inconclusive stuff about them.
Right,
Like
and
there have
that's
been
I
tests
think
done where like where like they basically hide some text, and then the person who has the NDE can never see it. Right.
well, the problem with that, right, the problem with that experiment is the nature of the variable changes. So the you that you're interviewing and is agreeing to his experiment is going to be different than the you that's experiencing the NDE.
So then, wait a minute. So then, how do you know what the NDE experience is?
The so I believe that there are two different forms of consciousness. So let's say that um the spirit is data and the brain is hardware, and the data is going into the hardware in a sense, or overlapping with it, or interconnecting with it in some way. I believe that those are still two different states. I think that
So how are you able to reliably account, or why are you able to reliably take, or I don't know, I can't speak. Why are you able to take seriously the claims of some NDEs, but when, as in the things that happen to them actually happen to them, they're remembering them correctly. But when this is pressed in an issue of, say, like a lab-based test where they try to see if you can read what's written on a hidden note, now, well, that's expected because it's a different you that's moving through the NDE rather than the original. Like, see how those are in conflict?
Well, I'll elaborate on that point. So from the hundreds that I've read, it seems like there's always like a point of adjustments, of adjusting to being in that different state. So at first they don't recognize the self that they're seeing. So that they're over their body, they see their body, and it seems like there's a point of adjustment. So maybe it's not necessarily, I don't have a perfect explanation for that. I just know that here's these thousands of anecdotes. No
Well,
single
how do you know
one
what they
by
are?
itself is. What do you mean?
How do you know what they are if you can't trust what your memory is of them?
I don't think it's necessarily an issue with memory. I think it's an issue with association. So there's generally a period of adjustment of association. They don't associate with their physical body at the time of death. And I think that we can make the reasonable argument that death in itself is a pretty major event that might distort whatever
Well, it's
priority
not
they
death,
made
to be
prior to
clear. It's
that.
near death.
Well, in some cases, there are instances of clinical death in the sense that they
Clinical death just means that
were
your
kind of
heart stops. Clinical death is not like the kind of death that makes your brain shut down kind of death.
okay. So we can agree that maybe we're using maybe different ways to defining that, but
But look, and this is exactly why I avoided the near death stuff, because I knew that it would just get bogged down in like the specifics. The point is that
yeah,
there's a reason why these are not taken as like a reliable way of determining that there's an afterlife.
I mean I agree. I don't think that this by itself proves anything. I so
Okay,
I
but
100%
this
agree
is
with you.
the single point that you pointed to in order to justify
For a philosophical,
why the God that you think exists has the properties that you think it has. But if we can't rely on these, then
right?
I don't see how this is useful for anybody.
No, right. So I mean I didn't come here with a philosophical answer. So I came on here with the title that God's not real. I had an existence claim. I wasn't prepared for a philosophical claim. I I honestly don't have one. I can't justify why anything without empirical evidence or why. So I can tell you why I personally believe what I believe, but those aren't empirical truths. Those aren't 100% objective truths that I would encourage or push on anyone else. So those are just beliefs that I have.
Okay.
Hmm.
I don't know where to go from here then.
That
So
might be as far
I
as we can
guess
get.
yeah. So I mean I'll just say that like the first 7 points I provided were only intended to point into the direction of either an intender or non-intender. That's all those points were intended to do. I don't have questions as far as philosophy or why. Those are good questions. There's a lot of awful things. I can't think of easy justifications for any of them, nor do I claim to know those answers. But I think that I believe and hope that there is a greater good and a greater reasoning, and it's not just these bad things happen and then the end. That's my hope.
Well,
Well, okay.
a lot of people will hope that. And I
Works
guess
for
we're
me, I guess.
questioning what is,
Hope on,
what's
brother.
real, not what's comfortable. But
Well,
nevertheless, we're basically out of time. We're
yeah,
already gonna be like 20 minutes over as it is. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have
that's
to
perfectly fair.
move forward. But thanks for
Uh,
coming up and being
quick
cordial.
question.
Mhm.
I did have a quick question though. Like, would you say that the 7 points I made were maybe valid reasons for why I believe there is an intender, or invalid?
Um, I would find all of them invalid, every one of them.
They're kind of cookie cutters, so
We've heard
they
all
have
of these
a
individually.
huge history of responses to pretty much any one of those sufficiently,
Yeah.
I'd say.
And I would caution as well, if you have 7 items that are like not sufficient in themselves to prove anything, it doesn't always mean that adding them together is going to make it a better argument. You can still have 7 bad arguments. Oh, that just means you've got a large bad argument now. It's not quite accumulative. Sometimes it can be, but I don't think in this case it's going to be.
I can get that to a degree. Well, it was nice talking to you guys.
All right, cheers, man. Take care.
Likewise. Thanks for being here.
Take care. Have a good
Yeah,
night.
take it.
Word.
It's interesting. I wonder if he's been hanging around the debate space very much. He seemed to not know that these were common talking points.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, friends, we're going to read some super chats and close out the stream. We
Indeed
really
we will.
appreciate everyone being here and supporting the stream and liking and sharing. Sorry, the vertical stream didn't quite make it. The new YouTube feature apparently needs some tweaking. We'll use the old faithful next week. Space Lord says, in kids, object permanence comes several years before they develop a theory of mind. Well, I don't know much about that, but you're probably right.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. In fact, the theory, now you're mentioning it, the theory of mind is not something you even hear about until you're a teenager, probably.
Well, no. But theory of mind is this idea that like you have like you're aware of your own thoughts.
Right. Fair point. Big Wiz says MB Logic in the big leagues now. Wow. Of course he fucking is. He's been great for a long time. Dan, hey, thanks for a super chat. So the waves prove there is a lion in the ocean. No observations prove a lion in the ocean. I mean, for some people, if there's smoke, there's fire. Although that's not true either, by the way. Space Lord says, awareness is what you do, not what you are, I believe. Am I wrong about this? I kind of feel the same. I thought awareness is describing like a process of events. I don't know. That's a tough one. Be a good question for Ems, the medical doctor. Or even for Dr. Joe.
Yeah, perhaps.
The V dude, hey, thanks for the super chat. Caller takes 40 minutes to try and say, we're all one connected awareness, man. Just receivers for one love, man. True. He could have done like the Christ consciousness early and saved us the time, you know? What are you going to do?
Would have been appreciated, to be honest.
Right? Hey, Miko, thank you for the super chat. For instance, Winnie the Pooh, thinking is a bit like honey. Too much at once can make things rather sticky, but just enough makes the world taste nicer. I like that. That's a good quote. I don't know if I've even come upon that one, but that's a good one. Germ Selena says, Rain Man is a fictional story about an autistic savant. It has nothing to do with brain damage. This guy was just lying. I kind of thought it was too, but I don't remember enough to comment on it. You know, I don't want to.
It wasn't relevant, right?
Right. Yeah, it wasn't. Although I have seen like documentaries on the so-called savants, and they're cool. They're cool. How much of it's, you know, how they got to that way is a different question. Eat some shorts. Hey, thanks for the super chat. This guest has been huffing too much Terrence Howard. Yes, that is the case. Unfortunately, I mean, even more unfortunately, he's not the only one. There's quite a bit of them out there. Optolite, thanks for the super chat. For instance, rocks are awareness. Yeah. Biscuit, stick to cleaning the plaque off your wooden teeth. Shit, man.
That's rude. Maybe deserved, though.
That might be the case. I hope he did that wooden teeth. AI-induced apologist. Hey, thanks for a super chat. Y'all let Word Salad Bro dominate the convo way too much. Felt like his view reduced to I'm a brain in a vat. I mean, we're trying to be charitable to the guests. Sometimes
might be.
Yeah, I mean, if they're in good faith, we will let them get a lot of words out. When they're being idiots, I don't know. He seemed to be just kind of word salady. Well, I think this is referring to Checkmate. Checkmate was started out nice, I think, if I remember correctly. Or it could be the way, I don't forget. Miko, hey, thank you for the super chat. Awareness guy. Don't you use the Bible with me? I have lots of thinking as long as it's not involving the Bible. It's got to be a Checkmate then, yeah. Yeah. Don't read the Bible to him, guys. Christopher says, first, if your argument defines rocks as aware, then LOL, I guess. Second, rocks are also physical objects.
It's weird.
I couldn't get past the rocks are aware thing.
Yeah, me neither. Like, I mean, I know that what he was trying to do. He was trying to do like analytic idealism of some kind, but then also tied into God, not knowing that analytic idealism is like an atheist position.
Yeah. Well, that was Mr. Biscuit still. Sorry, I think that was Mr. Biscuit. When he referred to himself casually as being an autodidact, I was like, oh, this motherfucker.
Oh yeah, that's always
thinks
so
he's
cringe.
Smart.
I love when people say that, to be honest. Like, I think it's so. I think that's like the funniest thing that someone can say.
That's how you know immediately they're trying to sound smart. The Knights Who Say Knee. Yo, Justin, what kid saying the Bible having contradictions makes it more reliable is a brand new low? How deep does the cope go? Rock hard for Doug and choking on Ian's hog. Okay, so Knights Who Say Knee. There's a very famous analogy that's given in most of the apologetic books, like A Case for Christ and whatnot. And it's like, if you saw, like people saw a car accident, they're all going to have different details, but you put the details together and you make a cohesive full story.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, but the problem is that assumes that the details do not contradict each other. That's the problem,
Right.
is that when the details do contradict each other, you got a huge fucking issue. Somebody's lying about something. And that's what they don't understand typically. Prometheus says humanity is insignificant when measured against the scale of the universe. I mean, that's true. We say a speck sometimes, but
that's
not
like
even.
obviously true. It's like trivially true.
Yeah, for sure. Great. Hey, thanks for the super chat, friend. Justin's correct. Theaters suck. Well, I mean, it's just my thing. You know, I have a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't put your juju on him.
I don't like fun, and I don't like being elbow to elbow with crowds of people. Maybe if people could learn not to overtalk and would stop spreading their germs on me. See, that's another thing. Like one of the last times, maybe not the last time, one of the few times I went, like there's coughing and sneezing like right on you, and people, I don't know, it's just not my thing. Maybe if I go to a nice theater. Fuzzy Logic says a hybrid horror vert feature hides the vert feed. I know, I can't even find it. Like we went to the channel, can't even find it. The API only serves it to official YouTube,
Yeah,
iOS,
we need to not
and...
do that anymore.
Oh shit! It only serves it if you're literally on the phone. No fucking way.
Yeah, that's a terrible design.
Let me see that. That's
it
crazy.
Turns out, who would have thunk?
YouTube fucking it up again. Let me see what it looks like on my phone. All right, I'm going to Unapologetic Live. I'm seeing it right now. I see 2 that are live. Weird. One's drastically behind the other for some reason. Let me click on the live one of them. Okay, that's horizontal. If I go to the other one, that's not even up to date. No, I don't even know. I don't even think you can do it on the phone somehow, unless there's a button, like a configuration
You have to be
button.
scrolling through the shorts.
Well,
it's not. You can't go to it.
Well, that's the thing is, like, it's not even showing in the shorts, which is why we didn't get in guests. So typically the vertical automatically
like in the shorts feed.
I know. We're not there, is what I'm saying.
How do you know you're not there?
Because we would have had guests today.
Well, okay. I mean, that's the claim. We did have some people pop in, but one person
for like
popped in
5
anyway.
seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
Actually, I think there's 2. There's one in a car for a second.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
But regardless, I mean, like, we just shouldn't use that anymore because it's a bad design.
Yeah, the design's not right. There's something just drastically off with it. But we'll go back to what we know works. But yeah, thanks for the help, Fuzzy Logic. We're definitely gonna have to wait for YouTube to figure it out. Hey, Basic Shira, thank you for the super chat. Door goes out, door goes in. You can't explain that. True. And magnets. I mean, come on.
Fucking magnets. How do they work?
No one knows. We'll never know.
Yeah, they do. They're just made of smaller magnets. Get it right.
I love how true but also funny that answer is.
I know.
It's just fantastic.
It's hilariously dissatisfying.
Yeah. The Knights Who Say Knee never thought I'd actually hear brain death in real time till he came along. What a wimp. I don't want problems, Justin. Are his words beating you up? Yes. Show me on the doll where Justin's words hurt you.
Disavow.
He was very he did not want to talk to me. That's okay. I haven't been disavowed this stream yet. I was overdue. That's my theory, at least. Lynn, hey, thanks for a super chat. Calm your memories. I love you, Justin, but please, you know what? To be fair, I shouldn't.
You did get disavowed for that, actually.
Did I got double disavowed. Shit.
You did.
Well, I feel a little bit better now. Panoramic Banana, thank you for the super chat. is the rumor of Darth Dawkins emerging from his mom's basement in New Jersey to debate you at Broxlandia true? I doubt it. I hope so.
Yeah, there's no
I hope
way.
it's true.
There's no way. That would be so funny though.
I
Is
want to
that
know who's
towards
spreading the
me?
rumor.
No,
no,
we are we have an event in October, an in-person event, and so I guess somebody's saying that there's a rumor about, but of course it's not real. He would have to. Okay, never mind. I was going to say some things that are insensitive.
I'm excited though if he does. That'd be really fun. Hey, Base of Sheriff.
There's
You guys
no way.
record those?
It should be
Who
recorded,
knows?
yeah.
Probably it'll be on Pangburn.
Yeah, my understanding is it'll be recorded. Because he said we can clip it.
Yep.
I see.
The sheriff says, I believe in the Isekai afterlife. Did I say that right? Isekai?
Go tell Carnage.
How close was I?
Yeah, isekai.
Isekai.
You
Oh, I
it
would
was-
never have guessed that.
There, Isekai. There you go.
Isekai are like Japanese reincarnation stories, usually anime.
The only word I know
Like
is
it's like
is waifu.
normie high schooler gets sucked into a computer game, and now they're a hero, or
There's
normie
a funny
high
real
schooler.
one that's like on the
There's a
fourth
real one?
season. There's like a real anime that's on the I think third or fourth season called. It's like I was reincarnated
Reincarnated as a vending machine.
Yeah, as a
My
vending
wife
machine.
loves that. She thought it was so funny.
I can't believe that's real. And on like its third,
know.
fourth season.
Yep. I mean, like Dr. Stone is an isekai, basically. And
Yeah, kind of.
I quite enjoy that.
That is humorous. The fact that you watch that, it's so fitting.
I watched it because people are like, man, you would love this show. You're such a science dork. You would love the show. And they were right. I do. It's so cool.
Was there a lot of scientific inaccuracies, or
It was mostly chemistry. So, like, I don't know a lot of it. So I assume that it was probably checked because they said at the beginning, like, there were episodes where they're like, this is a real formula. Don't make bombs with it. So I imagine that they're not lying.
Grain with an amazing point, by the way. Billions of theists are opposed to atheism, so because it's so opposed, it must be true.
True.
Obviously. Nailed it.
True.
Atheism proven. And Jeepus Fishes, remember dialectical materialism a few weeks ago? I do not. What Mr. Biscuit seemed to be using, speak big words quickly, even with internal contradictions. Yes. Me no big words, speak fast.
True.
It will fool some. Hopefully the smart people will see through it. Hey, DD Sarasin, thank you for the super chat. J. Marion Sims used enslaved women as science experiments in the U.S. True. And the cases are horrific. There's one woman that was used for these experiments for what, like 13 freaking years? Hold on, let me remember the name. It's horrible. Like supposedly the goal was to not invent, but increase or better the field of like gynecology. But in reality, he was torturing African American women. Yeah, James Marion Simon, an American physician in the field of surgery. His most famous work was the development of surgical technique for the repair of vesicovaginal fistula, a severe complication of obstructed childbirth. And he had basically a slave that was granted to him, and he did many operations on the young woman live in front of an audience without painkillers as demonstrations. Fucking horrific.
Horrible.
Yeah. It's
horrible, as my
it's
ancestors
bad.
would say.
Yeah. Oy vey.
Hey, that's our word.
Eastern Church says, sounds like a guest was taunting Justin to put more skin on the screen. Oh, maybe. Maybe that's what I needed to do. I needed to, deepen my cut a little bit. Hey, Tucson says, insert no context joke here. I wasn't prepared to invent a joke on the spot. I apologize, Tucson, but thank you for supporting the stream. And Mr. Kiki is with us. Guess is obviously just low blood sugar. Let him go eat. True. Derek probably does need to get a snack.
Plausible.
Maybe he's just hangry. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know why he was still hungry. He got like 8 concessions from us, so he should have ate something.
Yeah, that should have
Mike
been
Paul
his
says,
film.
it's not just the hilarity that he thinks he's cooking, but the hilarity that he will shout out to the audience that we are
always
making
find that so
concessions that we
funny.
clearly are not.
Yeah, it's such good rhetoric calling out the concessions consecutively. That's how you know you're winning.
Yep.
That is true.
Obviously. Definitely.
Yep.
In fact, that's
Mike
how I
Wall-
know I'm winning whenever I'm doing a debate.
Yeah, it's the meta.
Meta alone is all you need. Mike Pauls, this guy keeps using the word concession, but I don't know if he knows what it is. He does not. He doesn't. He's not good
There's
with
no way.
words.
He doesn't know what it is, or you don't know you're taking him. That's the real question.
Got him. Destroyed. Facts and logic.
That's a concession. That's a
You got me.
Yeah.
Horace Velg. I might get it eventually, friend. Thank you for the super chat. I woke up dreading the decision of choosing between MB and Unapologetics live. Imagine my giddiness at seeing my boy up here. Exactly. It's a double win. No
That's
concessions here, only wins. PSS says, glad to see MB here. Got to get those subs up. MB, love y'all. Keep fighting for truth. Hell yeah. Agreed. And nice to see me.
It's up to my YouTube, by the way.
MB is a
for
truth
sure.
seeker here. Yeah, go sub. By the way, there are how many people? There's like 1,400 people watching right now. Go sub to Monkeyboy. Just do it.
I'm almost at 6,000 on YouTube, so let's just reach that.
Let's
Yeah,
fucking go.
just go do that. Just everybody right now, go do it. And it'll be good.
Then I actually say, Nee, I don't give a shit what Derek thinks. I took a shit in my hand, but I refused to hand it over to him. Talking a mile a minute equals more right. True. And
What
I've
was
talked
that
to
middle
Derek.
sentence there?
I took a shit in my hand, but I refused to hand it over to him.
Why would you write those words?
I mean, those are words. We love you, Nee.
They were definitely choices.
Hey, I'm the Big Cheese. Good to see ya. I love how all NDE accounts are treated as the same until you start comparing individual accounts that are wildly individualized and inconsistent. That's my point. I've been reading the NDE accounts for a long time now. And the one thing I know about them is they're not all the same. They're wildly different, and they see different gods. They'll see Allah, or they'll see Joseph Smith. Whatever is usually in their cultural background is kind of how the NDE goes. Cryptic says, the MB Tim Stomp has no bounds. Who's Tim?
MB Tim Stomp?
Yeah.
Oh, I think they're talking about because I wear Tims.
Oh, shit.
Timberlands.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense now.
Yeah.
Absolutely
And
no
probably
bounds.
because I'm from Jersey. It's probably that too.
Space Lord coming in again. By theory of mind, I meant that they realize other people have minds. Happens at like 5-6 years old normally. Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's
so
other
about
people have
then.
minds. That's right.
Yeah. Good
That's
point.
right.
Not the Bible, Jason. Thank you for the super chat. Good to see ya. Nothing happens unless Sharon approves it. Remember that, true. Sharon is the queen of the pantheon. Fuck Jesus up. Ziggurat, hey, good to see it. Theory of mind is you see that others have their own mind. Gradually at age 4, object permanence happens very early. I don't know exactly the age, but I do. That sounds about right when I compare it to, like, my childhood. I'm just gonna have to grant that these are vaguely correct statistics. But I think that's all of our super chats. Friends, hey, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate you. Thank you for sharing, liking, and supporting the stream. Huge W. Y'all make the stream possible. And Monkey Boy, thanks so much for joining us. You got the bulk of the work today.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you did.
Technically,
awesome.
I was rewarded being here, to be fair.
Well,
Were
we're happy
you?
to have you.
I was. I'm small. I'm small.
Nah, you're growing. Don't worry.
All right.
You're
How
gonna-
tall are you? How
you'll
tall are you,
pop
buddy?
off.
Like 3'7". I'm real small. Yeah. You wouldn't even believe it.
So I'm like 2x your height because I'm 7'4". Pretty sure.
You're not 8'6".
Yeah, like-
Okay.
Who said 8'6"? I'm definitely 7'4", obviously.
No, Monkey Boy.
If you've heard anything else, it was somebody else that was saying that. It wasn't me.
Yeah. Well, listen,
You study
friends.
the science
we'll
of
see you.
basketball?
I have not.
No,
We'll
I'm
see
too
you
tall.
again.
How you should.
I have
Next
a genetic. I have a biological advantage, so they don't let me play.
That's fair. That's fair.
Are y'all going live today?
I will not. I have
Okay.
stuff to do.
I might,
yeah.
but no guarantee.
Okay.
Justin, what about you?
Probably won't.
No, I won't be live today. But if y'all go live, hey, check out the rest of the live streams. It's Sunday. There's gonna be lots of live streams today. Go out and listen and find some new people to listen to and broaden your information.
And make sure to everybody pray for Ian. Ian is currently under the weather, so make sure to pray for Ian.
Indeed.
Make sure to pray to the right God, though.
Obviously.
You don't want to pray to the wrong God and accidentally curse him.
We don't even need to say which one it is. We all know, but yeah, pray to
Of
the
course
right
we
one.
do.